1,000 years ago she was a little beggar. 1,000 years later, she had already become the empress of all realms, revered by myriad races and unmatched under heaven. No one ever imagined that the pitiful child whom no one pitied back then would one day become the sovereign of the heavens, the peerless empress. Reborn 1,000 years earlier, when Qiannian returned to the age of 16 and looked at the pitiful little girl before him, the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Who would have known that the empress's physique was too heaven-defying? The closer one approached her, the faster one's cultivation speed became, and the better the effect at closer distances. And so, from then on, his talent had no upper limit, and whoever he met he defeated in a single move. He defeated heaven, defeated earth, defeated even the air. The Heavenly Dao itself knelt and begged to be his underling. In the vast and boundless starry river, a giant chaotic palm reached out from the depths of the universe. Wherever the palm passed, stars and suns exploded like fireworks and continents shattered into dust. Empress, do you truly wish to annihilate us all? On the enormous central continent of this star region, a godlike and demonic towering figure appeared, its aura shaking the entire starry river. Boom. The palm did not pause for even a moment, striking down the next instant. The godlike, demonic figure whose aura shook the heavens struggled with all its might to resist. But the gap in strength was far too vast. No matter how the godlike figure struggled, his body, vaster than a sun, began to crack inch by inch beneath that palm until it finally exploded completely. The palm struck down, and the enormous central continent shattered into several pieces, upon which dozens of powerful figures burst apart into beams of blood light. The shockwave spread through the starry river, rippling across the universe. Wherever the ripple passed, every celestial body turned to cosmic dust with a soft puff. When everything had subsided, the entire star region, except for the fragments of the central continent, had become ruins, plunged into eternal darkness. The one who had unleashed that chaotic palm finally revealed herself amid the stars. In the void, a white-clad figure appeared, her features veiled by swirling chaotic energy, so that no one could admire the peerless beauty of the Supreme Empress. The mighty experts of the myriad heavens, watching this scene through their formation arrays, could not help but draw in a cold breath. Their eyes, fixed on the peerlessly elegant Empress, were filled with admiration. The Empress has annihilated another ancient clan of the venerable races that once oppressed the human race. Not a single Saint Realm expert escaped. A glorious and mighty race has come to an end. Too strong. That was a supremely powerful Saint Emperor-level figure, yet he was killed with a single slap, without even the strength to resist. I seem to see the splendor of the human emperor 20,000 years ago sweeping across the heavens. The human race cannot be made an enemy. I seem to see the human race once again reaching the supreme brilliance of the emperor age. A long silence. Big brother, could you spare me a little food? It was a freezing winter day close to the end of the year, with layers of ice forming on the roadside. A little girl in tattered clothes, her face dirty and small hands red from cold, was pitifully begging from passers-by. But in such weather, everyone hurried away, and no one paid any attention to the little girl who was hungry and frozen. Not far from the little girl there was a handsome white-robed youth. He wore an exquisite white robe embroidered with a golden short-sword pattern, carried a treasured sword on his back, and stood there in a daze. The youth was very handsome, refined, and elegant, like a gentle young master, an immortal fallen to the mortal world. Didn't I pass away? Qiannian stared blankly at his own hands. The skin was smooth and delicate, nearly as pale and flawless as a woman's well-cared-for fingers. At 13, he had entered the innate realm, forming an innate spirit body so that dust and impurities could no longer cling to him. He clearly remembered that he had been unable to break through his lifespan, exhausted, old, and frail, closing his eyes for good in his secret chamber. How could he have opened his eyes again to find himself so young? And his cultivation had also regressed to the peak of the innate realm. Could it be that when he was on the verge of death, he had broken through to the nirvana realm, which could reverse one's fate? No, impossible. He had not broken through in 100 years, unable to pass the inner demon tribulation. How could he have broken through at the very moment of his natural death? He raised his head and looked around. On both sides were ancient-looking buildings, and the ground was paved with bluestone slabs. This was a small city, familiar in some way, but too much time had passed, and his memories were too distant to be clear. Look, the young Master Qiannian has returned. Quickly inform the Lord. Young Master Qiannian is so handsome. He's my dream lover. Look in the mirror. Young Master Qiannian is the #1 prodigy in the history of Yin City. Even across the entire Great Chu Empire, he ranks among the top 3 peerless talents. Only our empire's princess deserves him. It's been 3 years. I wonder what realm young Master Qiannian has reached. He should be at the 5th level of innate by now, right? Definitely. Young Master Qiannian achieved the innate realm at 13, setting the cultivation record of the Great Chu Empire. I heard young Master Qiannian has already become the true disciple senior brother of the Tianshui sword sect. And the Tianshui sword sect is a super sect that dominates several empires around here. The chatter of the crowd reached Qiannian's ears, making long-buried memories surge back into his mind. Young Master Qiannian. How many years had it been since he had heard that title? About 1,000 years probably. Great Chu Empire, Tianshui sword sect. These were memories from 1,000 years ago. 13 attaining innate. 3 years later. This was him returning from Tianshui sect to Yin City at the age of 16. Qiannian finally sorted out every clue and understood his current situation. He had been reborn into the time when he was 16 years old. Having lived 1,000 years in his previous life and survived the great tribulation of 10,000 races, his soul was powerful beyond measure, and his mind had long been as calm as still water. Yet even so he could not help but feel shaken. Rebirth, returning to the past. This involved the supreme law of time, something even an invincible sovereign of the heavens could never hope to grasp right. Big brother, can you spare me a little food? The little girl had walked all the way over without receiving a single thing and finally came to Qiannian's side. Having said this, the little girl raised her head and saw the handsome youth in thin white robes standing in the cold wind. She suddenly became shy and took a few steps back, afraid of dirtying the white clothes of the person before her. If she dirtied someone's clothes, she would definitely be beaten again. Disturbed from his thoughts, Qiannian lowered his head slightly and looked at the dirty little girl before him. Had he not looked, it would have been fine. But the moment he did, Qiannian's eyes shrank sharply, his pupils dilated, and his mind was shaken to its core. On the little girl's forehead, there was a faint blue snow lotus mark. It was so subtle that one would never notice it unless looking very carefully. Snow lotus dragon soar continent 1,000 years ago. Qiannian's heart churned with enormous waves. His past life memories surged up, and he found it hard to breathe. This snow lotus 1,000 years later would become the most terrifying symbol across the heavens. Several hundred years from now, a peerless empress would rule over all worlds, overlooking all races of the universe, revered by the entire vast starry sky. That peerless empress was known to the world as Snow Empress, and the emblem of Snow Empress was a single snow lotus. Legend said that the empress bore a snow lotus mark upon her forehead, but ever since she ascended as the empress of all worlds, no one had been able to gaze upon her peerless beauty again. Legend said that the empress rose to power entirely alone. No faction behind her, no family, just one person fighting until the Dao hearts of prodigies shattered and the sovereigns of the heavens trembled in fear. Legend said that the empress came from the dragon continent. Looking at the snow lotus mark on the little girl's forehead, Qiannian, who had lived 1,000 years and reached the 9th heaven of the king realm, still felt his heart slam violently. Because Yin City, like the great Chu Empire, all belonged to the dragon continent, and the empress's age matched the little girl before him perfectly. All three clues pointed to the little girl before him, telling Qiannian a single fact: this utterly pitiable little girl would one day become the empress of the heavens, reigning over all worlds. Qiannian suddenly remembered that on this very day, returning from Tianshui sword sect to Yin City, he had encountered a pitiful little girl. But back then he had been at the peak of his pride and brilliance, and the little girl had not dared to approach him at all. Back then he had merely glanced at her situation and thought to himself, without strength you can only be bullied. And after that he never saw this little girl again. 14 years later, a snow lotus girl of humble origin from the dragon continent displayed a peerless talent that shook the heavens. 500 years later, a generation of empress ruled the world, suppressing all the sovereigns of 10,000 realms, unmatched across the heavens. Seeing Qiannian staring at her in a daze, the little girl looked very frightened. She softly murmured an apology, then turned and left, trembling all over. Not only were the little girl's clothes torn and thin, but she didn't even have shoes. Walking barefoot on the freezing ground, her small tender feet were red from the cold. But this was a cultivation world where strength reigned supreme. Pitiful souls like this little girl were simply too numerous here. On this one street alone, there were several beggars. Suddenly the little girl felt warmth spreading through her entire body, and the biting cold gradually dissipated. The feeling was so pleasant that she couldn't help but let out a soft hum. Confused, she turned around only to see that the immortal-like Big Brother was using his spiritual energy to dispel the cold around her, gazing at her with gentle eyes. "What's your name?" The Big Brother's voice was very soft, with a warmth that made her feel close and at ease. She kept her head slightly lowered, not daring to meet the Big Brother's eyes, and whispered, "My name is Xiaoshui. Xiaoshui, Snow Empress." At this point, Qiannian was almost 100% certain that the little girl before him was the peerless empress who would one day be unmatched across the heavens. In his previous life, never mind the empress. Even the subordinate of a subordinate of a subordinate of a subordinate of the empress could kill him with a single breath. The empress was an existence of supreme nobility, unattainable and infinitely remote for an ordinary cultivator like him. And now the not yet risen empress was right before his eyes. In his past life, they had no connection at all. Reborn anew, the chance to change his fate was right before his eyes. Many years later, when the Empress ruled the world, she would become the first woman in the human race to claim the throne. She would never forget that in her darkest moment, her brother Qiannian in white had given her a warm home. Once a golden opportunity for meteoric rise lay before Qiannian, yet he failed to cherish it. If heaven granted him a second chance, he would say 3 words to the poor soul he had let slip by. I will take care of you. And now the opportunity was right before him. He had truly been given another chance. Little Shui, would you be willing to stay by my side? I will ensure you never suffer from cold or hunger again and give you a warm home. Qiannian crouched down, gazing tenderly at the little girl before him, reaching out to gently stroke her disheveled hair. Even as his fingers truly touched the girl's hair, Qiannian felt as though he were dreaming. It wasn't because her hair was exceptionally silky, but because this little girl before him was destined to become the invincible empress of the myriad heavens. The legendary future empress whose visage was shrouded in primordial chaos, her peerless beauty hidden from all. Ordinary mortals could never even glimpse the empress, let alone dare to touch her. Even the Saint Emperor Supreme across the heavens could not approach the empress by even half a step, lest he be annihilated with a flick of her finger. And now he was actually stroking the empress's hair. Home. The little girl murmured softly. Could she truly have a home of her own? For as long as she could remember, she had never had a home. If not for her unyielding will to survive, she would have perished in that mass grave long ago. My name is Qiannian. If you are willing to follow me, I will teach you cultivation, help you grow strong, and grant you the power to protect yourself. Cultivation, growing strong. The little girl bit her lip, slightly, a deep longing flickering in her eyes. If she became strong, she wouldn't be bullied anymore. Right? See, can I? Though her heart ached with desire, the little girl spoke in a timid whisper, not daring to meet Qiannian's gaze. She felt that the big brother before her was so noble and untouchable, but she was merely a little beggar. The vast chasm between their stations made it hard for her to believe this was real. Of course you can. If little Shui is willing, I would love to become your big brother and protect you forever. Big brother. The little girl froze, lifting her head to look at Qiannian. The light in the eyes of the big brother in white robes was so warm and gentle. She truly desperately wanted a home and a big brother who would shield her. But, looking at his immaculate white robes and hearing the envious, adoring murmurs of the crowd around them, she didn't know what the Qiannian realm meant, but it must be incredibly powerful. Otherwise, so many finely dressed people wouldn't be looking up to him with such reverence. Then she looked down at herself, ragged thin clothes and small dirty hands red from the cold. She wasn't worthy of being his little sister. Big brother, thank you for your kindness. If you could spare a little bit of food for little Shui, she would be ever so grateful. The little girl lowered her head, a single crystal tear slipping from the corner of her eye. A home. That was a dream forever beyond her reach, existing only in her fantasies, never in reality. Here, take this. It's pastries and some milk. Retrieving some food from his storage space, Qiannian gently placed it into little Shui's hands. Staring at the soft pastries and sweet milk in her hands, little Shui was stunned once more. Such delicacies. She had only ever seen them on the tables of the wealthy lords, let alone tasted them. Eat up. If it's not enough, I have plenty more. Qiannian spoke with gentle warmth, showing no sign of annoyance at her initial refusal. Thank you, big brother. Little Shui bowed deeply to Qiannian. It was the first time since the age of 3 that her young heart had felt such true warmth. Soft pastries, sweet bread, such simple fare, yet in little Shui's eyes they were no less than a feast of delicacies and rare treats. Even though she was famished, she only ate one pastry and took a small sip of milk. She carefully wrapped the rest and tucked it securely into her bosom. Looking up, little Shui was surprised to find that the big brother hadn't left. He was still watching her with a gentle, patient gaze. Little Shui, no need to save them. Eat them all. In the future, whatever you want to eat, whatever pretty clothes you want to wear, I will buy them all for you. Little Shui parted her lips, slightly deeply moved. She truly wished to stay by this big brother's side. Why? Me? Amidst her gratitude, confusion lingered. There were many beggars on the street. Why had this big brother singled her out? Was there something special about her? Little Shui, do you believe that one day you will become incredibly strong? Strong enough to protect this big brother of yours, eh? Right now it's my turn to protect you. But when you grow strong in the future, will you protect me then? Qiannian didn't fabricate an excuse. He told little Shui the truth. If he lied to her now, he would inevitably be haunted by inner demons when he faced the heart demon tribulation in the future. In his previous life, he had been stuck at the heart demon tribulation, unable to achieve the nirvana realm, alter his fate, and gain another 1,000 years of lifespan. Little Shui will be very strong. Little Shui couldn't believe it at all. Just surviving was already a monumental struggle for her. How could she ever become strong enough to earn such praise from the big brother? That's right. So little Shui, would you be willing to consider me your big brother? Little Shui's heart wavered. She yearned so much for a home and for a brother who would protect her. enduring the cold and hunger of long nights, suffering scorn and bullying, even having food snatched by fellow beggars. Her young body was a canvas of bruises and scars. She was only 6 years old, yet she had already tasted the deepest sorrows of the world's lowest rungs. Don't worry, don't be afraid. From now on with your big brother here, no one will dare to bully you. Seeing the wavering expression on little Shue's face, Qiannian felt a flicker of joy, becoming the big brother of the future empress who would dominate the ages. Even if he did nothing else, he could ascend to sainthood just by lying down. Be big brother. Little Shui called out shyly, but the word filled Qiannian with immense joy. He scooped her up in his arms and spun her around several times, the sudden action eliciting a surprised yelp from her. Big brother, little Shui is dirty. Little Shui tried to squirm out of Qiannian's embrace, but it was futile. Qiannian chuckled softly and gently tapped her nose with his finger. In this big brother's eyes, little Shui isn't dirty at all. Thank you, big brother. Little Shui hugged Qiannian's neck, tightly breathing in the pleasant, comforting scent that clung to him. This feeling was truly wonderful. She had a family now and a big brother who cherished her. Qiannian carried little Shui as he walked towards the family estate in Yin City. Little Shui is your name, just Shui. Do you have a surname? No. Little Shui is an orphan. Grandpa found me on a snowy day and named me Shui. Grandpa? Who is little Shui's grandpa? Grandpa was a wanderer too. 3 years ago he froze to death. As she said this, little Shui began to sob softly. It was from that moment on that she had never again felt the warmth of a home. A 3-year-old girl wandering alone through various places. One could only imagine how difficult her life had been. Qiannian's steps slowed slightly. He gently patted little Shui's back and held her a little closer. Her experiences were so similar to his own childhood. There, don't cry, little Shui. With your big brother here, you will be very happy from now on. Little Shui, would you like big brother to give you a new name? Okay. Big brother's name is Qiannian. Little Shui, from now on your name shall be Qiannian. All right. Qiannian. Qiannian. Big brother, little Shui loves this name. That year Qiannian was 16 and Qiannian was 6. A plainly dressed slender youth emerged from a medicine shop carrying a large bundle of herbs in his hand. Master, the Yin City Grand Tournament is almost upon us. Can I truly emerge victorious? The slender youth whispered, though no one walked beside him, making it unclear whom he was addressing. Rest assured, in a small place like Yin City, there are barely any at the Qiannian stage. With me here, victory will be as simple as drinking water. An aged voice echoed within the slender youth's mind. Though no figure was visible, the voice was unmistakably clear, a strange and eerie occurrence. Master, I've heard that Qiannian of the family is the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire. After 3 years in the Heavenly Watersword sect, he has become the senior grand disciple. He is likely at least at the late Qiannian stage, while I have only just stepped into the early Qiannian stage. There is a high chance that Qiannian will return for this Yin City Grand Tournament. The slender youth was deeply worried. Apart from Qiannian, he paid little heed to the others. 10 years of enduring the label of good for nothing had tempered his will to the extreme. Even the Shao family was unaware that their so-called useless young master had already broken through to the Qiannian realm not long ago. My good disciple, in my eyes, what is Yin City, the great Chu Empire, or even the entire northern domain? The aged voice in the slender youth's mind boomed with laughter dripping with arrogance. Master, what was your true cultivation level back in the day? The slender youth was startled. Even the great Chu Empire was a colossal entity to him, let alone the entire northern domain. You will learn of my strength in the future. Is someone from a mere great Chu Empire worthy of being called an unparalleled prodigy? Whether he is at the late Qiannian stage or even the great perfection of Qiannian, I have ways to ensure your victory over him. The slender youth was astonished once more by his master's words. Master, there are 8 minor realms between the first level of Qiannian and the great perfection of Qiannian. Fear not. I possess a secret art that will help elevate you to the great perfection of Qiannian. Even if you can only unleash a fraction of a saint-grade technique's power, defeating a local great perfection cultivator will be effortless. As the slender youth walked on, a young man in white approached, holding a small beggar girl in his arms. Oh, such a powerful soul. A 16-year-old at the great perfection of Qiannian. This small place isn't entirely devoid of talent. Hearing his master's words, the slender youth looked up, and upon seeing the white-clad youth's face was shocked. Master, he is Qiannian. Interesting. It seems I underestimated this Qiannian's talent. But it matters not. A small place is just a small place. Even the Heavenly Watersword sect is nothing but an ant in my eyes. Qiannian felt a subtle stir in his heart, and met the gaze of the slender youth nearby. He narrowed his eyes slightly. Seeing Qiannian looking at him, the slender youth lowered his head and quickly hurried away. A 16-year-old Qiannian master, yet clad in nothing but the most ordinary of garments. Watching the slender youth's swiftly retreating figure, Qiannian's fist clenched slightly. In his past life, his destiny had been irrevocably altered by this very slender youth. The senior grand disciple of the Heavenly Water Sword sect and the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire, Qiannian would, after the Yin City Grand Tournament, in half a month suffer defeat at the hands of an unknown waste from the Shao family. It was this battle that severed the path of this promising prodigy. Being defeated by a peerless prodigy of the same realm was not shameful. But being defeated by someone of a lower realm, once even considered a waste, was a devastating blow. That slender youth just now was named Qiannian, the useless third young master of the Shao family. Qiannian's story could only be described as that of a child of destiny. He was the third young master of the Shao family, one of the three great clans of Yin City, yet he was an out-and-out waste. However, no one would have guessed that this waste had been secretly amassing formidable power. He was never truly a waste. He had been feigning incompetence to temper his mind in order to cultivate a powerful saint-grade technique. At the Yin City Grand Tournament, half a month later, Shao Yin would reveal his Qiannian strength, defeating the disciples of various clans one after another, and enter the finals alongside Qiannian. With one at the early Qiannian stage and the other at the great perfection of Qiannian, everyone in Yin City believed Qiannian would easily claim victory. But then a shocking reversal occurred. Qiannian, the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire, was defeated. From that moment, Qiannian fell from grace, while Shao Yin rose, entered the Heavenly Water Sword sect, and claimed all the status and glory that once belonged to Qiannian. And this was merely the beginning. The true stage for Shao Yan's rise to fame lay in the starry realms beyond the dragon-soaring continent. Qiannian only remembered that 1,000 years later humanity would boast an invincible holy emperor, and his name was Shao Yin. It was said that after Shao Yin had grown powerful, he once remarked that all his achievements were due to his master's guidance. His master, a soul entity, was resurrected by him in the future. Brother, what are you looking at? Qiannian spoke, leaning against Qiannian's chest, savoring the warmth he radiated. It's nothing, little Shui. I'll take you home, get you bathed and fragrant, and dress you in beautiful clothes. Beautiful clothes. Qiannian continued on his way, but as he withdrew his gaze from Shao Yan's retreating back, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. In his past life, he had no grudge against Shao Yin, yet Shao Yin had used underhanded means to defeat him in the tournament. It was because of this defeat that the Heavenly Water Sword sect lost faith in him, and countless former supporters mocked him. Leaving aside the matters of the Heavenly Water Sword sect, Shao Yan's almost cheating method of boosting his strength to defeat him at the Yin City Grand Tournament was something he could not tolerate. But looking at Qiannian in his arms, Qiannian smiled again. What if he was a child of destiny? What if he was a future holy emperor? Compared to the Empress, he was far, far inferior. Reborn anew, he was determined to reverse the outcome of the Yin City Grand Tournament. There was still half a month, enough time to elevate his strength another step. If the great perfection of Qiannian couldn't defeat Shao Yin, then what if he stepped into the foundation establishment realm? With 1,000 years of cultivation experience from his past life, Qiannian was confident he could break through to the foundation establishment stage within half a month. Once in the foundation establishment realm, it was incomparable to the Qiannian stage. Especially for a genius like Qiannian, his foundation would certainly not be an ordinary one. The foundation establishment realm was about laying the very foundation for one's future path. One builds Dao platforms within the sea of true Qi in the body. The more Dao platforms one builds, the stronger the future foundation. The minimum was 1 Dao platform, and the maximum was 9. In his past life, after being defeated by Shao Yin, Qiannian's Dao heart shattered, and he could only build 6 Dao platforms. Otherwise, with his talent, he could have built 7. Though the difference between 6 and 7 Dao platforms seemed like just one, it was a chasm of difference. 6 Dao platforms constituted a mid-grade foundation, while 7 Dao platforms formed a high-grade foundation. But reborn anew, Qiannian's ambitions went far beyond that. He wished to see the peerless elegance of the most supreme prodigies in the myriad worlds. He aspired to build 8 Dao platforms, or even the legendary 9, which was said to possess the potential for sainthood. The foundation establishment realm, while the beginning of the cultivation path, was the most crucial cornerstone for the future. Many powerful cultivators dissatisfied with their own foundations would even scatter their cultivation and rebuild from the foundation establishment stage. Qiannian's goal was clear: to build at least 8 Dao platforms. The news of Qiannian's return had long since reached the family. By the time he arrived at the estate's main gate with Qiannian in his arms, the family patriarch and a host of elders were already there to welcome him. Young Master Qiannian has returned. How did you find your stay at the Tianshui Sword sect? Young Master Qiannian, you have brought great honor to the family. Indeed. With young Master Qiannian, here the family's victory in this Yin City Grand competition is a foregone conclusion. What is your current cultivation realm, young Master Qiannian? This old man at the 8th level of the innate stage cannot even see through your strength. Observing the elder's sycophantic demeanor, Qiannian's expression remained utterly impassive, his gaze fixed instead on the middle-aged man at the center. Qingtian, the patriarch of the family. A powerhouse above the foundation establishment stage, and one of the 5 such experts in Yin City. Father, I have returned. Qiannian bowed his head slightly, yet a faint, unnoticed smile touched his lips. In his past life, after his defeat at the hands of Xiao Yin, his so-called father had changed his tune with remarkable speed. He was not Qingtian's biological son. The reason he called him father was solely due to his own monstrous talent. Like Qianxue, he was an orphan adopted by an old servant of the family. It was only after he revealed his extraordinary aptitude that the family took notice, and Qingyan adopted him as a righteous son. Haha, it's good that you're back. 3 years in the Tianxue sword sect, your father has missed you dearly. Qingtian laughed heartily, his eyes filled with gratification. By the way, Nianer, who is this little girl? He looked at the small beggar in Qiannian's arms, his brow furrowing slightly. My sister Qianxue, Qiannian replied flatly. Qingtian was momentarily stunned, but then burst into laughter again. Then I have gained another daughter. Someone prepare the finest clothes and a room for Miss Qianxue. Treat her with the courtesy befitting a young lady of the family. Yes, patriarch. 2 young maids stepped forward from behind him. They were Xiao Qing and Xiao Bai, the maids who had once served Qiannian. The 2 were twin sisters, 2 years his senior. When Qiannian was 8 and adopted by Qingtian, they had been assigned to look after him. Young Master Qiannian, let Xiao Qing take Miss Qianxue. Xiao Qing approached, her voice gentle, and a faint blush crept onto her cheeks as her gaze met Qiannian's. Young Master Qiannian was simply too handsome. Within the family, he was the dream lover of every young maiden. An elegant young man, an unrivaled prodigy. The 2 sisters, having cared for him since childhood, held him in even greater reverence. Xiao Shui, these 2 sisters will help you wash up and get dressed. Make sure you listen to them, all right? Qiannian ruffled Xiao Shui's hair and gently pinched her cheek to encourage her. Overwhelmed by the attention, Xiao Shui had already buried her face into his chest, utterly shy. Brother Xiao Shui is scared. It's all right. Once you're all dressed up and pretty, your brother will come back to keep you company. Qiannian said softly, unconcerned with the changing expressions of those around him. Young Master Qiannian treats Miss Qianxue so well. Even Xiao Bai is envious. Xiao Bai chimed in, her eyes full of longing. If only the young master would treat her half as well as he treated Xiao Shui. Miss Qianxue, we will take good care of you, and make sure you look absolutely beautiful. Xiao Qing approached, intending to take Xiao Shui from his arms. Brother, you won't abandon Xiao Shui, will you? Xiao Shui clutched his clothes tightly, unwilling to leave him. Xiao Shui, be good. Listen to your sisters. I'll come find you in a bit. Only after Qiannian's repeated reassurances did Xiao Shui reluctantly let go, allowing Xiao Qing and Xiao Bai to carry her away. Father, these are some cultivation resources. Distribute them among the family members. Qiannian produced a storage pouch and tossed it nonchalantly to Qingtian. After probing its contents with his spiritual sense, a wide smile spread across Qingtian's face. Nianer has truly made something of himself. That girl Nianer has been thinking about you. Would you like to go see her? Qiannian offered a faint, indifferent smile. Father, I need to go into seclusion for a while. I don't wish to be disturbed before the grand competition. Qingtian chuckled warmly. Of course. The grand competition is more important. If you need anything at all, just let your father know. Qiannian nodded impassively, then stepped through the main gate. The moment he was gone, Qingtian's smile vanished instantly, his expression darkening. Just what kind of attitude was Qiannian displaying towards him? Patriarch, isn't this Qiannian being a bit too arrogant? Has he forgotten all the nurturing we provided? The grand elder leaned in and whispered. His cultivation has already reached the great perfection of the innate stage. What? Great perfection of the innate stage? The grand elder's eyes bulged in sheer disbelief. Even he, the grand elder of the family, had only just reached that same realm. To reach the great perfection of the innate stage at the age of 16, that was simply monstrous. Qingtian's eyes flickered as he stared at the vast resources within the storage pouch, his mind racing with countless thoughts. He had still underestimated Qiannian's talent. From the early innate stage to great perfection in 3 years. It wouldn't be surprising if within a decade the family were to produce a transcendent being. He absolutely had to find a way to bind Qiannian irrevocably to the family. After 3 years away, when Qiannian returned to his old room, he found it spotlessly clean and filled with a faint, pleasant fragrance. Qiannian understood that this was because Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing had never stopped cleaning it, waiting for his return. The family. Qiannian pondered briefly, then gave a slight shake of his head. He had revealed his talent at 8, became a young master of the Mo family for 5 years, and then went to the Tianshui sword sect. Their so-called nurturing was nothing more than providing ordinary resources. The resources he brought back this time surpassed what the Mo family had invested in him by 1,000-fold, enough to purchase the entire Mo family's assets. In his past life, he had been grateful to the Mo family, but he never imagined that after his defeat by Qiannian, Mo Chengtian's attitude towards him would do a complete 180-degree turn. Especially later when he fought Qiannian again at the Tianshui sword sect, and had his cultivation crippled, the Mo family had abandoned him without a second thought. Only Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing had remained loyal to him. And later when he began to rise again, Xiao Yan had already become a peerless prodigy of the heavens. From then on he was a firefly on the ground, while Xiao Yan became the blazing sun in the sky. In this life, after he defeated Xiao Yan and won the grand competition, he had no intention of maintaining any further ties with the Mo family. What he had already repaid them. The mountain of cultivation resources from the Tianshui sword sect and the position of Yin City's lord far exceeded his debt by 1,000 or 10,000 times. Setting these thoughts aside, Mo Qiannian began his preparations to step into the foundation establishment stage. Advancing from the innate stage to foundation establishment was in fact quite simple. Any cultivator at the great perfection of the innate stage could enter it with minimal preparation. However, entering foundation establishment so easily usually resulted in a single Dao platform, a mediocre foundation with no hope of further breakthroughs. Therefore, most cultivators would consolidate their foundations for a period at the great perfection stage, striving to construct 2 or more Dao platforms. The Grand Elder of the Mo family, for instance, had never entered foundation establishment because he wasn't confident in constructing a second Dao platform. Such a being at the great perfection of the innate stage was someone Mo Qiannian could easily suppress. Such was the gap between an ordinary man and a prodigy. With his current foundation, Mo Qiannian could construct 7 Dao platforms, making him the strongest prodigy of the great Shu Empire. But having witnessed the true stage of the world in his past life, Mo Qiannian was not satisfied with merely 7 Dao platforms. 7 Dao platforms, a peerless prodigy of the great Shu Empire. 8 Dao platforms, a peerless prodigy of the northern domain. 9 Dao platforms, a peerless prodigy of the entire dragon-soaring continent. Big brother. Just as Mo Qiannian was lost in thought, a timid voice rang out at the door. Mo Qiannian looked and saw an incredibly adorable little girl wearing a white princess dress with 2 cute pigtails, her round eyes blinking at him. She was an exquisite little girl, like the most delicate porcelain doll. One couldn't help but want to go forward, hug her, kiss her, and caress her, feeling the purest and warmest breath in this world. If not for the snow lotus mark on the little girl's forehead, Mo Qiannian might not have recognized her. Young Master Qiannian, we have finished dressing Miss Qianxue. Young Master Qiannian, after Miss Qianxue finished dressing, we were all stunned. Her skin was simply excellent, though there were still some wounds on her body, which made us very heartbroken. Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing spoke, each holding one of Xiaoxue's hands, standing at the door. Mo Qiannian had a habit: without his permission, no one was allowed into his room. Come in, Mo Qiannian laughed, extending his hands. Xiaoxue broke free from Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing's hands and ran into Mo Qiannian's embrace. Big brother, don't abandon Xiaoxue. Holding Xiaoxue close, Mo Qiannian wore a faint smile. Don't worry, as long as I am here, no one can bully Xiaoxue. After washing and dressing, Xiaoxue smelled sweet, but Mo Qiannian felt heartbroken seeing Xiaoxue's small hands and feet. Due to prolonged exposure to the cold, Xiaoxue's hands and feet were now frostbitten, simply bandaged by Xiao Qing and Xiao Bai. Mo Qiannian hesitated not a moment, taking out the best healing medicine from his storage pouch and carefully applying it to Xiaoxue's hands. Xiaoxue, does it hurt? Big brother Xiaoxue, doesn't hurt, it's just a bit cold. Mo Qiannian activated some spiritual energy enveloping Xiaoxue to let her feel warmth. Subsequently, he took off Xiaoxue's delicate little shoes, revealing her frostbitten red little feet. When Mo Qiannian's hands touched Xiaoxue's feet shrank slightly, but Mo Qiannian caught them. Big brother, it's a bit itchy. The cool ointment was applied to Xiaoxue's feet, and Mo Qiannian's gentle movements made Xiaoxue feel an itchiness on her feet. It's okay, Xiaoxue. After applying the medicine, it will heal quickly. Mo Qiannian stroked Xiaoxue's smooth hair and continued carefully applying the ointment to her. Miss Qianxue is so lucky to have such a good brother as young Master Qiannian. Beside them, Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing looked on with envy. When had they ever seen Mo Qiannian so gentle? After applying the ointment, Mo Qiannian held Xiaoxue and looked toward Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing. Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing were twins, with Xiao Bai the older sister and Xiao Qing the younger. They were both 18 years old, at the most beautiful age of youth. Able to enter the Mo family and become Mo Qiannian's maids, both were quite beautiful, though not breathtakingly, so they were still considered lovely. Post-heaven's 6th layer. He had once told Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing the cultivation method, When he left 3 years ago, they were at post-heaven second layer. This was the cultivation speed of ordinary people, 3 years from post-heaven second layer to post-heaven sixth layer, at the most suitable age for cultivation along with the resources he had given them. Most people could not reach pre-heaven in their entire lives. In Yin City, with hundreds of thousands of people, pre-heaven powerhouses accounted for less than 1%. Post-heaven sixth layer was already quite impressive in a small place like Yin City. Young Master Qiannian, we have been cultivating very hard, but our talent is limited. Xiao Qing and Xiao Bai answered with lowered heads, clearly feeling they had disappointed the young master's expectations. It's already very good. Take these cultivation resources. I reach pre-heaven as soon as possible. In this world, it will give you some ability to protect yourselves. Mo Qiannian said, taking out another storage pouch and handing it to Xiao Bai. Mo Qiannian had always remembered the two girls' care for him. After his downfall, only these two had remained by his side without leaving. Therefore, he would not forget them. These cultivation resources were enough for the two girls to cultivate to pre-heaven great perfection. Young Master Qiannian, this is too much, we cannot accept it. Quickly glancing at the storage pouch, Xiao Bai was immediately frightened and hurriedly refused, wanting to return the storage pouch to Mo Qiannian. How dare you disobey my words? Mo Qiannian's tone turned stern, causing Xiao Bai's next words to be swallowed back. Young Master Qiannian had another characteristic. Once he gave something out, he would never take it back. But it's really too much. Even if we were sold, it wouldn't be enough for these resources. Xiao Bai wanted to say more, but looking at Mo Qiannian's eyes, she swallowed her words again. Thank you, young Master Qiannian. Xiao Bai's eyes were full of emotion. Inwardly, she had already sworn that she would be young Master Qiannian's person in life and his ghost in death. Although Xiao Qing did not know how many resources were in the storage pouch, seeing her sister's reaction, it was probably not a small amount, so she also knelt before Mo Qiannian along with her sister. Enough, it's getting late. Take Xiaoxue to the next room. These days you will have to work hard and protect Xiaoxue, closely preventing anyone with ill intentions. Yes, young Master Qiannian, we will never leave Miss Qianxue's side to ensure her safety. Xiao Bai answered, stepping forward to carry Xiaoxue away. But Xiaoxue unexpectedly held on to Mo Qiannian's neck, unwilling to let go. Big brother Xiaoxue doesn't want to leave. Big brother, can I? Xiaoxue was reluctant to leave Mo Qiannian because in her young heart, in this unfamiliar place, only Mo Qiannian could make her feel warm and comfortable. Looking at Xiaoxue's pure eyes gazing at him, Mo Qiannian playfully pinched her small nose and softly said, okay. He slightly signaled, and Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing nodded softly, leaving the room and closing the door behind them. Big brother, can you tell Xiaoxue's story? When Xiaoxue was very little, Grandpa often told her stories. Xiaoxue lay in Mo Qiannian's arms, her voice soft and sweet, utterly adorable. Okay then, big brother will tell Xiaoxue's story. In the past, there was a little boy who had no home and wandered alone outside. Later, he was adopted by an old servant from a wealthy family whom he called Grandpa. He often asked Grandpa why other children could eat soft bread and sweet milk while he could only eat tough bread. Why other children could wear new clothes while he could only wear patched, oversized old clothes. Every time Grandpa gave the same answer, and this answer planted the seed of becoming stronger in the boy's heart, which grew firmer and firmer. Grandpa said that all the honor and resources in this world must be acquired through strength. Whoever has the stronger fist is the truth. Without strength, one can only be bullied. Mo Qiannian stopped. He looked at Xiaoxue in his arms, who had quietly fallen asleep. Is this what the future Supreme Empress looks like when asleep? She was so well-behaved, breathing steadily, her eyelashes trembling slightly. Mo Qiannian gently carried her to the bed, carefully covering her with the quilt, just as he was about to leave, when he was suddenly caught by a hand. Big brother, please don't leave Xiaoxue. I won't leave. Mo Qiannian turned around and saw Xiaoxue opening her eyes drowsily. Those pure eyes were slightly hazy, as if not fully awake, but on that face carved like pink jade, tears were still streaking down. Had a bad dream. Seeing the tears at Xiaoxue's corners of the eyes, Mo Qiannian felt a sudden pang of pain and gently reached out to wipe them away. Big brother, I'm so scared you will never want Xiaoxue again. Xiaoxue rushed into Mo Qiannian's arms, hugging him tightly. Xiaoxue is so scared. Xiaoxue doesn't want to lose. Big brother never ever wants to lose, as Xiaoxue fears this is all a dream, an unreachable dream. Mo Qiannian gently patted Xiaoxue's back, his voice soft. This is not a dream, Xiaoxue. A big brother is here, always here. Big brother Xiaoxue wants to sleep, hugging big brother. When Xiaoxue opens her eyes, she wants to see big brother first. Is that okay? Xiaoxue looked up at Mo Qiannian with pleading eyes. Her fear and vulnerability made Mo Qiannian's heart ache. People only see the Supreme Empress's invincible glory, not knowing how fragile she was in her early growth, how innocent and pure she was. Okay, big brother will sleep with Xiaoxue. Night deepened. Xiaoxue nestled in Mo Qiannian's arms, sleeping peacefully. This was the most peaceful and comfortable sleep she had since she could remember. The sleeping Mo Qiannian did not notice that the snow lotus mark on Xiao Xue's forehead flickered with a faint light. The next morning, when Mo Qiannian awoke, Xiao Xue was still nestled peacefully in his arms. The future empress was sleeping in his embrace. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips, yet he felt none of the excitement one might expect. He simply couldn't reconcile Xiao Xue with the empress. In his eyes now she was just Xiao Xue's little sister. Suddenly her brow twitched, as if she were about to wake. Mo Qiannian smiled, waiting for her to open those sparkling bright eyes. But in the next instant, as if sensing something, his own eyes flew wide in astonishment. How is this possible? Xiao Xue. A faint wisp of spiritual energy drifted around her. It wasn't his power, but her own. The Hodian first layer. What a joke. Many spend their entire lives unable to break into the Hodian realm, yet Xiao Xue had bypassed tempering directly and stepped into it overnight. Even at the first layer of Hotian, her physical body alone possessed a force of 1,000 jin. 6 years old in a single night, from 0 to Hodian. Mo Qiannian recalled entering Hotian at 8 a feat that had already shaken the Mo family. Truly, comparisons can drive one to despair. Without a second thought, he immediately set up a seal to suppress her power. This wouldn't stop her from cultivating, it merely sealed her strength, allowing her to use only the power of an ordinary child. Without sufficient strength, he couldn't possibly protect a talent as heaven-defying as Xiao Xue's. If someone with ill intent discovered this, Mo Qiannian could well imagine the bloody storm that would follow. Some incredibly powerful old monsters delight in seizing the bodies of those with extraordinary talent. Especially those ancient fiends who after their bodies perished linger on as mere souls. After Mo Qiannian finished setting up the seal, Xiao Xue opened her beautiful large eyes, looked at him, and blinked a few times. Brother, am I dreaming? Xiao Xue closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, Mo Qiannian's handsome face was still before her. Of course not all of this is real. Mo Qiannian gently tapped her nose, finding her utterly adorable. Having you by my side, brother, makes me feel so happy. Xiao Xue hugged him tightly, on the verge of tears. 12 hours ago she had been shivering in the cold wind, hungry and destitute. Now 12 hours later she was dressed in fine clothes, lying in a warm bed with a big brother to protect her. Sunlight bathed the earth as Mo Qiannian stood in the courtyard watching Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing accompany Xiao Xue at breakfast. He smiled faintly, then turned his gaze skyward and began his cultivation. He had just closed his eyes and circulated his spiritual energy once through his body when a single breath later, he snapped his eyes open, staring at his hands in utter disbelief. His physical body had undergone a massive enhancement overnight. The raw force of his body had surged from 960,000 jin to a full 970,000 jin. At this moment his shock was even greater than when Xiao Xue had directly entered the Hotian first layer. The stronger the physical body, the higher the soul power, and the more Dao platforms one can construct. As a reborn soul, his spiritual power was sufficient, but the strength of his body at 960,000 jin was inadequate to support the construction of an 8th Dao platform. Upon entering the Qiannian realm, physical strength could be increased tenfold, reaching 100,000 jin. At the Qiannian great perfection, one's physical strength could reach a full 800,000 jin. But this was not the limit. Prodigies could continue to break through, shattering the perfection, pushing the limits until they reached the ultimate force of 999,999 jin. In other words, building one's foundation with 800,000 jin allowed for the construction of a single Dao platform. With 825,000 jin, one was qualified to build 2 Dao platforms. From then on, for every additional 25,000 jin of force, one could build another Dao platform. Previously, Mo Qiannian's pure physical strength alone was only 960,000 jin. This seemed terrifying enough to instantly kill an ordinary Qiannian great perfection expert, but it was sufficient for 7 Dao platforms, yet far from enough for 8. Forcibly constructing an 8th platform would only cause his physical body to collapse, leading to his demise. As the chief senior brother of Tianshui sword sect, he had access to considerable cultivation resources. But the items required to enhance his current physical strength were of an unimaginable rarity and value. After reaching 800,000 jin, every single step forward was incredibly arduous. His achievement of 960,000 jin was not only due to his own formidable talent, but also due to the sect's heavy investment. The Tianshui sword sect truly owed him nothing. They had given him the highest level of cultivation support. With a foundation of 7 Dao platforms, he would never surpass Xiaoyan and would eventually be trampled under his feet. Xiaoyan's foundation was built on at least 8 Dao platforms, perhaps even 9. But now his own physical strength had reached 970,000 jin. Although 970,000 jin was still slightly short of what was needed to construct the 8th Dao platform, it at least granted him the qualification to attempt it. But what shocked Qiannian the most was the sheer amount of resources required to increase his strength by 10,000 jin. Even the Tianshui sword sect would struggle to bear such a cost. From the Qiannian Great Perfection onwards, every tiny improvement required resources that increased exponentially. The resources needed for this jump from 960 to 970,000 jin were double all the resources he had consumed in his life combined. Even if the entire Yin city were sold off, it wouldn't amount to a tenth of that value. I know of a rare treasure in the capital of the Great Chu Empire that can enhance physical strength, which was obtained by Qiannian in my past life. I thought I'd have to pay a great price to get it, but I never expected. However, Qiannian felt no excitement. His greatest confusion was why had his physical strength increased out of thin air. After pondering for a moment, his gaze settled on Xiao Shui, who was in the pavilion nearby. Could this inexplicable increase of 10,000 jin of force be connected to her? Furthermore, Xiao Shui's sudden entry into the Hotian realm last night was a miracle in itself. I'm just a little short now. I can build the 8th Dao platform. A strange light flickered in Qiannian's eyes. A foundation of 7 Dao platforms made one a peerless prodigy in the several empires surrounding the Great Chu Empire. But in the entire northern domain, it was only considered top tier, not truly peerless. This was because within the 3 great super sects of the northern domain, there were true peerless prodigies who had built 8 Dao platforms. If he could construct 8 Dao platforms, he would instantly become one of the strongest prodigies in the northern domain. And the Tianshui sword sect would gain fame throughout the entire region. And now the 8 Dao platforms were right before his eyes. At the Shao family's back mountain, Qiannian bare-chested was repeatedly slamming his body against a massive boulder. My good disciple, physical strength is the very foundation of foundation establishment. Tempering it now is far easier than doing so after reaching the Qiannian Great Perfection. With a solid foundation, your progress will be swift. Your goal should be the ultimate foundation of 9 Dao platforms to walk the path of the strongest prodigy. Master a 9-platform foundation is a mere legend on the dragon-soaring continent. Qiannian was shocked once more. In his eyes, Qiannian was already the strongest prodigy he could look up to, and even he could only build 7 platforms. 9 platforms? What kind of heaven-defying monster was that? My disciple, widen your horizons. Don't limit yourself to the dragon-soaring continent. The vast starry sky, the countless races. That is your future stage. 9 Dao platforms are just the basic foundation. Which of those prodigies qualified to step into the starry sky didn't start with at least 9 platforms? Back in the day, even a servant of mine had a 9-platform foundation. A mere Qiannian, I judge he can build at most 7 platforms. A character like that wouldn't have even been worthy of carrying my shoes in the past. Your servant had a 9-platform foundation. Qiannian's eyes widened. In that moment, he felt that Qiannian was nothing special after all. Master, rest assured. I will definitely defeat Qiannian, use him as my stepping stone to ascend to the pinnacle of the heavens, and then resurrect you. The strength of my physical body. 975000 Jin. Upon waking once more in his bed, Qiannian's first act was to sense his own condition. Another increase of 5,000 Jin. Though it's half of yesterday's gain, the resources required were no less. Qiannian was profoundly astonished. He gazed at Xiao Shui, who lay sleeping soundly in his arms, and was almost certain of it. His physical enhancement was related to her. Qiannian began to search his memories, the millennium of knowledge from his past life, seeking an explanation for this miracle. Could it be a special constitution? Qiannian's gaze settled on the snow lotus mark on Xiao Shui's forehead, recalling the legends of the Peerless Empress. Legend told that the Peerless Empress possessed a unique constitution whose heaven-defying talent propelled her from obscurity to become the most formidable prodigy across the vast starry sky. Her astonishing comprehension and monstrous aptitude shocked all races across the myriad heavens. Her constitution was known as the celestial spirit body. Yet this remained merely a legend. The Empress never acknowledged possessing a special constitution, and the celestial spirit body had never appeared in the world. It was simply a speculated ultimate physique. Consequently, this legend was known to few. Qiannian knew of it only because, like the Empress, he hailed from the Dragon-Sur continent. After the Empress's ascension, she spent time on the Dragon-Sur continent, leaving behind tales of her own. Could it be? This legend is true. The world held many constitutions. Peerless prodigies paired with exceptional physiques could sweep across the heavens and claim dominion as kings among talents. Among these constitutions were powerful combat-focused ones like the Thunder Spirit Body, 5 Elements, Saint Body, and Chaos Body. There were also supportive ones like the Profound Spirit Body, Earth Spirit Body, and Heaven Spirit Body. Combat spirit bodies were common, but supportive ones were rare. The effects of a supportive spirit body were overwhelmingly potent. Even a profound spirit body holder could double another's comprehension. An earth spirit body could triple comprehension. The pinnacle, the heaven spirit body, could multiply it by fivefold. Comprehension was useless for low-level cultivators, but once one entered the transcendent realm, cultivation speed depended entirely on it. The higher the comprehension, the deeper the understanding of the Tao. It was from this point that the true gap between prodigies began to widen. The heaven spirit body was exceedingly rare, appearing perhaps once in 10 millennia. Should one emerge, it would inevitably attract the attention of invincible prodigies across the heavens. Assisting an ordinary person was naturally far less valuable than assisting a peerless prodigy. For the supportive effect of a spirit body could only apply to one person, achievable through a soul bond or dual cultivation. However, some speculated that the fivefold limit was not absolute. Just as one transcends from Qiannian to Qiannian and from Qiannian to foundation establishment, each major realm breakthrough represented a tenfold increase. Legends also held that the amplification limit of sovereign grade techniques was tenfold. From this, it was deduced that a supreme supportive constitution capable of enhancing comprehension tenfold must exist, surpassing the heaven spirit body. It was named the celestial spirit body. With tenfold comprehension, even an ordinary person could become a peerless prodigy. And a peerless prodigy with such amplification could even aspire to become the ultimate prodigy sovereign. Yet this constitution had never been recorded in history. The Empress was rumored to possess it because her talent was simply unimaginably heaven-defying. Her rise was swifter than anyone could conceive, her defiance of heaven exceeding the imagination of even the sovereigns of the myriad heavens. While her peers were still contending for saintly positions, the Empress had already attained emperorship unmatched under heaven. Even the prodigy sovereigns who suppressed their own eras seemed utterly dim in her presence. I suppose I've stumbled upon a treasure. Watching Xiao Shui's obedient sleeping posture, Qiannian yearned to kiss her rosy cheek. With a physical strength of 9750 gene, he was fully capable of building 8 Dao platforms and becoming a peerless prodigy of the northern domain. Though it gets harder to improve with Xiao Shui here, I can effortlessly reach 9850 gene of colossal strength, a mere step away from the 99050 gene pinnacle. At the ultimate limit of 999999 gene, I can build 9 Dao platforms, which would grant me the qualification to contend for the path of the strongest prodigy. At that moment, a gleam of divine light and profound longing erupted within Qiannian's eyes. That was a stage he had never approached in his past life. To battle the prodigies of all heavens, what supreme honor that would be. He suppressed the urge to immediately establish his foundation, desiring instead to strive for the pinnacle of the Qiannian realm and build a perfect set of 9 Dao platforms. Brother, good morning. As Qiannian was lost in thought, Xiao Shui's soft voice rang out. Good morning, Xiao Shui. Qiannian smiled, gently stroking Xiao Shui's hair. The adorable girl was clinging to his waist, her face buried against his chest, greedily savoring the warmth. Xiao Shui wants a hug from brother. All right, brother, we'll hug you. Qiannian laughed, holding Xiao Shui close. His mood was exceptionally bright, and the source of his joy was none other than Xiao Shui herself. Brother, you promised to teach me cultivation. When can I start? You can begin right now, Xiao Shui. But remember brother's warning, never cultivate in front of outsiders. What about Sister Bai and Sister Qing? They, like me, are not outsiders. The days that followed were simple and unadorned. Thanks to Qiannian's earlier announcement of seclusion, no one disturbed them for several days. Within his courtyard, he and Xiao Shui savored a rare period of tranquility. My physical strength has reached 9800 gene. Xiao Shui's assistance is waning. The path ahead, I must walk alone. In the room, Qiannian felt the fluctuations within his body, as if he were still dreaming. In just a few short days, leaping from 9600 to 9800 gene of force felt utterly fantastical. The resources required for such a leap could only be mustered with the full strength of the entire Heavenly Water Sword sect. But with so many disciples and elders, and he was not the sole core disciple, it was impossible to funnel all resources to him alone. This was precisely why across the entire northern domain, there were only 3 peerless prodigies, with 8 Dao platforms, 1 in each of the 3 super sects. If it were so easy, why wouldn't those super sects simply nurture a few more? It was because the required resources were unimaginable. Even super sects could not bear the cost. Though Qiannian harbored ambitions of building 9 Dao platforms, he also understood the immense difficulty of that final step. Building one's foundation with 9 Dao platforms was a legend-level feat across the entire Dragon Sword continent, perhaps only achievable within the sole holy land of the central region. The Great Chu imperial capital. It seems I must make a trip there. With my current strength, my odds against that Xiao Yan are 10-0. 10 for me, 0 for him. A faint confident smile curled at the corner of Qiannian's mouth. In his past life, Xiao Yan had desperately improved his strength, yet had only managed to reach around 9800 gene. In terms of raw power, Qiannian was his equal. But his strength was truly his own, while Xiao Yan's would only wane the longer they fought. The victor was destined to be him. So what if his opponent possessed a saint-grade cultivation method? In his past life, he had a royal-grade method. Although a royal-grade method was far inferior to a saint-grade one at the Qiannian realm, neither could unleash their true, earth-shattering potential. At the Qiannian realm, there was simply no discernible difference in performance between a royal-grade and a saint-grade method. With 7 days remaining, it's time to begin cultivating the method from my past life. With my prior knowledge, 7 days is enough to grasp a sliver of its power, more than sufficient to defeat Qiannian. Brother Qiannian, you're back, but you didn't come to find Yinner. Yinner is so sad. A somewhat aggrieved voice sounded from outside the door. Though the voice was pleasant to hear, it carried a cloying, coquettish tone that sent shivers down one's spine. Shortly after, a heavily made-up young girl stepped into his room. After her adornments, the girl was indeed quite beautiful, at least within Yin City. She possessed a countenance of the highest order. If not for the overwhelming scent of rouge and powder that clung to her, Qiannian might have regarded her with a hint more respect. As soon as the girl entered and saw Qiannian, a flicker of surprise lit up her eyes, and a faint blush crept across her cheeks. Brother Qiannian, come play with Yinner. The girl walked over, attempting to take Qiannian's hand, but he evaded her touch with an imperceptible movement. Gazing at the girl who was his nominal sister, Qiannian's expression remained utterly unchanged. He said coldly, "Did you not know my rule? You are not to step into my room without my permission." A flicker of astonishment appeared in the girl's eyes, but her expression shifted quickly, her face soon adopting a look as if she were about to burst into tears. "Brother Qiannian, you weren't like this to Yinner before. Why don't you like Yinner anymore after returning from the Tianshui sword sect?" Qiannian paid the girl before him no mind whatsoever. In fact, a trace of disgust flickered in his eyes. He let out a cold snort and said, "I'll give you 3 breaths to leave this place, or else don't blame me for throwing you out." "Brother Qiannian, you." 1 breath left. "While Brother Qiannian is bullying Yinner, I'm going to tell father." Startled by the look in Qiannian's eyes, the girl burst into tears and ran out, looking utterly wronged. However, after she was a few dozen meters away from Qiannian's room, the aggrieved expression on her face vanished, instantly replaced by a look of fury. "Qiannian, just because you have some power, now don't think you can forget the nurturing the family has given you." After venting her anger, the girl recalled Qiannian's celestial, immortal-like features, and a blush once again suffused her cheeks. "Still, he's getting more handsome by the day, far more so than that so-called young Master Shao. He's also a renowned prodigy of the great Chu Empire. Father keeps urging me to win him over. Seems I'll have to make an effort. Zian, if you can win him over, your future will be bright." Back in the room, after Zian had left, a sneer curled at the corner of Qiannian's mouth. Zian was the daughter of Qingtian, close in age to Qiannian, yet she always called him brother. Zian wasn't a truly wicked person, but she had one trait that disgusted Qiannian. She was extremely money-worshipping and rather petty-minded. She would gravitate towards whoever held the highest status and possessed the greatest talent. Now, with Qiannian's unparalleled talent, she was desperate to stake her claim on him completely. In his past life, after his defeat at the hands of Qiannian, Zian had immediately shifted her attentions to Qiannian. Unfortunately, Qiannian wasn't a man of responsibility like Qiannian. Faced with such an offering delivered right to his door, he took his fill and then callously abandoned her. It was a joke. Qiannian was someone destined to tread the stars. How could he ever set his sights on a common vulgar woman from a small place? His ambitions were set on the holy maidens of the heavens and the princesses of the imperial clans. All in all, Zian held no great enmity with Qiannian, and as for her fate, that was a choice she had made for herself. Late-stage postnatal realm, 2nd level. As night fell, when Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing brought the little girl Xiao Shui, who had been cultivating all day, washed and dressed before Qiannian, he was once again astounded. What kind of terrifying talent was this? 7 days to go from 0 to the 2nd level of the postnatal realm. At this rate would she achieve the innate realm by the age of 8. Qiannian recalled that he had entered the innate realm at 13 and was hailed as a peerless prodigy of the great Chu Empire, entering the Tianshui sword sect without an examination. Compared to Xiao Shui, what was his own talent worth? Or rather, what were those peerless prodigies with their 8 Dao platforms in the northern territories compared to her? But then, remembering that Xiao Shui was destined to be the invincible female emperor of the heavens, such performance was only to be expected. After I defeat that Qiannian, I must immediately head to the imperial capital, obtain that strange treasure, construct 9 Dao platforms, and step into the transcendent realm as soon as possible. Only then will I be qualified to protect Xiao Shui. Once I enter the transcendent realm with the accumulation from my past life, my cultivation will surge forward by leaps and bounds. Brother Xiao Shui learned 2 sword techniques today. Xiao Shui joyfully pounced into Qiannian's arms, her adorable expression clearly seeking praise. "Xiao Shui is amazing. Mo Qiannian scooped Xiao Shui up and lifted her high into the air. Xiao Shui giggled with pure delight. Young Master Qiannian Xiaoqing and I have also broken through to the 7th level of the postnatal realm. Xiao Bai spoke up from the side, her tone laced with excitement as well. Very good. Don't be stingy with the resources I give you. Take the pills you need to take, soak in the spiritual herbs you need to soak in. When you run out, I have more here. Reaching the innate realm as soon as possible is the best way you can repay me. Yes, young Master Qiannian. Xiao Bai and Xiaoqing acknowledged the order, then quietly withdrew. Watching the two women leave, Mo Qiannian looked at the little darling in his arms, then glanced at the sky. Xiao Shui, you go to sleep first. Brother will sleep a bit later. Brother, go ahead and do what you need to do, but Xiao Shui wants the first thing she sees when she opens her eyes to be you. After 7 days together, Xiao Shui had become increasingly attached to Mo Qiannian, and the smiles on her face were growing more and more frequent. All right, brother will carry Xiao Shui to bed then. Mo Qiannian carried Xiao Shui gently, placing her into the blankets, then smilingly tapped her little nose. Brother, close your eyes. Just as Mo Qiannian was about to leave, Xiao Shui suddenly spoke up, her bright big eyes blinking like a little angel's. All right. Mo Qiannian naturally closed his eyes. He would always grant any request Xiao Shui made. Xiao Shui looked at her brother's handsome features, then slowly leaned in and planted a gentle kiss on his forehead. Good night, brother. Feeling the soft touch on his forehead, Mo Qiannian opened his eyes to find Xiao Shui already hiding under the covers, pulling them over her head. This little girl. Mo Qiannian touched his forehead and let out a soft chuckle at the shy hidden Xiao Shui. He wondered what she would think when the female emperor eventually ruled the world and recalled the memories of her childhood. The night deepened. Mo Qiannian sat at the table leisurely sipping tea, as if waiting for someone. On the bed, Xiao Shui was already fast asleep, sleeping soundly, with a faint smile on her lips, clearly in the middle of a pleasant dream. A short while later, a faint rustling sound came from outside the room. Moments after, the door to Mo Qiannian's room was quietly pushed open by someone. Under the moonlight, Mo Qiannian, clad in a revealing nightgown, her cheeks flushed, gazed at Mo Qiannian with a look full of amorous intent. Mo Qiannian had clearly dressed with great care, carrying a faint scent of flowers. Combined with her rather pleasing features, she was remarkably alluring under the moonlight. Especially her nightgown, which was half open and half undone, revealing large expanses of snow-white skin. Even her proud peaks, partially veiled by the sheer fabric, were tantalizingly visible. Coupled with her seductive gaze and provocative demeanor, almost any man would find it impossible to resist. Looking at this scene, Mo Qiannian's expression remained utterly unchanged. This matched his memories from his past life perfectly. Brother Qiannian, Yenner likes you. Do you want Yenner? Mo Qiannian sauntered over gracefully, revealing even more with each step. Her breath was sweet and her voice was laden with an incredibly alluring spring-like charm. Any other man would likely have transformed into the most ferocious beast, devouring the delicacy before them bit by bit. But Mo Qiannian was no longer the naive young man of his past life. 1,000 years of experience had brought him into contact with far too many people and events. He had seen the noble holy maiden of the Tai Holy Land, witnessed the supreme figure of the peerless female emperor, laid eyes on the daughter of the heavenly emperor in her flowing white garments. Are you done speaking? If you're done, you can get lost. Mo Qiannian gave her a brief, indifferent glance before looking away. Mo Qiannian's expression became a spectacle to behold. Why was this not going according to the script she had envisioned? Wasn't Mo Qiannian supposed to be seduced by her charms, falling completely under her control? Brother Qiannian, how can you bear to treat me this way? Mo Qiannian put on an utterly wronged expression, then deliberately let her nightgown slip, revealing the snow-white skin beneath. But Mo Qiannian was faster, as if he had anticipated this. The instant Mo Qiannian's nightgown began to fall, he grabbed her nightgown and all and tossed her out of the room. Bang! The door to Mo Qiannian's room slammed shut. Mo Qiannian, lying on the grass outside, was dazed and confused, unable to comprehend how things had come to this. Back in the room, a faint smile appeared on Mo Qiannian's face. If not for the fact that the Mo family had raised him for 5 years, he would have left long ago. The Yin City Grand Competition would be his final act of assistance to the Mo family. Once the competition was over, he would have no further connection to them. In his past life, Mo Qiannian had used her feminine wiles to seduce him, and then Mo Qiannian would have accidentally caught them, with a few elders attempting to bind Mo Qiannian to the Mo family forever. In the following days, everyone in the Mo family would learn of Mo Qiannian's supposed affection for Mo Qiannian. But then at the Yin City Grand Competition, Mo Qiannian was defeated by Xiao Yan, and the rumors within the Mo family instantly changed their tune. The story shifted from Mo Qiannian likes Mo Qiannian to Mo Qiannian abusing his position as the head disciple of the Tianshui sword sect forced Mo Qiannian to become his woman. Coincidentally, Xiao Yan and Mo Qiannian were at odds. Displeased with such an act of coercion, Xiao Yan fancied himself a hero saving a damsel in distress, and thus he smoothly integrated himself into the Mo family. Qiannian found it impossible to defend himself. People respected him because he was a peerless prodigy. But once he was defeated, and by the waste of the Shao family at that, his halo dissipated, and how many would believe his words? This nearly shattered his Dao heart. During his foundation establishment, he had been secure in constructing 7 Dao platforms, but it ended in failure, and he could only construct 6. This was the very reason for his intense disgust with the Mo family, their utterly snobbish and self-serving demeanor. The Mo family raised me for 5 years, that is the cause. Now I repay the Mo family with 1,000-fold resources and add the position of Yan City Lord on top of that. This is the effect. Once this cause and effect is settled, Mo Qiannian will simply be Mo Qiannian, no longer the Mo Qiannian of the Mo family of Yan City. In the grand square of Yan City, the disciples of the 3 great clans, the Shao, Mo, and Ouyang families, each occupied their own territory. Behind them, thousands of Yan City's most prominent figures gathered to witness the grand competition. The Yan City Grand Competition, held once every decade, offered the victorious clan the honor of ruling the city for the next 10 years. The previous champion was the Ouyang clan. Yet this year, in the eyes of countless citizens, the Mo clan was deemed the undisputed sovereign, all thanks to the existence of Mo Qiannian, a prodigy who reached the innate realm at 13, the head disciple of the Heavenly Water Sword sect, and a peerless genius of the great Chu Empire. Each of these titles weighed heavily upon the young talents of Yan City, suffocating their ambitions. An empire-level genius was for a city like Yan a force beyond all comparison, a true suppression from a higher realm. Consequently, when Mo Qiannian and his entourage arrived, they were met with an overwhelmingly enthusiastic welcome. Even the current city lord, Ouyang Sun, treated the Mo clan with the utmost courtesy. Look, the Mo clan patriarch has arrived. He's one of Yan City's top powerhouses of being beyond the foundation establishment stage. But which one is the Millennium Prodigy? None of the young men behind Mo Qiannian seemed to fit the description. Nonsense. Someone of Millennium Prodigy's stature wouldn't waste time on the preliminaries. He's guaranteed a spot in the top 6. Good heavens. This is the first time in Yan City's history that such an exception has been made. No draw required, straight into the top 6. Incredible. Look at who he is. He broke the Empire's training records. A 13-year-old at the innate realm. How many geniuses in our city can even reach the innate realm by 20? The Millennium Prodigy sweeping the competition shouldn't be a problem this time. The Mo clan's influence is bound to expand. If Mo Qiannian's cultivation advances another step, he might even be in theft as a marquis. Within a decade, the Millennium Prodigy will surely transcend the mundane. Our Yan City is about to produce a figure of great renown, perhaps even a king. Mo Qiannian's face was wreathed in smiles, and the elders of the Mo clan behind him were equally beaming. Having produced a talent like Mo Qiannian, they felt nothing but immense pride. Brother Qiannian, your Mo clan is truly fortunate. Ouyang Sun said, stepping forward to greet him. He knew that soon he would no longer be the city lord. Mo Qiannian was already the destined successor. Brother Ouyang, I must thank you for your support of our clan over the years. Without it, we wouldn't be where we are today, Mo Qiannian replied, cheerfully shaking Ouyang Sun's hand. The two old foxes exchanged pleasantries. Has the true dragon of your clan, the Millennium Prodigy, not accompanied you, eh? Ouyang Sun inquired, glancing behind Mo Qiannian and failing to spot Mo Qiannian. No rush, no rush. I've already notified Nyener. He will arrive when the finals begin, Mo Qiannian assured him. As the Mo clan took their seats, another stir rippled through the square. The Shao clan, one of the 3 great families, had arrived. Patriarch Shao Shan wore a cold expression as he led 3 young men behind him, one of whom was Shao Yan. As the Shao clan appeared, the murmurs of the crowd shifted instantly, causing Shao Shan's face to darken further. Look, that boy with his head down is the infamous waist 3rd young master of the Shao clan, Shao Yan. Who hasn't heard of the Shao clan's waist 3rd young master? But what is he doing here? Competing? How ridiculous. A good-for-nothing who hasn't even reached the Haute Eon realm coming to compete. Is he here to make a fool of himself? Hey, I heard there's a girl named Shao Sierra in the Shao clan. She's incredibly gifted, having just broken through to the innate realm, and she's also the most beautiful woman in Yan City. Why isn't she here? It wouldn't matter if she were. The Millennium Prodigy is rumored to have already reached the peak of the innate realm. A peak innate cultivator is a top 10 powerhouse in all of Yan City. What? I thought he was only at the late innate stage. He's already at the peak. What's the point of this competition then? Even if all the young talents of Yan City teamed up, they wouldn't stand a chance against him. Listening to the crowd's chatter, Shao Shan remained expressionless, a faint trace of mockery flashing in his eyes. He knew the true extent of Shao Yan's power. This time he would prove to everyone in Yan City that his son Shao Yan was no waste. Though Shao Yan kept his head lowered, he seemed utterly indifferent to the crowd's ridicule. Why would a true dragon in the heavens care about the chatter of ants on the ground? The auspicious hour has arrived. Let the competition begin. According to established rules, each of the 3 great clans will dispatch 10 geniuses under the age of 30, making a total of 30 participants. The victorious clan shall inherit the title of Yen City's premier family for the next term. With each clan appointing a referee, the grand competition officially commenced. Each clan fielded 10 members, but this year was an exception. Qiannian was not counted among the Mo clan's 10. The first round was a chaotic free-for-all among the 30 from which only 10 victors would emerge. In other words, this round was a test of the clan's overall strength. With exactly 10 members per clan, the stronger the clan's collective power, the more individuals would advance. History had even witnessed a single clan monopolizing the entire top 10. The second round would see the 10 reduced to 5, and with Qiannian's addition, that would make 6. The third round would then pit these 6 against each other to determine the top 3. The fourth round would decide the third-place finisher, followed by a final showdown for the championship. As the competition began, 10 young talents each stepped forward from the Mo and Ouyang clans. The young prodigies of the 3 great clans were all at least at the 8th level of the Hotian realm, with the most exceptional among them having reached the innate realm. For instance, excluding Qiannian, the strongest of the Mo clan's 10 was Lei, who was at the 2nd level of the innate realm. Below him were 2 more innate cultivators, while the remaining 7 were all at the 9th level of the Hotian realm. The Ouyang clan was slightly weaker, lacking a 2nd level innate expert. They still had 3 innate cultivators, but one of their members was only at the peak of the 8th Hotian level. Across all of Yen City's young talents, only about 10 had reached the innate realm, with the strongest being at the 2nd level. This stark contrast highlighted the sheer magnitude of Qiannian's achievement of reaching the innate realm at 13. Remember, the age limit for these young talents was 30. What realm would Qiannian have reached by the age of 30? Yen City is still too small. From a rooftop, a figure in white robes, Qiannian held Xiao Shui in his arms and gazed at the crowd in the square, shaking his head gently. Among all the young generation in Yen City, except for the deeply hidden Xiao Yen, no one could withstand even a single move from him. Xiao Yen, are you finally going to make your move? What's going on? In the grand square, everyone's attention turned to the Xiao clan's direction. The infamous waste, the Xiao clan's 3rd young master Xiao Yen, was walking out alone. Is that waste actually going up to compete? Isn't he afraid of being killed by the shockwaves? How strange, he's going up alone. What's he playing at? At that moment, not only were the spectators bewildered, but even the 2 old foxes, Mo Chintan and Ouyang Sun, were taken aback. The 2 old foxes exchanged a glance, seeing the confusion in each other's eyes. Boom. The next instant, a powerful aura erupted from Xiao Yan's body, cracking the hard stone floor beneath his feet. The innate realm. At that moment, countless onlookers widened their eyes in disbelief. How could Xiao Yan, the infamous waste of Yen City, be an innate powerhouse? Impressive. His aura is only at the peak of the 1st innate level, but the quality of his spiritual energy rivals that of the 5th innate level. Ouyang Sun was shocked. Xiao Yan's talent far exceeded all their expectations. At 16 already in the innate realm, with spiritual energy quality comparable to the 5th level. Were it not for Qiannian, Xiao Yan would undoubtedly be Yen City's #1 prodigy. Still, his combat power is only at the 3rd innate level. Niner is at the peak of the innate realm and could break through to foundation establishment at any time. He's nothing to worry about. After a moment of surprise, Mo Chintan let out a light chuckle, though a shadow of gloom flickered in his eyes. Qiannian's attitude towards the Mo clan was less than favorable. If Xiao Yan were to rise, how would their clan cope? Xiao Yan looked at the 20 young geniuses in the arena, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth. He extended a single hand, sweeping it across each of them. Don't waste any time. All of you come at me together. Xiao Yan stood alone, facing 20 opponents, preparing to challenge them all at once. The aura of the innate realm radiated from him, shocking countless onlookers. The famed good-for-nothing of the Xiao family was actually at the innate realm. How could this be? Unless Xiao Yan had been feigning incompetence all along. Though puzzled by Xiao Yan's deception, the 20 prodigies from the Mo and Ouyang families on the stage were filled with fury. Did he really think he could challenge all 20 of them alone? Xiao Yan, do you think you're Qiannian? At the 1st level of the innate realm, you dare challenge all of us? A prodigy from the Ouyang family at the innate realm stepped forward, staring at Xiao Yan with cold disdain. If young Master Qiannian said that, we would have no retort, but who do you think you are? Mo Lei, a prodigy of the 2nd level of the innate realm from the Mo family, sneered, his gaze fixed on Xiao Yan with clear hostility. How could these favored children of heaven speak courteously to someone they regarded as a notorious waste? We'll only know after we fight, won't we? Xiao Yan maintained a calm exterior, but inwardly he was anxious. Master, can I really defeat this many? There are 6 at the innate realm, including 1 at the 2nd level. A little Yan, these people are nothing special. Their techniques amplify their power by about 1. 2 times while yours amplifies it a full 3 times. If you can't even handle these, how do you plan to deal with Qiannian? Technique amplification: the higher one's talent, and the stronger the technique, the more terrifying the amplification multiplier. Below the transcendent realm, the maximum amplification is threefold. Both Qiannian and Qiannian had reached this limit. This was why a powerful prodigy at the first level of the innate realm could challenge an expert at the 4th level. Of course, that was only if said expert wasn't themselves a peerless prodigy. Qiannian, are you certain the Shao family is only sending you? The elder from the Ouyang family, serving as referee, spoke. He was a powerful figure at the great perfection of the innate realm, and his words immediately hushed the surrounding crowd. I am certain, Qiannian declared, his demeanor still calm. Very well, let it begin. The Mo family referee sneered, inwardly amused at the Shao family's apparent suicidal move. Begin. Boom. All 20 prodigies from Yin City unleashed their auras simultaneously, converging to press down upon Qiannian. Qiannian clenched his fist, activating his threefold amplification, and charged directly at the prodigy from the Mo family, who was at the 2nd level of the innate realm. Those at the acquired realm were mere fodder to him, unable to harm him in the slightest. Among those at the innate realm, each level represented a vast difference in power. 1 at the 2nd level was equivalent to 3 at the 1st level. Fight! The Mo family prodigy refused to back down, engaging in a tangled melee with Qiannian alongside several other innate realm experts from his side. They are no match for him. Qiannian's current strength is enough to defeat an ordinary cultivator at the 4th level of the innate realm. It's time for me to act. Watching the chaotic battle, Qiannian shook his head slightly. He then handed Xiao Shui to Xiao by beside him, telling them to return, and leaped down from his vantage point, gliding hundreds of meters through the air towards the Grand Plaza. Haha, master, I'm this strong. Qiannian fought with increasing ferocity, enjoying his first uninhibited battle in the 10 years he had been suppressing his power. Only 3 opponents remained on the stage. The rest had been sent flying off the platform by a single punch from Qiannian, writhing on the ground in agony before being taken away by their respective families. Watching Qiannian grow stronger with each clash, Qiannian crushed a teacup in his hand, his face turning terrifyingly dark. Those who had previously mocked Qiannian as a waste now stared with wide, incredulous eyes. Boom! Qiannian unleashed 2 consecutive punches, sending the 2 innate realm 1st level experts flying. Now besides Qiannian, only Mo Lei, the 2nd level innate realm expert from the Mo family, remained on the stage, barely holding on. But it was clear he was badly injured. His defeat was only a matter of time. So who was the real waste? Qiannian's expression turned cold as he gathered all his power into a single devastating strike aimed at the Mo family prodigy. He couldn't block it. Mo Lei broke out in a cold sweat. Qiannian's attack carried the force of a 4th level innate realm strike. Defeat at the hands of the Shao family waste was unbearable. Gritting his teeth, he recklessly attempted to withstand the blow head-on. Boom! A single finger suddenly appeared before the Mo family prodigy, effortlessly halting Qiannian's full-powered strike. Why, young Master Qiannian? Mo Lei looked up to see a handsome youth in flowing white robes standing calmly before him. It was Qiannian. His appearance instantly stunned everyone present. His ethereal, otherworldly demeanor caused countless young maidens to blush and gasp for air. A gentleman as elegant as jade, a lord unmatched in this world. Qiannian was the ideal dream lover for every young woman. He was gentle, refined, handsome, and possessed immense talent and power. Qiannian. Qiannian withdrew his fist, his eyes locked onto Qiannian. Because of his years of hiding his strength, he and Qiannian had become the 2 extremes of Yin City. He was the city's #1 waste, and Qiannian was the city's #1 prodigy. Constantly people would juxtapose their names, using the comparison to mock him. Because of this, even though Qiannian had never wronged him, Qiannian had long harbored a burning desire to crush him underfoot. He needed to prove he was not a waste. You are no match for him. Leave this to me. Yes, young Master Qiannian. Teach him a lesson and crush his arrogance. Mo Lei retreated, not forgetting to glare fiercely at Qiannian as he left. Referee, can you announce the result now? Qiannian stared at Qiannian, speaking coldly. I declare Qiannian the victor. The referee elder from the Shao family announced cheerfully and loudly, never having imagined that the 3rd young master he once looked down upon as a waste could be so powerful. For this final match, is it just you, or will your entire Shao family come at once? Qiannian spoke, calmly pointing first at Qiannian, then at the young prodigies seated in the Shao family section. The Shao family, like the Mo family, had 3 innate realm experts, making 4 including Qiannian. But in front of Qiannian, none of them, except perhaps Qiannian, could withstand even a single finger from him. No need. I alone am enough. Qiannian said coldly, stepping aside to communicate with his master. Master, it's up to you now. You must defeat Qiannian and wash away my 10 years of humiliation. Sigh little and steady your mind. Leave it to me. Qiannian narrowed his eyes slightly. He knew that a soul of a fallen powerful being resided within Qiannian. This was the foundation of Qiannian's rise, yet he was not afraid. No matter how powerful he was in life, a fallen soul could only offer limited help to Qiannian. In his past life, he too was a top-tier powerhouse of the continent infinitely close to the Nirvana Emperor realm. The finals begin. The three referee elders all wore grave expressions, for Qiannian's true strength had reached the great perfection of the innate realm. They too were at the great perfection, yet looking at Qiannian, they felt an inexplicable dread. For despite being at the same level, they knew they couldn't survive a single move from him. The surrounding crowd cheered wildly for Qiannian. So what if Qiannian wasn't a waste? So what if he had defeated 20 prodigies? In Yin City, Qiannian was a godlike existence. Qiannian at the first level of the innate realm might be able to contend with the fourth level, but what was that in front of Qiannian at the great perfection? Hearing the crowd's cheers, a cold smirk appeared on Qiannian's lips. He called out to his master in his mind, "Master, now is the time. Lend me your strength to crush Qiannian under my feet. I Qiannian am the true supreme prodigy." Facing Qiannian's full-force punch, Qiannian did not retreat, but chose to clash head-on. Boom. Crack crack. The hard stone floor, capable of withstanding ordinary Qiannian attacks, cracked like a spiderweb spreading outward from the duo at the center. The overwhelming aura stunned the countless onlookers. This was no mere Qiannian duel. Wasn't this the presence of a foundation establishment powerhouse? At this moment, Qiannian and Ouyang Sun, two veteran powerhouses, both shot to their feet, staring in shock. How could Qiannian also be at the peak of Qiannian? Qiannian, today you will fall from your pedestal. Qiannian said coldly, his movements swift as he exchanged blows with Qiannian. Qiannian smiled faintly and said, "To hide your strength for 10 years shows great patience, but unfortunately you have met me." Boom, boom, boom. The attack speed of peak Qiannian geniuses was incredibly fast. Within a few breaths they had exchanged dozens of blows, completely shattering the floor and forming a large pit. The more he fought, the more shocked Qiannian became, and even his teacher noticed something was wrong. How could a force of 9/8 of a 0 gene fail to repel Qiannian? When had Qiannian reached this level? Good lad, he even fooled me. He's not at 9/6 of a 0 gene of force, but 9/8 of 0. Inside Qiannian's mind, his teacher was utterly shocked. Although 9/8 of a 0 gene was only 2,000 more than 9/6 of a 0, the difference in speed and physique was immense. In comparison, the gap was vast. A force of 9/8 of a 0 gene was more than enough to build 8 Dao platforms. A genius of this level was already exceptionally powerful. Qiannian's current physical body could barely withstand this power. Anything more would cause irreversible damage to his future foundation. "Teacher, what should we do?" Qiannian, we've fallen into his trap. He's choosing to clash with you to deplete your strength. Quickly end this swiftly. Use the saint-level technique and push your power to the limit. Boom. They exchanged another powerful palm strike, then Qiannian quickly retreated, creating distance. Qiannian, I admit you are strong, but in the end you will still lose to me. Qiannian laughed heartily as his aura suddenly became several times more terrifying. The air temperature rose, and dozens of fireballs materialized in the void. Qiannian stood atop 2 of them like a flame lord. The saint-level technique, the Taiyang Fun Tianju. Even if Qiannian could only unleash a billionth of its power, it was enough to astound countless people. This power rivals foundation establishment. The several referee elders were terrified and hastily retreated, fearing they'd be caught in the blast. The gap between Qiannian and foundation establishment was immense, yet Qiannian had managed to unleash a foundation establishment level attack from the Qiannian realm. At this moment, even the 3 clan leaders stepped forward, conjuring a protective shield over the arena. 3 top-tier powerhouses above foundation establishment personally oversaw the competition, a first in Yin City's history. Who could have imagined that a duel between juniors would unleash power comparable to foundation establishment? If Qiannian and Qiannian were to step into the foundation establishment realm, Qiannian's expression changed slightly. An 8-platform foundation establishment. Even as a powerhouse above that realm, he couldn't stop it. The gap was too great. He had established his foundation with 2 platforms, and the difference compared to 8 was ineffable. Even though he had transcended foundation establishment, the sheer number of 6 extra platforms could erase the gap between major realms. Watching the fireballs in the sky, Qiannian closed his eyes. Memories of his past life flooded back. That was when he had lost to Qiannian's attack. He had lost utterly without any ability to resist. As the pride of the Tianshui sword sect, his technique amplification was 2/1 times, but with a weaker physique his amplification couldn't match Qiannian's. The defeat was absolute, shattering his Dao heart. But reborn, the outcome was completely reversed. His technique amplification had now reached the pinnacle possible for the Qiannian realm, 3 times. Qiannian, even with a saint-level technique, could only reach a threefold amplification at the Qiantian limit. Lend me your swords. Qiannian opened his eyes, his cold voice echoing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless swords flew uncontrollably into the sky, forming a majestic dragon of sword light that shook the heavens and earth. Then, under the stunned gaze of countless people, these swords floated behind Qiannian, arranged in a perfect circle, forming a sword formation. The imperial-level formation of the Tai Holy Land, the Tai Sword Formation. How is this possible? He's a rare sword formation master. No wonder his spiritual power is so formidable. A shocked, aged voice echoed in Xiaoyan's mind. Sword formation master. What's that? Xiaoyan couldn't help but ask, seeing his teacher alarmed for the first time. A sword formation master is the most offensively powerful type of formation master, said to be invincible at the same level. Xiaoyanzi, we've met our match this time. He's already reached the 100-step flying sword level. His spiritual power is terrifying. What a fearsome junior. The future belongs to them. Ouyang Sun, the strongest in Yin City, couldn't help but sigh. Both Xiaoyan and Qiannian had displayed power that was no longer within the bounds of the Qiantian realm. A threefold amplification was something only a peerless genius with the ultimate force of 999999 gene could achieve in the Qiantian realm. Yet both had managed to reach this level through their formidable trump cards. This battle could be considered a top-tier showdown of the Qiantian realm. Even a clash between two Qiantian ultimate realm prodigies would be no different. Who in the end would win? At this moment, everyone's heart was in their throat, nervously watching the collision of sword and fire. Unfortunately, the quality of these swords is too poor. If they were spirit artifacts, even an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator could be slain. Formation masters in this world stood at the pinnacle, rare, yet immensely powerful. In his past life, he lacked the qualifications to become one. After rebirth, his soul power had increased several-fold, granting him the eligibility to be a true formation master. A formation master's soul power typically exceeded their cultivation by 2 minor realms. Qiannian at the peak of Qiantian possessed soul power that reached the true foundation establishment level. With foundation establishment level soul power coupled with the Tai sword formation, he could slay an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator if the swords were of high quality. Of course, just as formation masters were powerful, peerless geniuses were equally terrifying. With his threefold amplification and the saint-level technique, Xiaoyan had truly reached the might of foundation establishment. Rumble. A colossal collision ensued, and for a moment the entire plaza shook violently as if struck by a major earthquake. Even the protective barrier conjured by the 3 powerhouses above foundation establishment became unstable, showing several cracks. Sword light and flames blazed across the square as the dust of the explosion obscured everyone's vision. All the onlookers could see was the crimson flames surging within the dust and the dazzling sword light slicing down relentlessly. After a long while, the flames and sword light slowly dissipated and the sounds of explosions ceased. Even the astonishing aura began to wane. Everyone waited with bated breath, wondering who had emerged victorious from this ultimate clash. Who won in the end? No need to guess, it must be young Master Qiannian. His strength is real and solid. As for that Xiaoyan, who knows what medicine he took to dare challenge young Master Qiannian? That's not necessarily true. Xiaoyan's pressure just now was truly overwhelming. Could something have happened to young Master Qiannian? Young Master Qiannian will surely win. He has always been the legend of Yinqing. As the dust settled, the scene in the square was revealed. Seeing the floor destroyed beyond recognition, the crowd was utterly horrified. This was no ordinary floor. Even ordinary innate realm experts could not shatter these bluestone tiles. Otherwise, the Yinqing Grand Competition would not be held here. Yet now not a single intact bluestone remained, all reduced to fragments and powder. In the deep pit, 2 figures stood on opposite sides, motionless, seemingly unable to determine a victor for the moment. After a single breath, Xiaoyan spat out a mouthful of black blood, his body swaying before he knelt on one knee. Beside his black robes lay a torn piece of fabric, its edges cut cleanly. In contrast, Qiannian still stood in place, his white attire, as pure as snow, untouched by even a speck of dust. With his physical body strength and technique enhancements all no weaker than Xiaoyan's, how could he possibly lose? Moreover, with a millennium of combat experience from his past life, how could Xiaoyan, a recluse who merely trained behind closed doors, ever compare? You have lost, Xiaoyan. Qiannian said calmly, dozens of long swords hovering around him, radiating majestic grace. Just as in his past life, Xiaoyan had coldly looked at him and said, "You have lost, Qiannian." Swish. Qiannian waved his hand, and the swords returned to their respective owners. For the swords that were destroyed, you may bring the hilts to the family for compensation. At the same time, Qiannian's voice echoed across the grand square. Long live young Master Qiannian. So powerful. That scene of 100 swords flying in unison, my sword was among them. What a pity. If I had known, I would have brought my sword. Having it wielded by young Master Qiannian would have multiplied its value several times over. Even though Qiannian has shed his reputation as a good-for-nothing, how dare he challenge young Master Qiannian? He's just asking for trouble. Indeed, young Master Qiannian is the unparalleled prodigy of our great Chu Empire. How could mere Qiannian dare to provoke him? The murmurs and jeers of the crowd continuously echoed in Qiannian's mind. After 10 years of forbearance, he had thought he could soar to the heavens, but why even with his teacher's guidance and aid had he still lost? Qiannian's eyes gradually turned bloodshot, a glimmer of madness surfacing within them. Teacher, I cannot lose. I must defeat Mo Qiannian. I have to prove that I am not useless. Qiannian, calm down. If you continue like this, you will suffer backlash from the technique. No, teacher, I must defeat Mo Qiannian today, or he will forever become my inner demon. Alas, I underestimated Mo Qiannian's talent. I never imagined he had not only concealed his true strength, but was also a peerless sword formation master. What's most terrifying is that his enhancement multiplier has reached threefold, something only possible at the innate extreme realm. This Mo Qiannian likely has the capital to contend for the innate extreme realm. Qiannian, there will be plenty of time ahead. With my guidance, you will surely surpass Mo Qiannian one day. When you meet him again, you can easily defeat him. No, teacher, I want to defeat him now. I promised Sierra that I would prove myself this time, prove that I am worthy of her. Calm down, Qiannian. You are not his match right now. Retreat for now. The Northern Frontier Prodigy, assembly a year from now, will be your stage to shine. I don't care, teacher. I want to defeat him now, right now. The aged voice fell silent, watching Qiannian's frenzied state, and could not help but let out a soft sigh. Very well, very well. Your body cannot withstand the power of the Foundation Establishment realm, and the innate extreme realm alone is insufficient to defeat Mo Qiannian. I will lend you a portion of my soul power, but afterwards I must slumber for a time. After returning the swords, Mo Qiannian glanced at Qiannian and let out a turbid breath. The first step of fate had already been altered. From this moment onward, like a carp leaping over the dragon gate, the path ahead led to a brighter future. After this battle, he would head to the imperial capital to seek the path to the innate extreme realm. But as he walked, Mo Qiannian's footsteps came to a halt. At his feet, the fragments of rubble began to tremble slightly, then slowly drifted into the air. Soul power. Mo Qiannian turned around only to see Qiannian slowly rising to his feet, his eyes brimming with madness. Mo Qiannian, I have not lost yet. How much spiritual energy do you have left to continue this fight? Qiannian burst into laughter as countless rubble fragments swirled around him, an overwhelming wave of soul power surging outward. Soul power at the Foundation Establishment level. This Qiannian actually still has a hidden card. What kind of power is this? Telekinesis. Isn't that something only transcendent realm experts can do? You are truly ignorant. This Qiannian is also a soul cultivator. Judging by this power, his soul level has likely reached the Foundation Establishment realm. Young Master Qiannian is in danger now. That earth-shattering clash just now must have depleted his spiritual energy. How can he possibly contend with Qiannian now? The surrounding crowd gasped once more, never expecting the competition to take yet another twist. Qiannian was like an indestructible cockroach, revealing one trump card after another. Indeed, my spiritual energy is running low. Mo Qiannian's expression remained calm, almost amused. Comparing soul power with me. Did he not know that I possess a soul power infinitely close to the sovereign realm from my past life? Although limited by his physical body strength, he could only unleash power at the Foundation Establishment level. It was more than enough to handle the current Qiannian. Mo Qiannian, the final victor is me. Qiannian roared, sharpening countless rubble fragments before launching them toward Mo Qiannian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One by one, sharp stone spikes tore through the air, shooting toward Mo Qiannian at incredible speed. Watching the incoming spikes, Mo Qiannian extended his hand, yet no spiritual energy was released to block them. Swish! As the stone spikes approached within 3 feet of Mo Qiannian, they abruptly halted, as if they had encountered an insurmountable barrier. What I excel at, coincidentally, is also soul power. Looking at Qiannian's shocked expression, Mo Qiannian said with a light smile. Uff. The next moment, Mo Qiannian gently clenched his hand, and the stone spikes instantly turned to dust, scattering to the ground. Do you have any other tricks? Mo Qiannian looked at Qiannian indifferently, lightly snapped his fingers, and the long sword behind him flew out. He then rose and stepped onto the sword. Watching Mo Qiannian standing atop the flying sword, Qiannian clenched his fists tightly until blood dripped out. Even with his soul power unleashed, he had still lost. Why did it have to be this way? Why did Yinqing have to produce both him, Qiannian, and Mo Qiannian? Alas, being a sword formation master, how could his soul power be weak? Cultivating both spirit and technique, this Mo Qiannian is qualified to compete for the title of Prodigy King. Little Qiannian is still too inexperienced. On the road of growth, only pressure leaves the deepest and most unforgettable marks. Within Qiannian's spiritual sea, that soul form let out a soft sigh before sinking into slumber. Seeing Qiannian in this state, Qiannian was reminded of something. Had he not been the same in his past life, digging his nails deep into his own flesh? I will wait for you at the Northern Frontier Prodigy Assembly. I hope you can truly fight me with your own strength. With that, Qiannian rode his flying sword and departed from the Grand Square. Whatever happened in Yinxing next was no longer his concern. At the city gate of Yin City, an opulent carriage slowly emerged. Watching the carriage recede into the distance, Qian and the assembled elders of the family wore grim expressions. Moments earlier, Qiannian had declared severance from the family. He had allocated another portion of resources to them and vowed to intervene once should the family ever face a crisis in the future. Despite his reluctance, Qingtan could not detain Qiannian and could only watch as he departed with Xiao Bai, Xiao Qing, and Qinxue. Inside the carriage, Qiannian held Xiao Shui in his arms while Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing sat beside them. He had originally intended for Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing to leave the family and forge their own paths. However, they insisted on staying by Qiannian's side, claiming they wished to care for Xiao Shui. Unable to dissuade them, Qiannian had no choice but to bring them along on their journey to the imperial capital of Great Chu. Thanks to Qiannian's guidance and his willingness to lavish resources upon them, both women had reached the pinnacle of the 7th level of the Hotian realm and were not far from breaking through to the 8th. At 18, being at the peak of the 7th Hotian level was enough to be called a genius in Yin City. But what Qiannian found hardest to accept was that Xiao Shui had broken through to the 3rd level of Hotian just last night. From 0 to the 3rd Hotian level in less than a month. Qiannian found it utterly incomprehensible. Perhaps it could be done if one were 16 in the prime of growth with formidable talent and vast resources. But Xiao Shui was only 6 years old. Although Qiannian had Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing give her daily spirit medicine baths, that alone could not account for such progress. At this rate, Qiannian's lips twitched slightly. Xiao Shui might truly reach the Xiantian realm by the age of 8. Such extraordinary talent left Qiannian deeply humbled. If he did not hasten his own progress, she would surpass him within a few years. Xiao Bai watched over Xiao Shui for a moment. I'll be back shortly. Suddenly, Qiannian's expression shifted slightly. He gently placed the sleeping Xiao Shui into Xiao Bai's arms. He then stepped out of the carriage. A sword flew out from his storage pouch, and with a light leap, he landed upon it, soaring off to the side of the carriage. Typically, one must reach the core formation realm to travel on a magic weapon. However, soul cultivators could achieve this feat merely by reaching the foundation establishment level in their soul cultivation. Above the foundation establishment realm lies the core formation realm, which was the realm Qiantian had reached. Qiannian, having reached the foundation establishment level in his soul cultivation, could therefore traverse the skies on his sword. After flying several thousand meters, Qiannian halted, his gaze fixed on a large tree ahead. Come out. What do you want with me? Qiannian said calmly, but no one answered. Instead, an arrow suddenly shot out from the tree. Crack! Qiannian caught the arrow with one hand, yet the sheer force of the impact drove his flying sword back several meters, causing his expression to gradually harden. Over 1,000,000 gene of force. Such tremendous power. Young Master Qiannian, it's been 3 years. I trust you've been well. A clear, cool female voice rang out. A young woman in a purple dress descended from the tree. The young woman possessed a breathtakingly beautiful countenance. Her long purple hair danced in the wind, and her purple robes clung to her graceful, alluring figure. Her features were exquisitely delicate, bright autumnal eyes, a delicate nose, and cherry lips. Her skin was fairer than snow, making her appear like a celestial maiden, stunningly beautiful and awe-inspiring. This beautiful young woman before him was in no way inferior to the peerless holy maidens Qiannian had seen in his past life. 3 years ago, Xiao Sierra at 13 had not yet fully blossomed, but already possessed a beauty that could topple cities. Now she could truly be described as a heavenly fairy whose beauty could captivate nations. Yet within those beautiful eyes lurked a hint of sharpness and a faint trace of murderous intent. Xiao Sierra, Qiannian said indifferently, as if the celestial maiden before him held no allure whatsoever. His expression remained utterly unperturbed. This surprised Xiao Sierra somewhat. She had expected Qiannian to be dazzled by her beauty, but he hadn't even given her a second glance. This left Xiao Sierra feeling slightly displeased. Could a genius from such a small place have seen a fairy more beautiful than herself? Women were complicated creatures. They detested being stared at, yet when they dressed up beautifully and were ignored, they became angry. Are you here to avenge Xiao Yan? Qiannian said with a faint smile. This Xiao Sierra was Xiao Yan's cousin. What's more, in an even more dramatic twist, the descendant of a saint, the designated holy maiden of the Tai sacred ground, would come to this small Yin city, living as Xiao Sierra of the Xiao family. No, you defeated brother Xiao Yin in a fair fight. I am not one to be unreasonable. Xiao Sierra smiled, circling around Mo Qiannian as she remarked, I never imagined that this small Yin city aside from brother Xiao Yin could produce a genius like you. What exactly do you want? Mo Qiannian frowned, suddenly puzzled by Xiao Sierra's strange behavior. I simply want to tell you that what brother Xiao Yin lost to you here, he will repay twofold. When the time comes, he will defeat you in a fair contest. Then tell him I await the day he challenges me again, and we shall see if the outcome changes. Mo Qiannian said calmly. With that, he turned and flew away on his sword. Whoosh! The next moment, Xiao Sierra appeared eerily before him, blocking his path. Such speed caused Mo Qiannian's pupils to constrict, elevating his assessment of her strength. In his past life, he had only known Xiao Sierra as the holy maiden of the Tai sacred ground, never her true strength. In Yin City, her publicly known cultivation had just recently broken through to the Qiannian realm. This was no mere Qiannian. Mo Qiannian even suspected that Xiao Sierra had already reached the core formation realm. Even a foundation establishment expert would not be so fast that he couldn't react. Is there something else? Mo Qiannian asked with a frown. Even though Xiao Sierra's strength far surpassed his own, he remained neither servile nor overbearing. I just want to tell you one thing, Mo Qiannian. You may possess some talent, but this world is vast. There are countless more talented than you and countless sects stronger than the Tianshui sword sect. Whoosh! Behind Xiao Sierra, 9 pristine, white Dao platforms materialized. In that instant, an overwhelming pressure radiated from her being. At that moment, Xiao Sierra seemed to become a true celestial fairy, her every gesture radiating unparalleled elegance. 9 Dao platforms, a peerless foundation establishment. A prodigy unseen in the entire northern domain, a legendary genius throughout the Dragon's Soar continent, now stood before Mo Qiannian. 7 core formation cultivators encircled Mo Qiannian, their eyes gleaming with varied intentions. These 7 individuals hailed from 5 major powers: the Wind King, the Demon Sect, the Great Jing Empire, the Tianhe Sect, and the Great Xia Empire. Behind each of these figures stood an unfathomably powerful transcendent being. Now all their ambitions converged upon Mo Qiannian. Moreover, the factions backing these cultivators harbored varying degrees of enmity towards the Great Chu Empire. Consequently, a full 5 of the 7 eyed him with murderous intent. The 2 without killing intent were the Blood Demon from the Demon Sect and a 3-thread white pill cultivator from the Tianhe Sect. The Demon Sect ranked among the 3 supreme sects of the northern domain, possessing even deeper foundations than the Tianshui sword sect. Despite the demon in its name, the sect was not an evil organization reveling in slaughter. Rather, its cultivation methods leaned towards the cold and sinister. The Tianhe sect, however, was far less prestigious, merely a first-rate sect in the northern domain, even slightly inferior to the Tianshui sword sect. Yet even so, the sect's strength was not to be underestimated, rivaling that of the Great Chu Empire. In the northern domain, powerful sects far surpassed empires. Mo Qiannian, my master, is an elder of the demon sect, a transcendent being. Having heard of your potential for 8 Dao platforms, I happened to pass by and witness your execution of core formation cultivators. Slaying a 4-thread silver pill expert at the foundation establishment stage, though luck played a part, your talent is in no way inferior to our demon lord's young master. My master has said that if you are willing to join the demon sect, he will ensure your safety. The blood demon's gaze upon Mo Qiannian flickered with an eerie red light. Before Mo Qiannian could respond, old monster Hai's expression turned exceedingly grim. Blood demon Mo Qiannian belongs to the Wind King. You cannot take him. Haha, old monster Hai, do not try to intimidate me with the Wind King. In the northern domain, no one can make the demon sect back down. If you wish for a battle, then I shall oblige. The blood demon laughed heartily, his blood-red eyes burning with intense battle fervor. This only caused old monster Hai's expression to turn even colder, and he shifted his gaze to the other 3 core formation cultivators. Among the other 3, only the elder from the Tianhe sect, a 3-thread white pill cultivator, posed a concern. The other 2, being at the 2-thread white pill level, were not worth worrying about. Old monster Hai, you cannot take Mo Qiannian away. We have our orders to bring him back as well, said the cultivator from the Great Xia Empire, though his tone lacked conviction, as he was the weakest among them. Forget it. I had hoped to forge a good connection, but seeing the current situation, there is no role left for this old man. I shall take my leave. The 3-thread white pill elder from the Tianhe sect, after a moment of hesitation, bade farewell and departed. With old monster Hai and the blood demon present, his presence was indeed superfluous. Meanwhile, the 2-thread white pill cultivators from the Great Jing and Great Xia empires drew closer together, forming a tentative alliance. Being the weakest at only the 2-thread white pill stage, they had little say unless they stood united. This created a three-way standoff with the blood demon on one side. Senior blood demon, you are aware of my current predicament. The initiative does not lie with me. Qiannian said, his face pale, addressing the blood demon. Simultaneously, he sent a secret voice transmission. Senior blood demon, my master is nearby. Please do not get caught up in the ensuing reckoning. Since the blood demon carried no killing intent, Qiannian did not plan to eliminate him. Moreover, he was uncertain if the blood demon possessed other trump cards, for a 3-thread white pill cultivator could make even a 4-thread silver pill expert like Old Monster High cautious. His current strength did not guarantee victory against 2 4-thread silver pill cultivators simultaneously. The blood demon's eyes narrowed slightly. Others might not know Qiannian's master, but hailing from the demon sect, he was well aware. It was the sword god of the Tianshui sword sect, the peerless sword god who had slain a king-level supreme being with a single strike. Old Monster High, I take my leave. Without a moment's hesitation, the blood demon nodded to Qiannian. A blood-colored wheel blade materialized beneath his feet, and he vanished as a streak of crimson light. Seeing the blood demon leave without apparent reason, Old Monster High frowned. In his memory, the blood demon was not one to retreat so easily. Nevertheless, the fewer complications now the better. The sooner he brought Qiannian back, the less chance for chaos to erupt later. After the blood demon's departure, the 2 cultivators from the Great Xia and Great Jing empires instinctively stepped back. Without the blood demon to restrain Old Monster High, they were far outmatched. Yet they remained bound by their master's commands. If Qiannian truly possessed the 8 Dao platforms, he had to die. Both the Great Xia and Great Jing empires were hostile to the Great Chu empire. Certain individuals could not bear to see a peerless prodigy emerge from their rival. You two still refused to retreat. Old Monster High stared coldly at the 2 core formation cultivators from the Great Xia and Great Jing empires. But at that moment, a sudden extreme sense of danger surged within his heart. A fierce sword aura erupted from behind, causing his hairs to stand on end. Old Monster High spun around, his pupils contracting sharply. The sword energy was too fast, its might too overwhelming, instilling a sense of impending death. Old Monster High attempted to dodge, but he was a step too slow. Boom! The sword energy tore through the void, carrying immense momentum, and struck him instantly. A terrifying explosion echoed. The defensive chi barrier around Old Monster High shattered, instantly failing to hold for even a second. He was sent flying backwards, spitting out a torrent of blood. This single sword strike not only destroyed his protective shield, but also pierced straight through his spiritual sea. No. Impossible. Recognizing the attacker, a look of utter disbelief crossed Old Monster High's face before his head lolled to the side lifeless. Killed with a single sword strike. The one who struck was none other than Qiannian. After the blood demon left, he had bided his time, seizing the moment when Old Monster High's attention was fixed on the other 2 cultivators to launch his decisive attack. The sudden turn of events caught the other 4 2-thread white pill cultivators completely off guard. The speed was so extreme that even Old Monster High, a 4-thread silver pill expert, had failed to evade. By the time they registered what had happened, Old Monster High was already dead. The 4 core formation cultivators were utterly horrified. Old Monster High, a 4-thread silver pill cultivator, had been instantly eliminated. What level of strength was the attacker hiding? As they turned, an even more shocking sight greeted them. Qiannian, who had appeared weakened, drenched in blood, and was regarded as a fish on the chopping block, now showed not a single trace of injury. His pristine white robes were spotless, and behind him 9 immaculate, gleaming Dao platforms delivered an overwhelming impact. They finally understood the meaning of impossible in Old Monster High's dying words. How could a peerless foundation establishment with 9 Dao platforms possibly appear here within Qiannian? Run! Without a second thought, they fled. They didn't know exactly how strong a 9-platform foundation establishment was, but if he could instantly kill a 4-thread silver pill expert like Old Monster High, how many moves could the 4 of them at the 2-thread white pill level possibly survive together? Too late to leave now, Qiannian said calmly. Those who sought his death must be prepared to die themselves. For spiritual swords shot forth, transforming into 4 beams of light that instantly caught up with the scattering white pill cultivators. Don't kill me. I can do anything for you. Save me, I don't want to die. You little beast. If you kill me when Lord Wind King finds out, you'll die a horrible death. The 4 white pill cultivators screamed and fled, their eyes filled with terror. Despite their 2-thread white pill strength, they stood no chance against a peerless prodigy of 9 Dao platforms foundation establishment. Their pleas for mercy elicited no sympathy from Qiannian. With a wave of his hand, the spiritual swords shot through the air. 4 sword beams instantly pierced through their bodies. Counting the earlier Elder and Old Monster High, a total of 6 core formation cultivators had fallen to Qiannian in this single battle. Such was the true might of a peerless foundation establishment with 10 Dao platforms. It could almost be said that beneath the golden core stage, he was invincible. Stay in the inn room, don't wander off until I return, and keep Xiao Shui safe. In a luxurious inn near the imperial palace, Mo Qiannian instructed Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing. Yes, young Master Qiannian, we will protect Miss Qianxue. Brother, where are you going? Xiao Shui hurried over and threw herself into Mo Qiannian's arms. Brother is going out to buy you some food. What does Xiao Shui want to eat? I'll bring it back for you. I want tanghulu, the really sweet kind. Leaning against Mo Qiannian, Xiao Shui acted coquettishly. All right, I'll buy you some really sweet tanghulu. Mo Qiannian said softly, stroking her silky hair. Then come back soon, brother. Xiao Shui will miss you. Although Xiao Shui was reluctant to part with him, she understood that he had his own matters to attend to. She released her grip reluctantly, her bright, sparkling eyes reflecting only Mo Qiannian's figure. Listen to your sisters. I'll be back soon. Mo Qiannian pinched Xiao Shui's adorable cheeks, once more reiterated his instructions to Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing, then produced a golden mask, donned it, and left the inn. His appearance and identity were too renowned within the great Chu Empire. If he were to reveal himself openly, he could easily attract the unwanted attention of those with ulterior motives. He himself was not afraid, but it could potentially expose Xiao Shui to danger. His millennium of experience in his past life had taught him the brutal reality of the cultivation world. One must always err on the side of caution. Soon Mo Qiannian arrived at the gates of the imperial palace. He put away the golden mask, and a white mist enveloped him. When he emerged from it, he was clad in the white robes of a disciple of the Tianshui sword sect. Embroidered on the chest of the white robe was a golden short sword emblem signifying his status as a core disciple of the Tianshui sword sect. The short sword represented the sect itself. Azure robes were for ordinary disciples, silver for inner disciples, and gold for core disciples. Yet Mo Qiannian was not just a core disciple, but also a true inheritor disciple, the chief senior brother. A true inheritor disciple of the Tianshui sword sect held a status equivalent to an outer sect elder or even a marquis of the great Chu Empire. The guards at the palace gate are both at the foundation establishment stage, roughly, with 3 Dao platforms each. Observing the 2 golden armored guards at the palace entrance, Mo Qiannian instantly saw through their cultivation levels. Foundation establishment with 3 Dao platforms would place them among the top 10 experts in Yin City. When the 2 foundation establishment guards saw Mo Qiannian, the first thing they noticed was the golden short sword emblem on his chest. A core disciple of the Tianshui sword sect, a proud son of heaven with the potential for 6 Dao platforms. Young master, may we see your palace entry token? Despite Mo Qiannian's high status, duty compelled the 2 guards to stop him, though their demeanor was exceedingly courteous. A core disciple of the Tianshui sword sect was a truly top-tier prodigy in the great Chu Empire, backed by immense power and influence. One simply could not afford to offend such a person. Mo Qiannian nodded, and with a thought, a solid gold token materialized in his hand. On one side of the token was engraved the character Chu, and on the other, a golden dragon. Upon seeing the token, the 2 guards' eyes narrowed sharply, instantly realizing the identity of the white-robed youth before them. The Yinglong token granting the right to a direct audience with the Emperor of Chu. Such tokens were exceedingly rare. Among the younger generation, only one person possessed it. Mo Qiannian, the one who shattered the Qiannian cultivation record of the great Chu Empire. Young Master Qiannian, please enter. The 2 guards opened the palace gates and respectfully allowed Mo Qiannian to pass. Mo Qiannian, the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire with the potential for 7 Dao platforms at foundation establishment, was destined to become a transcendent powerhouse. Mo Qiannian put away his token and was about to enter when a clear feminine voice called out from behind him. Mo Qiannian, I, the princess, have finally found you. The moment he heard the voice, Mo Qiannian knew who it was. The core disciple of the Tianshui sword sect, the 9th princess of the great Chu Empire, Chu Miaoan. He turned around to see a breathtakingly beautiful young woman standing behind him, dressed in a light blue long skirt, a white silk sash around her waist, and jade boots on her feet. On her chest was also a golden short sword emblem signifying her status as a core disciple of the Tianshui sword sect. The young woman had a slender figure and a delicate oval face. Her exquisite features were like a masterpiece of heaven, stunningly beautiful to the point of being breathtaking. 9th princess. Mo Qiannian cupped his hands in greeting. Mo Qiannian, you said you'd tell me when you returned to the empire, so why did you sneak back all by yourself? Chu Miaohan was quite displeased. She walked up to him, hands on her hips, puffing her cheeks in anger. My apologies, something came up unexpectedly, so I didn't have the chance to inform you. Mo Qiannian subtly turned away, unsure how to face the 9th princess. It was known throughout the Tianshui sword sect that the 9th princess had feelings for him. But neither in his past life nor this one had he ever harbored feelings for her. He did not favor such lively young women, her temperament clashed with his own calm and indifferent nature. In his past life, after his defeat at the hands of Qiannian, he heard that the ninth princess had sought out Qiannian for a duel. But her strength was inferior to his own. There was no way she could be a match for Qiannian. Yet somehow, perhaps due to the saying friends are made through fighting, the ninth princess ended up falling for Qiannian in the end. Qiannian, I find your attitude utterly dismissive. Chu Miaohan huffed again but quickly leaned in with a mysterious air saying, by the way, what are you doing at the palace? Don't tell me you've come to ask my father for my hand in marriage. Princess, you misunderstand. I am here to see the Chu Emperor to request something. Qiannian subtly created a bit more distance between them. He truly did not appreciate the ninth princess's personality. What is it? Let's go in together. I happen to be looking for my father as well. With that, Chu Miaohan swaggered into the palace. Ninth princess. The two guards at the gate bowed respectfully once more, but stole glances at the ninth princess and Qiannian. Could there be something between them? Qiannian felt a slight headache coming on, but he had no choice but to enter alongside Chu Miaohan. He owed the acquisition of his Yinglong token partly to her, and the price was to look after her within the Tianshui sword sect and ensure no one bullied her. The ninth princess had also reached the Qiannian grand perfection stage, but having recently broken through, her strength was not yet sufficient to secure her position within the sect. Moreover, the Tianshui sword sect was not like the great Chu Empire. No one would show her courtesy just because she was a princess. In my past life, I never learned what price Qiannian paid to get the Chu Emperor to part with that treasure. Qiannian walked in contemplation, pondering what he could offer to sway the emperor. His own talent, a king-grade cultivation art, or even an emperor-grade art. In his past life, he only learned of these matters from Chu Miaohan after his rematch with Qiannian ended in another defeat. Qiannian had made some kind of deal with the Chu Emperor to obtain the sovereign's blood essence, allowing him to reach the Qiannian extreme state and achieve 9 Dao platforms. Well, I'll take it one step at a time. If it comes to it, I'll just have to offer my most treasured item. Qiannian, what do you want from my father? Along the way, Chu Miaohan chattered incessantly in Qiannian's ear. Qiannian answered succinctly, to request an item. What item? It must be something important for the proud you to use the word request. But with me here, father will surely grant it. Chu Miaohan patted her well-developed chest, looking very proud. Among the 10 children of the great Chu Emperor, she ranked 9th, but was the only daughter. Therefore, she was extremely favored by the great Chu Emperor. What I want to request telling you would be of no use. Qiannian shook his head and quickened his pace slightly. He truly disliked Chu Miaohan chattering in his ear like a bird. Slow down. You haven't even told me what it is. How do you know it's useless to tell me? Chu Miaohan caught up with Qiannian, sticking to him like a shadow that couldn't be shaken off. Qiannian suddenly stopped, and Chu Miaohan, unable to break in time, bumped into his back. Ouch! Why did you stop so suddenly again? Chu Miaohan rubbed her nose, pouting slightly. Qiannian turned around, his gaze fixed on her, silent, just staring directly at her. Chu Miaohan's cheeks flushed under his intense gaze, and she averted her eyes, stammering, Qiannian, why? Why are you staring at me? There are so many people here. Wouldn't it be bad if someone sees? Princess, if I were just an ordinary person with mediocre talent, would you still like me as much? Qiannian spoke, his gaze profound and deep. Chu Miaohan was stunned by the question, confused. Qiannian, what's wrong with you? Answer my question. Qiannian's gaze remained deep. You are the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire, destined to step into the transcendent realm in the future. And I am the 9th princess with no lack of talent either. Aren't we a match made in heaven? What if I said I don't like you? How can you not like me? In the entire great Chu Empire, who else is worthy of you besides me? It's not a question of worthiness. One day when you meet someone for whom you would risk everything without hesitation, then you will understand what like truly means. Qiannian shook his head, turned around, and continued walking towards the depths of the palace. As he had predicted, Chu Miaohan didn't like him for who he was, but for the sense of compatibility brought by his talent. Otherwise, why would she have become entangled with Qiannian in his past life? If he weren't the unparalleled prodigy of the great Chu Empire, Chu Miaohan wouldn't have given him a second glance. Or in other words, besides his talent, what else was there about him that Chu Miaohan could like? Although he was handsome and elegant within the Tianshui sword sect, he wasn't the only prodigy with 7 Dao platforms. There were others equally refined and graceful like Jade. It was just that he happened to be from the great Chu Empire, which naturally drew Chu Miaohan closer to him. Hey Qiannian, what exactly are you doing? Chu Miaohan had been prepared, but Qiannian suddenly turned and left, spouting a bunch of inexplicable words, leaving her bewildered. According to the normal procedure, after she declared they were a match made in heaven, Qiannian should have held her or even kissed her right. But Qiannian ignored her and walked away directly. Chu Miaohan stomped her foot in frustration and followed him. Chief Stewardly, please inform the Chu Emperor that Qiannian requests an audience. And me too. Chu Miaohan also ran over, speaking to an old eunuch standing in front of the door ahead. The old eunuch nodded. The door opened silently. He turned and entered the room, and the door closed silently again. This old eunuch was a truly powerful existence at the divine ability realm. Mo Qiannian Yu. Before Chu Miaohan could finish her sentence, the door suddenly opened. The old eunuch walked out, cupped his hands towards the two, and hoarsely uttered a single word, "Please." Mo Qiannian nodded to the old eunuch, stepped forward, and entered the study where the Chu Emperor was waiting. Behind him, Chu Miaohan snorted and followed him in. In the center of the study, behind a desk, sat a middle-aged man dressed in a golden dragon robe. His eyebrows were thick, his eyes bright and black, and his entire being exuded authority. He was tall and slender, with a majestic expression on his face, as if all things under heaven should kneel at his feet. This middle-aged man was the revered Emperor Chu of the Great Chu Empire, and also its strongest warrior, Chu Yun. Standing beside him was a young man in blue robes. The young man appeared to be around 20 years old, with delicate features and deep eyes exuding an aura of refined elegance. He also possessed formidable strength enough to make even Mo Qiannian feel a slight pressure. The crown prince of Great Chu Tianji was a prodigy like Mo Qiannian, having established his foundation with 7 Dao platforms, and now already in the core formation realm. Mo Qiannian of the Tianshui sword sect pays respects to the Chu Emperor and the crown prince. Mo Qiannian bowed to them without being servile or overbearing, not kneeling, but bowing at the waist. "Father, I've missed you so much. And big brother, you're here too." Chu Miaohan walked over to the Chu Emperor's side, grabbed his arm, and shook it playfully. Seated behind the desk, the Chu Emperor with sharp eagle-like eyes scrutinized the young man standing before him, who was neither servile nor overbearing, a faint, elusive smile curling at the corner of his mouth. "Tianji, you may leave first." "Yes, father." Chu Tianji bowed his head in acknowledgement, turned, and left the room. Mo Qiannian, I have heard all about you from Miaohan's letters. The potential of 7 Dao platforms is indeed remarkable. The Chu Emperor smiled, his gaze on Mo Qiannian, filled with admiration. Mo Qiannian possessed not only formidable talent, but also such a composed mindset. Given time, he would surely become another pinnacle powerhouse of the empire. "You flatter me, your majesty. My current strength is hardly worthy of mention." Mo Qiannian wasn't just being polite. The Chu Emperor indeed had the ability to look down upon all heroes. As the strongest warrior of the Great Chu Empire, a peak transcendent existence, he was also a top-tier supreme powerhouse, even within the Tianshui sword sect. The former Chu Emperor was also a prodigy, with 7 Dao platforms. "Have you come this time to discuss the marriage with Miaohan, my dear subject?" "Your Majesty misunderstands. I have come to ask a favor." "Oh, what matter requires you to come all this way personally?" Mo Qiannian didn't speak, but instead looked towards Chu Miaohan. "Rest assured, my dear subject. Miaohan is my precious daughter. She can be trusted." The Chu Emperor replied cheerfully, which made Chu Miaohan quite proud, and she gave a little snort towards Mo Qiannian. Mo Qiannian was silent for a moment, then looked towards the direction of the door, causing the Chu Emperor's brows to raise slightly, his expression finally turning more serious. He gently waved his hand, and an invisible protective barrier appeared in the room, isolating all sound from the outside world. "My dear subject, please speak." "I wish to request the monarch's blood essence from your majesty." The moment Mo Qiannian finished speaking, a sharp glint burst from the Chu Emperor's eyes, and a powerful aura pressed down towards Mo Qiannian. "Do you know what you are saying?" The Chu Emperor's voice was icy cold, completely changed from his previous affability, catching Chu Miaohan off guard. Bearing the immense pressure, Mo Qiannian let out a muffled grunt, but he didn't take a step back, nor was he forced to lower his head. He met the Chu Emperor's gaze directly. "Father, what are you doing?" After recovering from her shock, Chu Miaohan rushed in front of Mo Qiannian and demanded loudly of the Chu Emperor. At this moment, she had no idea what the monarch's blood essence was. The Chu Emperor retracted his oppressive aura, his deep eyes fixed directly on Mo Qiannian. "Father, is that monarch's blood essence really so important?" Chu Miaohan asked with a frown. "Miaohan, you go out first." The Chu Emperor's voice carried a hint of coldness. "Father, you get out." Chu Miaohan was slightly stunned. This was the first time her father had been so stern with her. "You're not allowed to bully Mo Qiannian, or I won't talk to you anymore." Seeing the Chu Emperor's stern gaze, Chu Miaohan snorted and left unhappily. The Chu Emperor's reaction was within Mo Qiannian's expectations, so he showed no change in expression, calmly meeting the Emperor's gaze. The monarch's blood essence was the lifelong essence of a monarch-level supreme powerhouse. It was the ultimate treasure of the Great Chu Empire, the greatest inheritance left by the founding emperor for his descendants. Its value was equivalent to half of the Great Chu Empire. Within the study, the Chu Emperor's gaze was profound and fixed upon Mo Qiannian. Without a word, he emanated a formidable aura that pressed down upon him. This pressure was so finely controlled that it targeted only Mo Qiannian, or otherwise the entire palace would have shattered. How powerful was a being at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm? In his past life, Qiannian had experienced this pinnacle of the transcendent realm and naturally knew its might. It was no exaggeration to say that a full-force strike from the Chu Emperor could obliterate the entire imperial palace. How vast was the imperial palace? It was 10 times the size of the entire Yin city. For an existence of such caliber, destroying a city with a single palm strike was a trivial matter. Of course, this was assuming there was no protective formation. Typically, such crucial imperial grounds were guarded by massive defensive arrays constructed by formation masters capable of withstanding powerful attacks. Qiannian's expression remained calm, but he had already begun circulating his internal spiritual energy to alleviate the pressure. The Chu Emperor's pressure, however, continued to intensify, climbing step by step until it quickly reached the core formation realm and kept increasing. Mid-core formation, late core formation, peak core formation, divine ability realm. At this moment, the Chu Emperor unleashed the world-shaking pressure of the divine ability realm. This was a supreme powerhouse never before seen in all of Yin City. The pressure of this realm could force an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator to kneel. The divine ability realm represented a colossal bottleneck. Upon breaking through, one could soar across the heavens and earth. It was the dream of every cultivator. Once one entered the divine ability realm, they could roam the skies, traverse the world freely, and significantly increase their lifespan. A peerless prodigy at the peak of the innate realm could defy the heavens and slay a foundation establishment cultivator. A supreme foundation establishment cultivator with 9 Dao platforms could defy the heavens and slay a core formation cultivator. However, even the most heaven-defying prodigy with a 9-pattern golden core could not defeat a divine ability grandmaster. The gap between these realms was like an insurmountable chasm. No matter how prodigious, without external aid or treasures, one was simply no match for a divine ability grandmaster. Because the divine ability realm was the stage where one awakened innate divine abilities and physiques. Even the weakest divine ability cultivator possessed the power of a divine ability. A divine ability cultivator only needed to release their pressure. A foundation establishment cultivator would be directly crushed to the ground, utterly powerless to resist. Even a core formation cultivator would have to lower their proud head, oppressed and gasping for breath. Even a peerless prodigy like Qiannian, who possessed foundation establishment strength at the innate realm, should have knelt by now. Yet Qiannian held on. Although his face was pale and his body drenched in sweat, he still refused to lower his head, merely clenching his fists tightly. A peerless prodigy with 8 Dao platforms, if they didn't fall midway, their future achievements would surpass the Chu Emperor's by countless times. Moreover, in his past life, he was infinitely stronger than the Chu Emperor. How could he kneel because of mere pressure? Even the Chu Emperor didn't have the qualification to make him kneel. This was the pride belonging to a powerhouse and a prodigy. The Chu Emperor's expression finally changed. Being a prodigy with 7 Dao platforms himself, he knew precisely the limits of that level. But Qiannian gave him a great surprise. He dispersed his pressure and spoke slowly. Qiannian, you are strong, very outstanding, even more so than I was back then to be able to withstand my pressure. Miaohan was indeed right about you. But do you know how important the king's blood essence is to my great Chu Empire? The Chu Emperor looked at Qiannian, his eyes deep and profound like an unfathomable starry sky. Hearing this, a faint smile curled at the corner of Qiannian's mouth. He was prepared for this, knowing the Chu Emperor wouldn't kill him. Not only was he the head disciple of the Tianshui sword sect, but from his past life, he also understood that the Chu Emperor was not one to kill indiscriminately. Most importantly, the great Chu Empire was not as prosperous and impenetrable as it appeared on the surface. When the founding emperor established the great Chu Empire here, he had offended many neighboring empires. However, they could only swallow their anger, constrained by the founding emperor's supreme strength at the monarch realm. But now decades had passed since the founding emperor's death, and the current Chu emperor had not yet stepped into the monarch realm. The great Chu Empire was now surrounded by crises coveted by 4 major empires. Indeed, where a son of destiny is born, a storm of blood and chaos is inevitable. Under these circumstances, the Chu emperor desperately needed allies. That's why he valued Qiannian, for he had the potential to become a top-tier powerhouse. I know that the king's blood essence contains immense energy. If an innate peerless prodigy with 8 Dao platforms emerges in the great Chu Empire, they could even use it to step into the innate extreme realm, achieving the strongest innate state, and would surely enter the monarch realm in the future. Qiannian spoke unhurriedly, which greatly surprised the Chu Emperor. Qiannian actually knew so much. You're right. But you also understand that the king's blood essence cannot allow a prodigy with 7 Dao platforms to enter the innate extreme realm. Qiannian smiled slightly. The next moment, spiritual energy surged around his body. He threw a punch into the air in front of him, producing a sonic boom. 980,000 gene of force. The Chu Emperor's pupils contracted sharply, and he shot up from his seat. 980,000 gene of force. Enough to build 8 Dao platforms. Qiannian had already reached such a level possessing the heaven-defying talent to build 8 Dao platforms. If Qiannian were to use the king's blood essence, it was highly possible he could achieve the innate extreme realm. The innate extreme realm. That was a legendary level of peerless prodigy across the entire dragon-soaring continent. And now there was hope that one would be born in their great Chu Empire. The Chu Emperor's heart surged with excitement. Peerless prodigies with 9 Dao platforms, those who didn't fall midway each one, had become a renowned powerhouse on the continent. Of course, the rarity of 9 Dao platforms also signified the immense difficulty of achieving it. Relying solely on 980,000 gene of force and the king's blood essence was far from sufficient. Legends say that when stepping into the innate extreme realm, a terrifying tribulation occurs. If one's willpower isn't strong enough, they would likely die from their body exploding. Throughout history, many peerless prodigies had perished while attempting to break through to the innate extreme realm. Even now, many peerless prodigies close to the innate extreme realm dare not attempt it lightly. Once attempted, there's no turning back. Either succeed and soar or fall and dissipate into nothingness. How confident are you in achieving the innate extreme realm? The Chu Emperor asked in a low voice. 50%. Qiannian didn't state a definitive answer. Although he possessed 1,000 years of experience and an unshakable, he had never experienced the tribulation of the innate extreme realm and didn't know exactly how much willpower was required. 50%. A glimmer of light flashed in the Chu Emperor's eyes. This probability was already extremely high. Your Majesty, in exchange for the king's blood essence, may I ask what your conditions are? Qiannian looked at the Chu Emperor, his tone respectful. He would never lower his head when he shouldn't, but he would when he should. The Chu Emperor was silent. After a long moment, he raised his head to look at Qiannian and slowly uttered a sentence. Miaohan is very fond of you. Become my son-in-law, and I will grant you the king's blood essence and personally protect you on your path. This, Qiannian was momentarily stunned, never expecting the Chu Emperor to make such a request. Becoming the Chu Emperor's son-in-law simply put meant binding him, Qiannian, to the great Chu royal family. But he didn't have feelings for Chu Miaohan. If he were to be with her just for the king's blood essence, that would go against his heart. Could he even overcome the tribulation of the innate extreme realm with such a conscience? Your Majesty, I cannot agree to this condition. Qiannian shook his head, which filled the Chu Emperor with disappointment. Chu Miaohan was the only princess of the current great Chu Empire, his precious jewel. She possessed exceptional talent and a beauty that could topple nations. Any man beside her could only look up to her in admiration. Not only did Qiannian refuse, but he refused so decisively. The Chu Emperor was somewhat angered, but he still maintained a shred of calm. Do you think Miaohan isn't good enough for you? The Chu Emperor looked at Qiannian and snorted coldly. Qiannian sighed softly. It's not a matter of whether she's good enough. It's that I have no feelings for the princess. Qiannian wasn't deceiving the Chu Emperor. He truly had no romantic feelings for Chu Miaohan. He could see her as a sister, but he couldn't accept her as a Dao companion. You should be well aware that Miaohan likes you. No, the princess's fondness isn't love. It's more like reliance, a habit. She just sees me as an older brother. Qiannian shook his head. If not love. She told me herself that she wants to marry you. The Chu Emperor snorted coldly. As long as you become the consort of the great Chu Empire and treat Miaohan well, I will give you the king's blood essence unconditionally. Otherwise, there's nothing to discuss. Otherwise, there will be no discussion. The Chu Emperor spoke coldly, his tone carrying an unyielding firmness. Qiannian maintained his composure and said, Your Majesty, I will not marry the princess. Please consider another condition. Qiannian, my patience is wearing thin. If you refuse to marry Miaohan, do not blame me for turning ruthless. The Chu Emperor's gaze at Qiannian flickered with an icy, piercing light. If I achieve the innate extreme realm, I can swear a Heavenly Dao oath. In the future, when my cultivation is complete, I will act 3 times on behalf of the great Chu Empire, ensuring its prosperity for 1,000 years within my lifetime. Your Majesty, you are well aware of the great Chu Empire's current situation. How many years can it endure? How much longer must you wait for the royal family to produce a prodigy with the potential of 8 Dao platforms? You should clearly understand the potential of a cultivator at the innate extreme realm. Qiannian spoke with unwavering humility, meeting the Chu Emperor's icy gaze. Listening to Qiannian's words, the Chu Emperor's expression grew increasingly cold, a flicker of murderous intent surfacing. He was the emperor of the great Chu Empire, the sovereign of the realm. His words were absolute, with none daring to utter a word of dissent within the empire. Even a prodigious talent like Qiannian, before he had fully matured, could only bow beneath his feet. My patience is exhausted. I ask you one final time, do you accept my terms or not? The Chu Emperor's tone was so frigid it made one tremble, as if a god of slaughter had descended. Mo Qiannian looked at the Chu Emperor, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth as he calmly stated, "And what if I refuse? Mo Qiannian, are you seeking death?" The Chu Emperor enunciated each word coldly, releasing a surge of murderous aura that forced Mo Qiannian to retreat several steps, a trickle of blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Mo Qiannian wiped the blood from his lips. At this moment, he squared his shoulders, his gaze turning equally cold. In truth, if the previous Chu Emperor had not given the monarch's essence blood to Xiao Yin, he wouldn't have acted this way. But why could he give it to Xiao Yin and not to him? Chu Emperor, my master is aware of everything. If I do not leave this palace today, my master will surely raze this place to the ground in the future. Mo Qiannian's position as the leading disciple of the Tianshui sword sect was largely attributed to his master. There were other prodigies in the sect with the potential of 7 Dao platforms, but why was he the youngest chosen as the chief disciple? His master was an absolute powerhouse, the revered sword god, who anchored the Tianshui sword sect. 3 years ago, when a great demon invaded the sect, a true monarch-level fiend, it was slain with a single strike from his sword. From that moment, the title of sword god became synonymous with the Tianshui sword sect. Are you threatening me? The Chu Emperor snorted coldly, his gaze sharpening as the aura emanating from him grew increasingly terrifying. He was the emperor of the great Chu Empire, the supreme sovereign of the realm. Who dared to threaten him? You can try. Mo Qiannian met the Chu Emperor's gaze without a trace of fear. In his previous life, Xiao Yin had taken the monarch's essence blood from here. Could he, Mo Qiannian, not achieve the same? Mo Qiannian stared directly at the Chu Emperor. Though young and vastly inferior in raw power, his imposing aura was in no way diminished. Without an invincible aura, how could one become the peerless prodigy of the innate extreme realm? The two locked eyes, the very air around them seeming to freeze, radiating waves of chilling cold. After a long moment, the Chu Emperor's aura dissipated. He sighed and said, "You win." In that instant, the Emperor seemed to age 10 years, his brow etched with profound weariness. Mo Qiannian remained silent. He understood that this confrontation had also been a test from the Chu Emperor, a trial to see if he possessed the potential to become a true peerless prodigy. The great Chu Empire's situation was indeed dire. The Crown Prince had not yet matured, leaving the Chu Emperor as the Empire's sole pillar of support. Yet the Empire now faced simultaneous suppression from 4 great empires. If the great Chu Empire lost its standing in the Northern Domain Grand Competition, it would face a devastating blow. Mo Qiannian, I can give you the monarch's essence blood, but aside from your terms, I have 2 additional conditions. The Chu Emperor's tone had softened considerably. Through this trial, he had come to a realization. The future belonged to Mo Qiannian. If he successfully stepped into the innate extreme realm, the great Chu Empire would one day witness the rise of an absolute supreme powerhouse that would shake the entire dragon-soaring continent. Your Majesty, please state your conditions. If I am able, I will not disappoint you. Mo Qiannian clasped his fists respectfully. First, during the Northern Domain Grand Competition, protect Miaohan. She is young and naive, prone to offending others. Second, if you secure first place in the Northern Domain Grand Competition, I hope that when you mention your affiliation with the Tianshui sword sect, you will also speak of the great Chu Empire. The Chu Emperor leaned back in his chair, appearing considerably more haggard after speaking. I swear by the Heavenly Dao, if I successfully enter the innate extreme realm, I will not forget the great Chu Empire, nor the promises I have made to your Majesty. Mo Qiannian raised his hand and uttered the Heavenly Dao oath. Once sworn, breaking it would result in the lightest punishment being inner demon backlash and loss of cultivation, and the most severe being death by chi deviation. It was the most fearsome of vows. This is the monarch's essence blood. Mo Qiannian, the future of the great Chu Empire rests in your hands. I hope you will succeed. The Chu Emperor produced an exquisite jade box, its surface etched with ancient array patterns. Mo Qiannian respectfully accepted the jade box and probed it with his divine sense. Inside lay a single drop of crimson blood. The blood appeared translucent, as if forged from pure essence gold, radiating a brilliant, dazzling red light. At that moment, Mo Qiannian's heartbeat quickened and his breathing became rapid. The monarch's essence blood was in his hands. The path to the innate extreme realm lay right before him. He recalled Xiao Sierra, the holy maiden of the Tai sacred land, who was a few months younger than him. The oppressive pressure of her 9 Dao platforms was truly overwhelming. Once he successfully entered the innate extreme realm, he could rapidly construct 9 Dao platforms as well. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my utmost to achieve the innate extreme realm. Mo Qiannian clasped his fists towards the Chu Emperor, then turned and departed. The Chu Emperor watched Mo Qiannian's figure disappear through the doorway, a gratified and expectant smile touching his lips. Mo Qiannian, I hope you do not disappoint me. I hope my decision today is the right one. The fate of the great Chu Empire rests in your hands. You will surely succeed. I look forward to the day you stand at the pinnacle of the Northern Domain. Outside the study, Chu Miaohan paced back and forth anxiously, her expression tense. Mo Qiannian, speak politely to my father. Know when to yield, don't be stubborn. Chu Miaohan murmured to herself, her beautiful eyes filled with anxiety. She was deeply worried that her father might actually harm Mo Qiannian. Creak. The door opened, and Mo Qiannian, clad in white robes, walked out. Seeing him emerge unscathed, Chu Miaohan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Mo Qiannian, I'm glad you're all right. Thank you for your concern, princess. Mo Qiannian's expression was indifferent, and the look he gave Chu Miaohan carried a sense of distance, causing a pang of grievance in her heart, though she did not show it. Perhaps, as Mo Qiannian had said, she didn't truly like him. She was only 16 and might not yet understand the meaning of true affection, as she just felt a sense of security when she was with him. Are you really okay? My father didn't make things difficult for you, did he? I'm fine. Mo Qiannian shook his head, unwilling to linger in conversation with Chu Miaohan. He turned and walked towards the palace gates. Since he had made his stance clear, it was best to end things decisively. Watching Mo Qiannian's retreating figure, Chu Miaohan bit her lip, a dawning realization in her heart that the distance between them was growing ever wider. The Wujian Inn was now surrounded by a crowd. With a dull thud, a bloodied figure was hurled from a second-floor window, crashing onto the ground below, motionless. Someone cautiously stepped forward to check the man's breath, then let out a slight sigh of relief. He's still breathing, but it seems his cultivation has been crippled. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd as they buzzed with discussion. Tisk, this man was a formidable figure known as Heavenly Dao, whose blade never drew without tasting blood. He was at the peak of the innate realm, yet he was crippled just like that. Did you see who crippled Heavenly Dao? They say it was a young man who rented out the entire inn and tried to drive everyone away. Lu, a man of pride, refused to leave and ended up crippled. Who dares to injure people in the imperial capital? Does he have a death wish? Should keep your voice down. They say he's a prince from the neighboring Mo Empire here to challenge the prodigies of the Chu Empire. A challenge is one thing, but why resort to violence? Whoosh. An arrow suddenly shot out from the second-floor window, striking the arm of the man who had just spoken. Blood immediately gushed from the wound. Ah! With a thud, the man collapsed, his screams echoing. The crowd fell silent, their eyes filled with fear. To be shot for merely speaking a few words. How arrogant. If any of the younger generation disagrees, you may challenge me directly. A cold, indifferent voice came from the second-floor window. A man in an exquisite purple robe appeared by the window. He was tall and imposing with a handsome, stern face. In his hand, he held a purple curved bow, and an intense aura of dominance radiated from him. He is Mo Feng, the imperial prince of the Mo Empire. I heard he has reached the peak of the innate realm and is one of the most outstanding young talents of his empire. As he appeared, a voice from the crowd caused a stir of shock. Mo Feng's reputation was well known, but they hadn't expected him to be so powerful and overbearing. As an imperial prince and a peerless prodigy who entered the innate realm at 14, his fame was considerable in the Chu Empire as well. He was not someone to be trifled with. Now at 18, he had effortlessly crippled Heavenly Dao, also at the peak of the innate realm. Just how powerful had he become? Even if he is a prince of the Mo Empire, he is too. Someone blurted out, but caught the cold glint in Mo Feng's eyes. Remembering the fate of the man still wailing on the ground, they quickly shut their mouths. Get lost. The entire inn has been reserved by the prince. A group of people was being herded out of the inn by Mo Feng's two lackeys. Despite being lackeys, these two were also at the late innate realm. Among the crowd were Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing holding Xiao Shui. Indeed, this was the very inn where Mo Qiannian had stayed. Those who could afford this luxurious inn were not ordinary people, but at this moment they all remained obedient. Because Heavenly Dao's fate served as a bloody lesson for those who disobeyed. Xiao Bai lowered her head, burying Xiao Shui's face in her chest, trying to remain inconspicuous with Xiao Qing. Their strength was far too weak here in the imperial capital. With Master Qiannian absent, their only task was to protect Xiao Shui. They couldn't afford to fail him. Is everyone in the Chu Empire so useless? Is there no one who dares to challenge me? Mo Feng looked at the surrounding crowd, his arrogance growing as no one stepped forward despite the commotion. I'll challenge you. A young man carrying a long spear stepped forward, radiating a sharp spear intent. He was a peak innate realm cultivator, but not an ordinary one. It's him, Zhongshan, the #1 prodigy of Wanxiang City. I heard he's been recruited by the Tianshui sword sect, and his spear skills are incredible. I've heard of him. He's ranked 11th on the Chu Empire's prodigy list. A stir rippled through the crowd at the sight of the young man with the spear. Clearly the name Zhongshan carried weight in the Chu Empire. Good. Mo Feng jumped down from the second floor, a faint smile on his lips. I look forward to this. Without another word, Zhongshan thrust his spear directly at Mo Feng. Clang. Crack. After a few exchanges, the victor was decided. Zhongshan was sent flying backward, skidding 5 meters before stopping. He had lost in the first round. 950,000 units of force. Zhongshan was shocked. He only had 930,000, which was strong, but the gap was too significant. It wasn't just a difference in raw strength, but also in the amplification of their cultivation techniques. You win. Acknowledging his defeat, Zhongshan didn't prolong the fight. He retracted his spear and prepared to leave. You think you can just challenge me and leave whenever you want? It's not that easy. Mo Feng's voice rang out, a sinister smile curling on his lips. He raised his bow, aiming at Zhongshan. If you want to leave, fine. But leave your spear behind. With that, Mo Feng released the bowstring. An arrow shot forth with a piercing whistle, tearing through the air towards Zhongshan. The arrow was imbued with immense power and killing intent. If it pierced his body, even with the strong vitality of a peak innate realm cultivator, it would be fatal. Seeing the arrow incoming, Zhongshan frowned and swiftly dodged to the side. Whoosh! The arrow grazed past his shoulder. A red line appeared on his left shoulder as blood spurted out, dripping to the ground. The arrow continued its flight, striking the ground right at Xiao Bai's feet, startling her. It was an inconspicuous moment, but as Mo Feng's gaze swept over, it came to a sudden stop on the faces of Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing. Pure pretty with bright eyes and white teeth, they possessed a delicate, gentle beauty. Mo Feng's eyes flickered with a scorching heat as he looked at their lovely faces. Of course, with his status, he had experienced all kinds of women, but their pure innocence was a different flavor altogether. Moreover, they were twins. That would double the pleasure. Since he had just arrived in the Dechu Empire, wouldn't it be a wasted trip without some entertainment? Did they have some powerful background? Mo Feng ignored that thought. Given his identity and status and the way these two timidly cowered, how could they possibly have any significant backing? Mo Feng gave a slight nod to his two lackeys, a meaningful glance in his eyes. Following his gaze, the lackeys' eyes lit up instantly. Having served Mo Feng for years, they knew their master's temperament all too well. Whatever he left behind would be theirs for the taking, wouldn't it? And this time they were twin sisters. Haha, ladies, we're in for a good time tonight. The two lackeys chuckled lewdly, their eyes fixed on Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing with undisguised greed, and began to walk towards them amidst the crowd's gaze. Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing's faces turned pale instantly, not for their own impending fate, but for fear of implicating Xiao Shui. They wanted to flee, but Mo Feng's aura had already locked onto them. The pressure of a peak innate realm cultivator rendered them, mere 7th-stage postnatal cultivators, completely immobile. What do we do? Watching the two lackeys approach, Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing felt a surge of despair, silently praying that Master Qiannian would return soon. Just as one of the lackeys was about to reach out his hand, a spear shot forth, slicing off his arm cleanly. A piercing scream echoed through the area as the lackey broke into a cold sweat from the pain. The sudden turn of events stunned everyone, and they turned to look at Zhongshan. It was Zhongshan who had acted. With a cold snort, he kicked the other lackey, sending him flying through the air, blood spewing from his mouth. Leave now, Zhongshan said in a low voice to the two women blocking Mo Feng's oppressive aura. Thank you. The two women quickly expressed their gratitude, and clutching Xiao Shui, they hurried away. However, to their utter shock, two more figures stepped out from the crowd, blocking their path. Both wore black masks concealing their features, but their auras were undeniably powerful. They were experts at the Foundation establishment level. Mo Feng sneered. These two were also his guards. You want to leave? The ones this prince has set his eyes on don't leave so easily. Seeing the two Foundation establishment guards appear, Zhongshan's expression turned extremely grave. Even the onlooking crowd couldn't help but feel a surge of indignation. This heir of the great Mo Empire was simply too arrogant. If any of the younger generation can defeat me, I'll let them go. Watching the crowd's fervent anger, Mo Feng remained utterly indifferent. Since he had reached a strength of 950,000, who among the younger generation did he fear? As for the older generation intervening, he had powerful figures backing him as well. Moreover, his father was a prince of the great Mo Empire, an extraordinary, peerless existence. Who would dare to offend him? When the extraordinary are enraged, 1,000,000 corpses litter the ground. I may not be your match, but I know of at least 3 people whose talent surpasses yours. Zhongshan spoke, even though he was already injured, blood dripping from his shoulder, his spear intent growing ever stronger. Oh, who are these 3? Mo Feng's curiosity was piqued, and he asked with interest. First, there's Chu Tiange, ranked first on the Great Chu Empire's prodigy list. He entered the innate realm at 14, achieved Foundation establishment at 18, and now at 21, he has already formed his golden core. Chu Tiange, I've heard of him. But I also reached the innate realm at 14 and am but a step away from Foundation establishment. What right does he have to suppress me? Besides, a year ago in the Northern Domain Prodigy List competition, he lost to my cousin. His only advantage is being a few years older. In a few years, it's not impossible for me to catch up to him. Mo Feng sneered, clearly not considering Chu Tiange a formidable enemy. 7 Dao platforms for Foundation establishment. He had already reached that very level himself. The second person I encountered a few days ago. At the mere second layer of the innate realm, he killed a strong practitioner at the fifth layer of the innate realm, leaping across levels. Killing a fifth layer innate cultivator while at the second layer. Mo Feng was somewhat surprised. Killing an opponent while leaping 3 minor realms was a feat not even he could accomplish. His own greatest achievement was merely leaping 2 minor realms, and even then it was a draw, not a kill. The power gap between each minor realm in the innate stage was a full 3-fold difference. Those who could leap 2 minor realms were already exceptional geniuses. Leaping 3, perhaps only the monstrous talents ranked at the very top of the Northern Domain prodigy list could manage that. Unfortunately, his strength is too weak. If he reached the great perfection of the innate realm, I wouldn't mind a duel with him. The third one is Mo Qiannian, who broke the Great Chu Empire's cultivation record. He entered the innate realm at 13 and has now become the chief disciple of the Tianshui sword sect. Zhongshan continued. When he mentioned Mo Qiannian, a glimmer of light shone in his eyes. Although Mo Qiannian only ranked second on the Great Chu Empire's prodigy list, in the hearts of many, including himself, Mo Qiannian was the true strongest prodigy of the Great Chu Empire. Simply breaking the cultivation record for the innate realm was already a terrifying display of talent. The only pity was that Mo Qiannian was too young, merely 16 years old now. Mo Qiannian. I know of him. But a fast cultivation speed doesn't necessarily mean superior talent, nor does it guarantee he can defeat me. Mo Feng sneered. Mo Qiannian was only 16 now, reaching the great perfection of the innate realm would already be quite an achievement. But he himself already possessed a strength of 950,000 with the bearing of 7 Dao platforms. Even if Mo Qiannian's talent were truly superior, could he accomplish this feat at 16? My patience is wearing thin. If you leave now, I'll let bygones be bygones. But if you stand in my way, I don't mind teaching you that there is always a sky above the sky and a person beyond the person. A dangerous glint flashed in Mo Feng's eyes. Making a name for himself in the Great Chu Empire was intoxicating. I may not be your match, but I won't stand by and watch you abduct innocent women. If you wish to fight, then fight. Zhongshan snorted coldly. They're just 2 mere mortal girls, as insignificant as ants. Why bother? Those who oppress the common folk will always face justice. If my strength were greater, I wouldn't hesitate to strike you down. Such bold words. Since you seek death, this air will grant your wish. Mo Feng stepped forward, and the aura emanating from his body suddenly surged explosively. Zhongshan showed no fear, gripping his long spear and charging to meet him. Go, young master Zhongshan. If I had the strength, I would have charged up there and cut him down myself. If only someone from the top 5 of the prodigy list were here, this Mo Feng wouldn't be so arrogant. Various voices rose from the crowd, but with Mo Feng guarded by 2 Foundation establishment experts, no one dared to step forward recklessly. Hadn't they seen Lu Yidao crippled, and even Zhongshan ranked 11th on the prodigy list wounded? If they went up, would they just be offering their heads? Spear strikes like a dragon. Zhongshan unleashed his ultimate technique. With a single thrust, a dragon of spiritual energy coiled upwards, charging straight at Mo Feng. It's useless. Before an absolute disparity in power, all resistance is futile. Mo Feng sneered, drawing his bow to its full extent as powerful spiritual energy condensed into 3 arrows. These 3 arrows contained terrifying power boosted by his technique to over 1,000,000-fold force. Upon release, they instantly transformed into 3 massive projectiles hurtling towards the spiritual dragon. A thunderous boom. The spiritual energy exploded, and the shockwave was too much for many to bear. The spiritual dragon, struck by the 3 arrows, rapidly disintegrated and vanished. Something's wrong. Mo Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. He hadn't expected that as the spiritual dragon collapsed, a long spear hidden within it would shoot towards him. But the gap in strength remained. Mo Feng swiftly dodged, evading the spear's thrust, though it still grazed his face, leaving a vicious gash. Damn it! You're asking for death. Mo Feng roared, raising his bow once more and releasing another arrow. A golden spiritual arrow carrying a terrifying aura of destruction shot towards Zhongshan. Zhongshan's weapon had already been knocked from his hand. He was already injured, and that last attack had drained most of his spiritual energy. He was now utterly unable to dodge the incoming arrow. Crack! The arrow struck, and cracks appeared in the spiritual shield around Zhongshan, clearly on the verge of shattering. Stop! A thunderous shout rang out. A wave of aura from a golden core cultivator erupted. Unable to bear watching Zhongshan fall, a massive hand of spiritual energy reached out to grab the arrow. This is a battle for the younger generation. You old fogies should stay out of it. However, another figure in a black robe appeared. As an aged voice sounded, an attack of spiritual power shot forth, shattering the spiritual hand. Another golden core cultivator, and one far stronger than the one who had just intervened. The problem was, judging by his attire, this old man was also one of Mo Feng's guards. Despicable. The crowd cursed inwardly, watching the cracks in Zhongshan's spiritual shield multiply, their hearts leaping into their throats. Hold on, young Master Zhongshan. Yes, young Master Zhongshan, you must not lose. Voices of concern rang out, and many clenched their fists tightly. Struggling pointlessly. Die. Mo Feng's expression was grim and dark. The stinging pain on his face fueled his murderous intent to its peak. Another golden arrow shot forth. Without any suspense, Zhongshan's spiritual defense shattered instantly. Was this the end? A voice echoed in Zhongshan's mind, and memories of the past flashed before his eyes. He had been a servant in a great family of Wanxiang City, climbing step by step to his current position. Only he knew the hardships endured along the way. How could he fall here before he had even stepped onto the grand stage of the northern domain? Crack. At this moment, a sudden enlightenment seemed to strike him. It was as if a shackle within him had broken, and his strength surged from 930,000 to 940,000. But what use was a breakthrough when death was imminent? Just as he was about to close his eyes, a delicate and exquisite sword suddenly appeared before him, blocking the arrow. Who? Mo Feng snorted coldly, his gaze turning wary as he scanned his surroundings. A young man in a white robe appeared in the arena. Mo Qiannian's gaze swept across the area. When he saw Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing being held by the two Foundation establishment figures in black, a flicker of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Who are you? Mo Feng frowned at Mo Qiannian's appearance. The young man before him gave off an immense pressure. Release them. Mo Qiannian spoke coldly, pointing at Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing. Fortunately, Xiao Bai, Xiao Qing, and Xiao Shui were all unharmed, otherwise Mo Qiannian would have attacked immediately. Another one playing the hero, saving the damsel. What right do you have to command me? No one can take away a woman this heir has set his eyes on. Although the white-robed youth exuded immense power, Mo Feng was not one to be easily intimidated. Big brother, they're bullying sister Xiao Bai and sister Xiao Qing. Seeing Mo Qiannian arrive, Xiao Shui spoke up and ran towards him. Holding Xiao Shui in his arms, Mo Qiannian's expression was icy cold. He cast a brief glance towards the sky. Whoosh! The next moment, the sword hovering in the air before Zhongshan suddenly shot towards Mo Feng with incredible speed. With his Foundation establishment level soul power, his use of a spiritual weapon, and his full strength attack, the force of this sword strike approached 3,000,000-fold power. Even a Foundation establishment cultivator with 2 Dao platforms would be inferior in raw strength. Mo Feng's eyes widened as he watched the flying sword approach at terrifying speed, the aura of death enveloping him. My father is Mo Fifan, Grand Marshal of the Great Mo Empire, a supreme being of the transcendent level. If you dare kill me, you won't escape either. But Mo Qiannian seemed not to hear him. The flying sword's speed increased by a fraction. Save me. Boy, stop. The Golden Core Elder guarding Mo Feng roared, flashing over at incredible speed. The 2 Foundation establishment cultivators holding Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing also charged forward. This is a contest between the younger generation. You old relic, go sit quietly in the corner. The Golden Core cultivator who had been blocked earlier sneered, stepping in front of the elder. He was no match for this peak Golden Core existence, but holding him off for a moment was not difficult. And us. From within the crowd, 2 more Foundation establishment cultivators stepped out, blocking the other 2 guards. No. Mo Feng's eyes bulged as the flying sword easily pierced his protective defense and ran him through. Mo Feng, heir of the great Mo Empire's prince, son of the transcendent existence Mo Fifan, and a peerless prodigy, with the bearing of 7 Dao platforms, fell dead on the spot. You little bastard, you're dead. Seeing his flying sword pierce through Mo Feng, the elderly core formation cultivator's eyes turned bloodshot. Burning his own life force, he broke free from the core formation cultivator who was blocking him and lunged furiously towards Mo Qiannian. This elder was a core formation cultivator who had advanced from 4 Dao platforms, placing him at the 4th Red Silver Core realm. A 4th Red Silver Core powerhouse was enough to sweep across the entire city of Yen. The 5 core formation cultivators of Yen City were all only at the 2th Red White Core level. Even all 5 combined would not be a match for a single 4th Red Silver Core expert. Indeed, the more Dao platforms one had, the more powerful their core formation would be, and it was impossible to increase the number of threads later. Those who established their foundation with 2 platforms could only ever reach the 2th Red White Core level at best, while those with 6 platforms could achieve the 6th Red Silver Core. Establishing one's foundation with 7 Dao platforms allowed one to achieve the 7th Red Golden Core. From the foundation establishment stage onward, the gap between prodigies and ordinary cultivators widened rapidly. Even a peerless prodigy at the pinnacle of the innate realm would have to retreat when faced with hundreds of ordinary innate realm cultivators. However, a peerless prodigy who established their foundation with 9 Dao platforms could slaughter hundreds of ordinary foundation establishment cultivators who had only 1 or 2 platforms. Even a 3-thread white core-level core formation cultivator was no match for such a peerless foundation establishment prodigy. Now the old man at the 4-thread silver core level had gone mad, burning his life, force his battle prowess, surging to the 6-thread silver core level. The core formation cultivator who had been blocking the elder was only at the 3-thread white core level. He was struck down and lay on the ground severely injured. You little bastard, you killed the young master. This old man is doomed to death anyway. Come and be buried with me. The core formation elder was completely insane. An overwhelming pressure swept down from the heavens, crushing countless weaker cultivators to the ground. So powerful, a 6-thread silver core expert could suppress ordinary innate realm cultivators with mere aura alone. Qiannian summoned a spiritual energy shield protecting Xiao by Shaoqing and Xiao Shui within it. Big brother Xiao Shui is scared. Though Xiao Shui was only 6, she understood a great deal and knew her brother was in danger. Xiao Shui, don't be afraid. Qiannian gently stroked Xiao Shui's hair to comfort her, not even sparing a glance at the crazed old man. If a foundation establishment battle was acceptable, but if a core formation cultivator could attack young prodigies in the imperial capital without any consequences, then the great Chu Empire was truly doomed. Sure enough, the next moment a cold snort echoed from the sky. The furious core formation elder's aura instantly weakened. He plummeted from the sky, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. The crowd was utterly horrified. Without even appearing, a single cold snort had incapacitated an extremely powerful core formation cultivator. What level of existence could possess such terrifying power? A mighty being of the divine ability realm. No, even a divine ability cultivator could not defeat a 6-thread core formation cultivator with a mere snort. This was the appearance of a transcendent being. The next moment, a blinding ball of fire materialized in the sky, emanating an immensely vast and profound aura. Within the fireball, a human silhouette could be faintly discerned. As the flames gradually receded, the figure's true face was finally revealed. It was an immensely dignified middle-aged man adorned with a gleaming golden emblem on his shoulder, clearly a member of the imperial family. He wore crimson battle armor and held a long spear, appearing incredibly valiant and awe-inspiring, as if he could hold up the heavens and stand firm upon the earth. His gaze coldly fell upon the weakened core formation elder below, as if looking at an ant. He spoke in a frigid tone. The imperial capital has its own rules. I would not interfere in duels between peers, but as a core formation cultivator, you should abide by the rules. If you dare to attack the younger generation again, you will be annihilated body and soul. As soon as he finished speaking, flames filled the sky, illuminating the heavens and proclaiming the might of a peerless transcendent being. The core formation elder's face was pale and deep fear flickered in his eyes, but he stubbornly said, "Respected transcendent Lord Qiannian at the foundation establishment stage killed young master Feng. This violates the rules set by the Prodigy Hall. Please apprehend him, my lord." "Umph." The dignified middle-aged man snorted coldly, his voice utterly indifferent. "Take a closer look. Is Qiannian at the foundation establishment stage or the innate realm?" The core formation elder was momentarily stunned. He turned his head and stared intently at Qiannian. The next moment his eyes widened in shock, as if he had seen a ghost. "Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How could you be only at the innate realm? How could an innate realm cultivator kill the young master with a single sword strike? This is impossible." The elder muttered to himself as if possessed. Earlier, when Qiannian had struck and killed Feng with a single sword move, he had instinctively assumed that Qiannian had already achieved foundation establishment. Otherwise, how could Qiannian at the innate realm possibly kill Feng, who possessed the strength of 950,000 Jun? Qiannian has the potential to establish 8 Dao platforms. He is the #1 prodigy of my great Chu Empire. Anyone who dares to make a move against him within the imperial capital, don't blame me for not warning you. The transcendent being snorted coldly, then transformed into a fireball and sped away swiftly. Sigh. The potential for 8 Dao platforms. Lord Qiannian is mighty. My God. In the entire northern domain, there are only 3 cultivators who established their foundation with 8 Dao platforms. Has Qiannian truly become the most peerless prodigy in the northern domain? Quickly, report this news to the patriarch. We must befriend Qiannian, not make an enemy of him. The potential for 8 Dao platforms at 16. Sigh, even those 3 monsters of the northern domain were a step behind, right? Upon hearing that Qiannian possessed the potential for 8 Dao platforms, the crowd erupted into an uproar. Those 7 Dao platforms were rare, they weren't unheard of in the Great Chu Empire. But 8 Dao platforms. Not to mention the Great Chu Empire, even across dozens of neighboring empires, there was no such peerless prodigy. But now the Great Chu Empire had one. Potential for 8 Dao platforms. The core formation elder's eyes widened, and then a crazed killing intent flickered within them. If I kill Qiannian or capture him, I can atone for my crimes and have a chance to live. A dangerous, bloodthirsty glint flashed in the elder's eyes. He sneered at Qiannian. I don't believe you'll never leave the imperial capital. The moment you step out of the great Chu capital, that will be your death. With a flicker of his figure, the elder vanished from the spot, watching Qiannian's movements from the shadows. Qiannian, however, frowned slightly. That transcendent being earlier had deliberately revealed his strength. The potential for 8 Dao platforms was both a symbol of glory and a tremendous danger. There would always be those who didn't want him to grow up smoothly. Emperor Chu, is this a test for me, or do you want to know if my master has truly come here? Qiannian murmured to himself. Such a major matter that transcendent being wouldn't dare to speak recklessly. But since he had revealed Qiannian's strength in public, then someone must have ordered him to do so. The only one who could command a transcendent being was the Emperor Chu himself. Transcendent realm. If I step into the pinnacle of the innate realm, that realm would be within my reach. Senior brother Qiannian, thank you for saving me. Zhongshan walked over and bowed deeply to Qiannian with his fists cupped. Senior brother. Qiannian looked at the Zhongshan before him. He hadn't seen him at the Tianshui sword sect, nor did he have the sect's disciple emblem on his chest. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. Senior brother, my name is Zhongshan. A few days ago, an elder of the Tianshui sword sect took a liking to me and accepted me as a disciple. I haven't officially joined yet, so you wouldn't recognize me. Zhongshan said politely, a hint of admiration for Qiannian shining in his eyes. The potential for 8 Dao platforms, a truly peerless prodigy of the entire northern domain. Zhongshan, you say your name is Zhongshan. Qiannian squinted his eyes. Looking at the somewhat youthful, spear-wielding youth before him, he found information about him in his past life's memories. Apart from himself, Xiao Yan, Xiao Shi, and Xiao Shui, 4 special existences, he was destined to become the strongest cultivator in the future great Chu Empire, and even the entire northern domain. Spear King Zhongshan. Decades later, the name of Spear King Zhongshan would resound throughout the northern domain. Now Zhongshan was Qiannian's junior martial brother, a naive and passionate youth at the peak of the innate realm. Had he not encountered Xiao Shui, Qiannian might have been startled by the name Zhongshan. But now he was merely slightly surprised before his expression returned to normal. Spear King Zhongshan's ultimate achievement was merely a foundation establishment with 7 Dao platforms, whereas Qiannian was already poised to establish 8. Young Master Qiannian, if not for young Master Zhongshan saving us just now, we might never have seen you again. Xiaobai whispered softly. Qiannian nodded and gave a slight bow to Zhongshan, saying, Qiannian thanks junior brother for his life-saving grace. If you have any needs, this senior brother will spare no effort to help you. Thank you, senior brother. I did not know they were your men. Even if they were ordinary people, I would have lent my aid. Zhongshan cupped his fists. Seeing the crowd of onlookers growing, he bid farewell, sheathed his spear, and departed. Truly a man of honor. If the opportunity arises, I should lend him a hand. Watching Zhongshan's retreating figure, Qiannian remarked with emotion. Then, noticing more and more people staring at him with admiration, mixed with glances of coldness and murderous intent, Qiannian understood that he was now truly famous, targeted by various factions. It seemed he needed to break through to the innate extreme realm as soon as possible and thereby step into the foundation establishment stage. Otherwise, any core formation cultivator could make his life a living hell. Once he established 9 Dao platforms in the innate extreme realm and stepped into foundation establishment, ordinary core formation cultivators would be no match for him. 9 Dao platforms, a peerless foundation establishment enough to slay core formation cultivators in defiance of the heavens. However, before he could assault the innate extreme realm, he needed to arrange proper safety for Xiao Shui and the other 2. Having learned from this incident, he wouldn't leave Xiao Shui and the others in an inn again. It was far too dangerous. There was one place that would be suitable for him to break through and keep them safe. That's right, the Imperial Palace. Without hesitation, Qiannian carried Xiao Shui, and with Xiaobai and Xiao Qing in tow, headed towards the palace. With Emperor Chu present, no one would dare disturb his attempt to reach the innate extreme realm. He would gather his strength and make a single push to establish 9 Dao platforms. Inside a deep underground chamber in the heart of the Imperial Palace, assault the innate extreme realm. Standing before the chamber, Xiaobai and Xiao Qing were utterly shocked upon hearing this news. This was a legendary supreme level of power. They knew the young master was formidable, but they never imagined he could be this powerful. We wish to stay. We've heard that assaulting the innate extreme realm involves a life and death tribulation. We want to stand guard outside the door. Xiaobai and Xiao Qing said. Before this, they might not have known what the innate extreme realm was, but after a month with Qiannian, they had learned much about cultivation. They also learned that assaulting the innate extreme realm comes with a life and death tribulation. Brother Xiao Shui wants to stay with you. Xiao Shui doesn't want to leave you. Xiao Shui, however, clung tightly to Qiannian, refusing to be pulled away by Xiaobai. Emperor Chu watched from the side, saying nothing, but in his heart, He also hoped Qiannian would succeed. After all, Qiannian was the hope of their royal family, otherwise the great Chu Empire would soon be plunged into war. It's dangerous inside, Xiao Shui. Can you wait outside with your two sisters? Qiannian crouched down and gently stroked Xiao Shui's head. No, I won't go. I want to stay with you, brother. Xiao Shui shook her head stubbornly. Looking at the adorable Xiao Shui in his arms, Qiannian said softly, brother promised you, Xiao Shui, that he would protect you for life. So no matter what difficulties I face, I will succeed in breaking through to the innate extreme realm. No, brother, I want to watch you. That way Xiao Shui can be at ease, Xiao Shui said firmly. Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing also looked at Qiannian with tense expressions. The life and death tribulation succeed or perish. I have already set up a seal within the chamber. It will not harm anyone else. Emperor Chu, who had remained silent, finally spoke. Brother, let me accompany you inside. Xiao Shui hugged Qiannian tightly, her large sparkling eyes already a little moist. It was clear that if he refused, she would burst into tears. Qiannian looked at Xiao Shui's determined expression, was silent for a long moment, and finally nodded. He couldn't bear to refuse her request. The life and death tribulation. Could he succeed? He absolutely had to succeed. Qiannian carried Xiao Shui and slowly walked towards the chamber ahead. Just as he was about to enter, he paused. Xiao Bai, Xiao Qing, if I don't succeed, take good care of Xiao Shui for me. Use the token I gave you to go to Tianshui's sword sect and find my master. Having said that, he stepped resolutely into the chamber. Young master, you will definitely succeed. The moment he entered, Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing immediately fell to their knees, tears streaming down their faces. All they could do was wait and pray here, hoping for his success. Don't worry, I will succeed. Qiannian said with a faint smile, comforting them. Rumble. The heavy chamber doors slowly closed. Xiao Shui, stay here and don't move. Practice your cultivation. Qiannian placed Xiao Shui on a nearby jade bed, instructing her to be obedient. Brother, can you hug me one more time? Xiao Shui suddenly looked up, blinking her watery eyes at Qiannian. Her voice was soft and gentle, like a feather brushing across one's heart. Qiannian didn't refuse and simply pulled Xiao Shui into his arms. He placed his hand on her back and gently stroked her hair. Xiao Shui closed her eyes and rested her cheek against Qiannian's chest. She didn't need to speak. Just listening to his heartbeat and feeling the warmth of his body was enough. Brother, you will succeed. Xiao Shui will wait for you. After a moment, Xiao Shui opened her big bright eyes, looked at Qiannian, and said seriously, I will. Brother also wants to see the day you stand at the pinnacle of the heavens, Xiao Shui. Qiannian felt a pang of reluctance, but he knew it was time to assault the innate extreme realm. He truly didn't have much time left. Only after taking this step could he truly establish himself in the world and earn the right to contend with the most exceptional prodigies of his generation. Brother, go for it. Xiao Shui, take care of yourself. Qiannian turned around, a determined glint flashing in his eyes. He walked to the center of the chamber and removed his outer robe. In the center of the chamber stood a bronze cauldron filled with clear spiritual spring water. Qiannian took out a jade bottle and poured the drop of king's essence blood inside. In the next moment, the spring water seemed to boil, churning violently. Innate extreme realm, here I come. Qiannian glanced back at Xiao Shui on the jade bed, then, with a resolute expression, stepped into the cauldron and sat down cross-legged. He closed his eyes quietly, sensing the surging of the blood and qi within his body. As the king's essence blood merged into him, his aura climbed higher and higher. 985,000 force. 990,000. 995,000 force. 999,000 force. After reaching 999,000 force, the rate of increase began to slow, and Qiannian gradually felt immense pressure. This pressure was simply unbearable for an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the innate realm. But Qiannian remained as steady as Mount Tai, utterly unmoving. 999,995 force. 999,997 force. Crack, crack, crack. Crack, crack, crack. Qiannian's bones emitted a piercing sound. The immense pressure felt as if it would crush him, his very muscles beginning to contort. Qiannian couldn't hold it in any longer and spat out a mouthful of blood. Brother. Seeing Qiannian spit blood, Xiao Shui immediately scrambled off the jade bed and rushed towards him, but was stopped by the defensive formation. I'm fine. Xiao Shui, go back. Qiannian shook his head, wiping the blood from his lips to reassure her. He had succeeded, reaching 999,998 force. This was the absolute peak below the innate extreme realm, a level many peerless prodigies had reached. Because what came next was the life and death tribulation, a trial with a slim chance of survival. Many peerless prodigies dared not attempt it, choosing instead to establish the strongest 8 Dao platforms. Now Qiannian had two choices. First, stop here and establish the strongest 8 Dao platforms. Second, continue to push for the final step, endure the life and death tribulation, and become a king or turn to dust. I will break through to the innate extreme realm. Qiannian did not hesitate. He continued to absorb the king's essence, blood charging towards that final step. Qiannian's physical form was now more solid than ever before. Every subtle transformation, in his skin, bones, meridians, and muscles, was vividly etched into his consciousness. Under normal circumstances, reaching the great perfection of the innate realm with the strength of 800,000 Jin had already pushed every bodily function to the absolute limit of this stage. Beyond this point, one could only repeatedly wash the meridians and bones with spiritual energy, striving for infinitesimal, almost imperceptible improvements. This process was agonizing, and the energy required was unimaginable. Thus, after reaching the great perfection of the innate realm, every sliver of progress was an arduous endeavor. Eventually, no amount of energy could yield further enhancement, for the physical body had reached its absolute limit. In other words, 999,998 Jin represented the pinnacle of physical strength for any ordinary human. Conventional methods could not push it even an ounce further. At this juncture, the bones, muscles, and meridians were virtually flawless. Yet one region remained untempered, a region fraught with extreme peril. That place was the spiritual sea, the sea of spiritual energy within. The stronger the physique, the greater the capacity and purity of the spiritual energy it could harbor. Even white spiritual energy could be compressed into silver and then to gold, growing ever more formidable. With a fixed capacity, the higher the quality of the spiritual energy, the greater the stored power, and the more Dao platforms one could construct. Thus, the final step was to temper the spiritual sea itself. However, at this very moment, the spiritual sea was at its most fragile, for it was already brimming with spiritual energy to its utmost capacity. Any slight misstep during the tempering process could cause it to explode. It was akin to a container already filled with compressed spiritual energy. The tempering process served to fortify this vessel, allowing for further compression and enhancing the quality of the spiritual energy within. Should it explode, the entire spiritual sea would be annihilated. Unless one were an undying nirvana sovereign capable of rebirth from a single drop of blood, any cultivator at the innate realm would face certain death upon the destruction of their spiritual sea. This was the life and death tribulation of challenging the innate extreme realm. During the tempering, not the slightest error could be tolerated, lest one suffer the fate of a body torn asunder by explosive energy. Boom! The residual energy of the sovereign's essence, blood, transformed into a surge of majestic spiritual energy, flooding instantly into Qiannian's body. His formidable soul force split into countless strands, each imbued with a sliver of his soul's power. These strands of soul force enveloped the energy from the sovereign's essence, blood, guiding it slowly towards the spiritual sea, tempering it bit by bit. Crack, crack. Yet as the tempering progressed deeper, Qiannian's complexion grew increasingly pale, and fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. His body trembled slightly as an indescribable pain racked his entire being, threatening to shatter his composure. But he clenched his jaw and continued to absorb the energy. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed. 3 minutes passed. Qiannian's face gradually turned ashen, his forehead beaded with sweat the size of beans, and his trembling grew more violent. This overexertion of his soul force, coupled with the physical agony of tempering, was a torment beyond imagination. No wonder it was said that challenging the innate extreme realm was a journey of near certain death. Even Qiannian, with his 1,000 years of soul power and indomitable will, found it utterly unbearable. How could anyone else possibly endure it? Brother, you will surely succeed. Xiao Shui stood outside the formation, her heart aching as she watched Qiannian's agonized expression within. Qiannian kept his eyes closed, unable to answer Xiao Shui, for at this moment he could not afford any distraction. He had to succeed in reaching the innate extreme realm. I just want to tell you one thing, Qiannian. You might have some talent, but this world is vast, far vaster than you know. There are countless others more talented than you and sects far stronger than the Tianshui sword sect. Outside Yin City, Xiao Shiyer's words flashed before his eyes. Her arrogant tone and condescending gaze seemed to convey 2 words to him: contempt, despising him as someone from a backwater place unworthy of the grand stage. With the power of his 8 Dao platforms and an amplification factor of 3, he could instantly slay Foam. So with 9 Dao platforms and the same amplification factor of 3 reaching the peak configuration, could he also slay him instantly? Indeed, without even 9 Dao platforms, what right did he have to step onto the starry stage? If he failed now, wouldn't he lose even the right to be looked down upon in the future? And what about Xiaoyan? Hadn't they agreed to battle once more at the Northern Domain Grand Competition? And Xiao Shui needed his protection. Qiannian, who was on the verge of collapse, suddenly felt a surge of renewed strength. Tens of millions of strands of soul force continuously wove around the spiritual sea, carefully tempering its walls. 50%, 60%, 70%, 90%, 95%. Almost there. Qiannian's face grew paler, yet his aura was steadily rising. 99%. Only the final step remained to success. At this moment, Qiannian could almost envision himself constructing 9 Dao platforms and sweeping through the young prodigies of the dragon-soaring continent. That was a stage he had never reached in his past life, a stage to battle all heroes and reign supreme among prodigies. 100%. The innate extreme realm was achieved. Qiannian let out a long sigh of relief. This feeling was truly wonderful. It was like a starving man finally tasting delicious food or a traveler dying of thirst in the desert suddenly spotting a clear spring. The innate extreme realm, the strongest prodigy of the innate realm. In this moment he had become a legend of the dragon-soaring continent, the most exalted child of destiny at its peak. He felt his essence, energy, and spirit had all become immensely powerful. Though it seemed like only a single gene of strength had been gained, this step felt like ascending an entire realm. It was just not apparent that the innate realm, a once foundation establishment, was achieved. The difference would become glaringly evident. It was like a test scored out of 100. One student scores 99, another scores 100. They seemed close, separated by a single point. But the one who scored 99 had only the ability for 99 points, while the one who scored 100 had maxed out the test itself. When the test's upper limit is raised and difficulty increases, the 99 scorer will still only manage 99, but the one who scored 100 can now reach 130 or 140. Yet amidst his triumph, a flicker of doubt arose in Qiannian's heart. The innate extreme realm was 999,999 gene of force. Why not a full million? Had he truly reached the absolute pinnacle of the innate realm? Was there still a path ahead? A path leading to a million gene? But then Qiannian shook his head. These were matters he could not ponder now. Historical records stated that 999,999 gene was the absolute limit of the innate realm, impossible to surpass. There was no path forward. A sage once said that the missing single gene was the one that the heavens had concealed. As the saying goes, the great Tao has 50, but only 49 are revealed. The remaining one represents the variable, the unpredictable future, and the acknowledgement of heaven and earth. Even if a path truly existed ahead, Qiannian had no idea how to traverse it, let alone dare to challenge it. Just as Qiannian was slowly withdrawing his soul force, an unexpected change occurred. Crack. At that very moment, a dull sound echoed from within his spiritual sea. A hairline crack emerged at the edge of Qiannian's spiritual sea. His expression shifted slightly as he instantly forced his receding soul force back into his body, focusing intently on the transformation. Crack. Another faint sound. The crack began to widen and the rate of expansion accelerated. Had he failed? A jolt of alarm shot through Qiannian. Why was this happening? He did not know. The world had no records of the failure process. For those who failed had their spiritual seas explode, leaving not even bones behind. No one knew how it happened. Where exactly was the problem? Crack, crack. The cracks grew larger and more numerous, looking increasingly terrifying. Suppress. Facing this dire situation, Qiannian refused to sit idly by. He channeled his spiritual energy and soul power with all his might, striving to halt the spreading cracks. The spiritual sea must not shatter. Otherwise death was certain. And at last he had found the root of the problem. In this moment, he suddenly realized that what had come before was nothing compared to this true trial of life and death. This step was the true tribulation of life and death. Or rather, what came before was a minor ordeal. This was the true, inescapable death tribulation. After reaching the great perfection of the innate realm, one must first temper the physical body, and only then temper the spiritual sea. For only when the body is sufficiently powerful can the spiritual sea become stronger. This order could not be altered. Of course, before tempering the spiritual sea, one's soul power had to be formidable, otherwise the complex process could not be completed. Thus there was a necessary sequence, not a simultaneous undertaking. This sequence implied a concept: the body, soul, and spiritual sea were treated as 3 separate entities. Furthermore, the tempering of the body occurred in multiple stages, subdivided into even more distinct areas of enhancement. In the end, it was akin to piecing together all the perfected regions to achieve the innate extreme realm. But such an innate extreme realm was inherently flawed, for it was like a porcelain doll assembled from fragments. Though exquisitely crafted, and the seams appearing flawless, it was fundamentally not cast as a single unified whole. With the slightest misstep, the seams would crack, and the entire doll would shatter into pieces. This was precisely the situation Qiannian now faced. This outcome was not inevitable. If it did not occur successfully, navigating the previous tempering process signified the birth of the innate extreme realm. But if it did occur, death was almost certain. This was the true tribulation of life and death. The previous tempering processes paled in insignificance before this. In other words, the peerless prodigies who managed to establish 9 Dao platforms had not faced the true life and death tribulation. They were fortunate that their porcelain dolls did not shatter. Those who were unlucky, like those who perished in the tribulation, were in the same predicament as Qiannian now. In most cases, the probability of encountering this life and death tribulation was significant, as failures outnumbered successes by a staggering margin. This life and death tribulation was not a matter of 9 deaths and 1 chance of life. It was a certain death with no chance of survival. Crack, crack. Bones twisted, blood splattered. Qiannian's skin was covered in fine cracks. Blood seeped through his muscles, penetrating his marrow, and grotesque fissures appeared on his bones. Like the most delicate porcelain doll, cracks began to appear all over his body, bringing him to the brink of shattering. There's no way to reverse this. No way at all. Qiannian felt a surge of despair. Even with his millennium of memories, he could find no solution. Records concerning this life and death tribulation in the world were exceedingly rare. The prodigies who successfully overcame it had never encountered this specific situation, which led to the inaccuracies in the records. Those who encountered this situation had essentially all met their end, leaving no records behind. It was also possible that his status in his past life was not high enough to access such secrets, which was why his 1,000 years of records contained no mention of it. Sit back and wait for death. No, that was not Qiannian's nature. Even with no chance of survival, he would strive and fight with all his might. His soul power once again delved into his body, carrying spiritual energy, attempting to repair or suppress the cracks. Crack, crack. A few more crisp sounds echoed as more cracks began to spread. Qiannian let out a guttural roar, his soul power surging once more in a desperate attempt to mend the fissures. But the repairs were agonizingly slow, and the cracks grew finer and more numerous. It seemed futile. By now his skin was riddled with cracks, blood flowing from them in increasing amounts. Big brother, big brother. Xiao Shue's anxious cries reached his ears, restoring a semblance of clarity to his mind. No, I cannot die. If I die, what will happen to Xiao Shue? I have already altered the trajectory of her fate. Will she still walk the same path as in her past life? No, I absolutely cannot give up. Qiannian gritted his teeth and persisted. He would never allow himself to die in this life and death tribulation. But his efforts were destined to be in vain. He felt a wave of exhaustion, a sense of powerlessness. In the end, his white robes were stained crimson with blood, making him appear like a ghastly figure drenched in gore, utterly terrifying. Is this truly the end? Qiannian's consciousness began to fade. He felt his mind on the verge of dissipating, his soul power nearly depleted, unable to hold on much longer. Qiannian let out a roar, his soul power churning wildly, compressing frantically until it condensed into a single point of golden light. This golden light contained boundless might, as if it could pierce through the ages and illuminate the galaxy. At this moment, his soul realm unexpectedly broke through, achieving the Soul Golden Core stage. However, the Soul Golden Core stage could not change his current predicament. His physical body was at its last gasp, and his spiritual sea was at its limit, on the verge of exploding. Only his consciousness, due to the breakthrough in his soul realm, became exceptionally clear at this moment. In a trance, his soul seemed to detach from his body, drifting up into the air. Big brother, big brother. The sound of crying reached him. Qiannian looked down and saw Xiao Shue weeping and calling out, her eyes filled with tears, looking utterly pitiful and endearing. Xiao Shue, have I died? Qiannian saw himself. Within the formation, his figure had become a bloody mess, his breathing growing weaker and weaker. Reborn for a second life, only to end like this. After just a month, Qiannian was filled with unwillingness, but now he was utterly powerless. Outside the secret chamber, sensing Qiannian's aura growing faint, Emperor Chu remained silent for a long time. Had Qiannian in crossing the life and death tribulation failed? No wonder 90% of the heaven-blessed prodigies fell during this tribulation. This step was indeed incredibly arduous. Even a prodigy with such courage and perseverance as Qiannian could not overcome it. Was the great Chu Empire destined to be destroyed at his hands? Qiannian, in his soul state, gazed at his own body, and a sudden idea struck him. A method that might have a chance of surviving this tribulation. His body at this moment was like a porcelain doll on the verge of shattering. But what if at this very moment he were to undertake a complete reforging? Was there a possibility that he could not only survive, but also transform his flawed state into one of perfection? This was Qiannian's only hope, his only chance at survival. However, this step required an immense amount of materials and treasures. The energy needed to reshape his entire body was far greater than before. Even a drop of a king's essence blood might not be enough. These were things he simply could not obtain now. Perhaps heaven truly wishes for my demise. The life and death tribulation worthy of its name. Big brother, you won't die? Xiao Shui won't let you die. Xiao Shui's cries reached him, causing Qiannian immense heartache. But now he could no longer open his eyes to speak. He could only watch Xiao Shui from his soul state. I'm sorry, Xiao Shui. Big brother can no longer protect you. Qiannian reached out, wanting to hold Xiao Shui one last time, but grasped nothing. Others could not see his soul, and he could not interact with the outside world. Big brother. Xiao Shui kept calling out in sorrow, her small hands pounding against the formation's barrier, desperately trying to get in and hold Qiannian. Just as Qiannian's soul was on the verge of shattering, a gentle light suddenly burst forth from the mark on Xiao Shui's forehead. A pale blue lotus slowly bloomed, and then the phantom of a colossal blue lotus appeared above Xiao Shui's head. Qiannian was astonished to discover that in this moment the cracks within his body had stopped expanding and were even gradually healing. Xiao Shui. No. Qiannian looked at Xiao Shui only to realize that her flowing black hair was gradually turning a snowy white. He reached out to stop her, but his soul was suddenly drawn back into his body. The cracks within his body were slowly mending under the gentle light emanating from Xiao Shui. Qiannian wanted to open his eyes to check on her, but he was incapable of doing anything. Xiao Shui. You must be all right. Wait for me, big brother. Qiannian took a deep breath. Since he was immobile, he decided to use this state to reforge his entire body, so as not to let Xiao Shui's sacrifice be in vain. Once, twice, thrice. A series of explosions erupted from Qiannian's body, his skin laced with cracks as blood cascaded down his form. Yet his aura was steadily intensifying. He was reforging his body, excavating every ounce of latent potential before recasting it into a flawless vessel. The reforged flesh was truly immaculate, no longer bearing the imperfections of a patchwork creation. This step was meant to be a death sentence, yet with Xiao Shui's aid he sailed through it with astonishing ease. The ease defied all imagination. Outside the secret chamber, Emperor Chu had abandoned all hope and was about to open the door when he abruptly halted. Within Qiannian's aura, which had dwindled to a mere flicker, began to recover and surge with growing power. This succeeded. Emperor Chu was stunned. He had assumed Qiannian's failure and death were certain, yet his aura had suddenly revived. Unfamiliar with the life-death tribulation of the extreme innate realm, he refrained from further speculation. Success brought him immense joy, for it signified that his great Chu empire now boasted a prodigy beyond compare. He could already envision it. At the Northern Domain Grand Competition, less than a year away, the name Qiannian would resound across the entire dragon-soaring continent. As time trickled by, a thick crust of dried blood formed over Qiannian's body. Suddenly a burst of dense golden light erupted from him, blazing like a radiant sun. The golden light shattered the blood crust, revealing skin as pure as white jade beneath. His previously fractured and cracked flesh was now as supple and smooth as a newborn's, devoid of even a single scar. His bones turned crystalline and translucent, as if gilded with gold dust, emanating a resplendent glow. His garments, however, were consumed by the brilliant flash, but in the next instant a pristine white robe materialized upon him. Qiannian exhaled a long, turbid breath. At this moment, an indescribable majesty radiated from his very being. Success. Qiannian opened his eyes. The extreme innate realm was achieved. And not just any extreme innate realm, a truly flawless one. It surpassed even the records of ancient texts. Not the 99,999,999 ultimate force, but the million extreme realm. So powerful. The quality of my spiritual energy is more than double that of the flawed extreme innate realm I had before. Qiannian was profoundly shaken. With spiritual energy quality twice that of a normal extreme innate realm. Did this mean he could effortlessly defeat prodigies of the same realm? But now was not the time for such thoughts. He dispelled the restrictions and rushed over to find Xiao Shui lying unconscious on the ground. Xiao Shui's once lustrous black hair had turned as white as snow, and the snow lotus mark on her forehead had deepened significantly in color. 2 traces of dried tears stained her delicate face, making her look utterly pitiable. Xiao Shui. Qiannian's heart churned with complex emotions. Without her he would have surely perished. He reached out, gently stroking her snow-white hair, his eyes filled with grief. He knew not what had befallen her body, but she must have suffered an unseen trauma. If not for the faint rhythm of her breathing, he would have lost his mind. His life was a gift from her now. The debt he owed her was beyond measure. A chill emanated from her hair. His fingers moved forward, brushing against her forehead. A layer of frost instantly crystallized on his fingertips as an extreme cold seeped into his skin. Even without any defensive measures, an ordinary attack at the great perfection of innate realm couldn't breach his defenses. Yet this cold was so intense it could bypass even that level of protection. Alarmed, Qiannian channeled his spiritual energy, enveloping Xiao Shui in a warm protective aura. He lifted her, noting her body was frigid enough to freeze lesser innate realm cultivators solid. He placed a hand over her heart, finding its beat steady and calm, as if she were merely sleeping. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. As long as she was safe, that was all that mattered. Xiao Shui, you'll be fine. He whispered softly in her ear, then carried her out of the secret chamber. Young master, you succeeded. Young master, what's wrong with Xiao Shui? Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing rushed over, their faces alight with joy and concern. Don't touch her. Her body is in a peculiar state. Those with lower cultivation will be frostbitten by contact. Seeing Xiao Qing reach for Xiao Shui, Mo Qiannian quickly stopped her. Xiao Qing, still at the acquired realm, couldn't possibly withstand the extreme cold radiating from Xiao Shui's body. Young master, what happened to her? Xiao Qing asked nervously. Something's wrong with her body. I'm not sure what occurred. You two head outside first. I need to speak with Emperor Chu. Mo Qiannian paused, then said slowly. Xiao Bai and Xiao Qing exchanged a glance, holding back their myriad questions as they withdrew. I know what you're about to ask. I cannot see through her. Emperor Chu shook his head as Mo Qiannian's gaze fell upon him. Even Emperor Chu couldn't discern her condition. Mo Qiannian sighed, inwardly gazing at Xiao Shui's peaceful slumber. Perhaps he would have to seek his master's counsel. The most powerful being he knew was his master, a sword cultivator who had slain a king realm powerhouse with a single strike. The extreme innate realm. You succeeded? Emperor Chu asked again. Yes, I succeeded by fortune's grace. Mo Qiannian nodded slightly, a somber expression on his face. With Xiao Shui still unconscious, how could he find any cause for celebration? Remember our agreement. Emperor Chu fell silent for a moment, a flicker of complex emotion in his eyes, then turned and departed. Watching Emperor Chu leave, Mo Qiannian turned and re-entered the secret chamber. The ordeal was far from over. He was about to break through to the foundation establishment realm. With his extreme innate realm, he could slay ordinary foundation establishment cultivators, but a core formation cultivator would still be beyond his reach. How formidable would his foundation establishment be forged from the million extreme realm? He didn't know, but he was certain of one thing: he would no longer fear core formation cultivators. Only after establishing his foundation could he dare to take Xiao Shui back to the Heavenly Water Sword sect to find his master. He laid Xiao Shui upon the jade bed in the corner of the chamber, then stepped back into the formation's protective barrier, preparing to break through to foundation establishment. The breakthrough to foundation establishment was not particularly perilous, and with the palace's secret chamber protected by formations, the energy wouldn't disperse. He could complete the process with peace of mind. He simply wondered what difference lay between establishing his foundation with a million extreme realm versus the 99,999,999 extreme foundation. The transition from the perfected innate realm to the foundation establishment stage involves using the soul brush to construct a spiritual energy Dao platform within the sea of consciousness. Since the platform must be drawn in one continuous stroke, without pause, a more powerful soul is preferable, allowing the task to be completed in a single fluid motion. If one is disturbed during the construction, or if their soul power is exhausted and the stroke is broken, the Dao platform will stabilize in its incomplete form and cannot be further enhanced. For instance, a peerless prodigy with power exceeding 950,000 could construct 7 Dao platforms. However, if after constructing 6 platforms their soul power is insufficient for the 7th, that prodigy would be relegated to a 6-platform foundation establishment. Similarly, if the 7th platform fails, even if it is 99% complete, due to insufficient soul power or interruption, the outcome is the same. The unfinished platform would dissipate, resulting in a 6-platform foundation. Therefore, foundation establishment must not be attempted while disturbed or in a poor mental state. But Mo Qiannian need not worry about such matters now. No one will disturb him in the secret chamber of the Imperial Palace. Having just broken through to the Golden Core realm in soul cultivation, constructing Dao platforms is a trivial matter for him. His formidable Golden Core realm soul condensed into a golden spiritual brush within his body, which began to trace the first Dao platform within his sea of consciousness. Boom! As the first Dao platform fully materialized, Mo Qiannian's aura instantly doubled, surging to a power of 2 million. Achieving foundation establishment from the perfected innate realm, each Dao platform doubles one's power from the peak of the innate realm. An ordinary cultivator at the perfected innate realm possesses only 800,000 power. Upon achieving a 1-platform foundation, their power would merely reach 1,600,000. This is precisely why some heaven-defying innate realm cultivators can slay foundation establishment experts. Even an innate realm cultivator with the potential for 7 platforms, possessing 950,000 power, would only have a multiplier of 2, granting them 1,900,000 power. Whereas a 1-platform foundation establishment has a multiplier of merely 1 to 1, 2, which is still inferior to the power of a 7-platform innate realm prodigy. The second, third, fourth, fifth platforms. Qiannian's aura continued to swell. 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. Until the ninth platform was completed, Qiannian's power had reached 10 million. A 9-platform foundation establishment is equivalent to a 10-fold increase over the pinnacle of the innate realm. Including the multipliers, his power would reach a terrifying 30 million. It could be said that even a 3-stripe white pill core formation expert would be far inferior in power. A 3-platform foundation establishment starting with 850,000 power and doubling 3 times a factor of 4 would amount to nearly 3,500,000. When a 3-platform foundation establishment cultivator forms their core, their power increases 4-fold again, reaching 14 million. Even a core formation cultivator of such aptitude would only have a multiplier of around 1.30, far inferior to a 9-platform peerless foundation establishment. Only a 4-stripe silver pill cultivator with a multiplier exceeding 1 could boast 30 million power. In other words, a 9-platform peerless foundation establishment is comparable in combat power to a 4-stripe silver pill master. However, Qiannian could clearly sense that his soul power and spiritual energy still had significant reserves. 9 platforms were not his limit. But does a 10th platform truly exist in this world? 9 platforms already elevate one's power 10-fold from the pinnacle of the innate realm, achieving perfection. Would a 10th platform an 11-fold increase not seem abrupt? Moreover, 9 is the ultimate number. Generally, 9 marks the end. Whether a 10th platform exists or not, I should attempt it. Qiannian murmured, and he continued to wield the soul brush, beginning to construct the 10th platform. Boom. With merely the first stroke, Qiannian felt his soul power and spiritual energy being consumed at a frenzied pace. The rate of consumption was several times faster than during the 9th platform. Yet he showed no sign of retreat, continuing the construction of the 10th platform. Since he could draw the first stroke, did that not imply the 10th platform truly existed? As his soul power and spiritual energy dwindled, Qiannian's face grew pale, sweat beaded on his forehead, and he appeared utterly exhausted. One more stroke. Qiannian gritted his teeth, feeling his spiritual energy nearly depleted on the verge of collapse. Yet each platform required 9 strokes, and he had only completed 7. He had to persevere. Whoosh! With a flash of spiritual light, Qiannian retrieved pills and spiritual liquids from his storage ring and consumed them. His soul power and spiritual energy recovered somewhat. Though negligible compared to his peak state, it was like sweet rain after a drought, granting him strength once more. As the 8th stroke was completed, both his spiritual energy and soul power were utterly depleted, yet 1 stroke remained to finish the platform. The recovery pills and spiritual herbs in his storage pouch were long exhausted. As one cannot pause during the condensation of a Dao platform, Qiannian gritted his teeth and forcibly executed the final stroke. Boom. The instant the final stroke landed, Qiannian's head throbbed with excruciating pain, as if it were about to explode. He yearned to scream, feeling as though his very soul was on the verge of detonation. His body shuddered violently, nearly collapsing. He swayed, his face ashen, his entire frame trembling. The agony was unbearable, akin to having his flesh carved by blades, a torment of 1,000 cuts. Qiannian felt he could lose consciousness at any moment, or even die. This level of pain was simply insufferable. Qiannian gritted his teeth and endured, his body trembling uncontrollably. Qiannian, you have lost. In his memories, Qiannian gazed at him coldly, trampling him underfoot. You are no match for me, not by a long shot. You are not even worthy of making me strike. You are too weak, too disappointing. In a distant memory, he faced Qiannian once more in a duel at the Tianshui sword sect. Back then he was at the 6-stripe silver pill realm built upon a 6-platform foundation. Qiannian, however, had achieved a 9-stripe peerless golden core from a 9-platform foundation. The gap between them was immense. He could not even withstand a single blow from Qiannian, being crushed by a single hand. No, I absolutely cannot give up. I must complete this final stroke. Qiannian gritted his teeth, knowing he could endure no longer. But he had to persevere. Was 9 platforms truly the limit? This world is vast and boundless. As the future holy maiden, there is a name you should have heard of, right? Yi Ziying. Qiannian thought of Yi Ziying again, whom he had only seen in a memory stone in his past life. Clad in white, peerless and unmatched among prodigies. She achieved transcendence at 14 and trod upon kings at 18. Could such a heaven-blessed daughter of the stars truly have been built on merely 9 platforms? Could 9 platforms truly grant such heaven-defying talent? Qiannian's eyes were bloodshot, veins bulging across his body as if they might burst, yet he did not release the soul brush, continuing to draw slowly. He truly refused to concede. This was his only chance. If he missed it, he would never reach the heights of Yi Ziying. This was the sole foundation upon which he could stand on the grand stage of the myriad heavens. By now the soul power and spiritual energy within Mo Qiannian were almost completely spent. As the final stroke progressed, a trickle of fresh blood seeped from the corner of Mo Qiannian's mouth. No, I will not give up. Mo Qiannian clenched his jaw, a wild frenzy burning in his eyes. The final stroke was finally completed. It is done. Mo Qiannian's eyes sparkled with excitement. Rumble, an overwhelming pressure and terrifying oppression emanated from him, far surpassing the 9-platform foundation establishment. Mo Qiannian let out a long breath, feeling invigorated as his spiritual energy and soul power were restored to their peak. He looked inward at his sea of consciousness and discovered that his Dao platforms were not arranged in a standard line, but in a circle. At the center of the circle was the 10th platform, formed from condensed golden spiritual energy. The surrounding 9 platforms were pristine white, but the 10th was gold. His foundational power had directly doubled from the 9-platform base, reaching a terrifying 20 million colossal force. Outside the great Chu Empire's capital, Mo Qiannian sat cross-legged atop a small mountain peak, 4 spiritual swords hovering beside him. Spiritual swords are spiritual treasures used by transcendent beings, their value beyond imagination. Previously, as the chief senior brother of the Tianshui sword sect, he possessed only a single spiritual sword. But after he attained the innate extreme realm and revealed that he was also a sword formation master, the Chu Emperor bestowed upon him 3 more spiritual swords. Many transcendent beings lack spiritual treasures altogether, still relying on precious artifacts. Only the Chu Emperor, a pinnacle expert among transcendents, could grant 3 spiritual swords at once. With my current golden core level soul power executing the first tier of the Tai sword formation, with 4 spiritual swords I can slay experts at the 4-striped silver core level. A moment later, Mo Qiannian opened his eyes, a sharp gleam flashing within them. Since achieving foundation establishment, his strength had grown immensely. A 4-striped silver core cultivator was considered a formidable expert even in the great Chu capital. After all, most core formation cultivators were at the white core level. Those at the higher golden core level were far too few, and those with such talent had already broken through to even higher realms. Now Mo Qiannian's strength allowed him to face any core formation cultivator without fear. With a base power of 20 million gene amplified by a 3-fold increase, he could rival the might of a 6-striped silver core expert. He withdrew his spiritual swords, leaving only one in hand, and swept his gaze across the surroundings. A faint golden light flickered through his eyes. 8 core formation cultivators, including 2 at the 4-stripe silver core level, 2 at the 3-stripe white core, and 4 at the 2-stripe white core. I wonder if any divine ability grand cultivators are among them. Mo Qiannian murmured inwardly. Just now he had swept his golden core level soul power across the area without alerting any of these core formation cultivators. A divine ability grand cultivator? Surely not. His news of the 8-fold platform hadn't spread long ago, so it likely hadn't attracted their attention yet. After all, a divine ability grand cultivator held an exalted status wherever they went. 8 core formation cultivators, 6 radiating killing intent, 2 with unclear intentions. It seems a great battle is unavoidable. A battle intent surged within Mo Qiannian's eyes. He too wished to see just how powerful a 10-fold platform foundation establishment truly was. Moreover, he had not hidden his identity when leaving the city. He had walked out openly and boldly, precisely to lure these scheming individuals into a trap and eliminate them all at once. Come out, I know you've been following me. Mo Qiannian scanned his surroundings, his voice cold. Brat, the blood debt for killing young Master Mofeng must now be repaid. The moment his words fell, a powerful aura erupted as an old man in a black robe stepped forward. This was the core formation guard who had once served by Mofeng's side. A formidable cultivator at the 4-stripe silver core level. Just you alone, Mo Qiannian said calmly, gazing at the old man. Had to kill you, this old man alone is more than enough. The old man drew a saber, licking its blade with his tongue, a hint of madness gleaming in his eyes. Slaying a heavenly prodigy of the 8-fold platform foundation establishment. What great glory that would be. Are you certain you can kill me? Boy, you seem confident just because you've become a foundation establishment cultivator. With an 8-fold platform, even with a 5-fold amplification, you'd only have over 20 million gene of force. How can that contend with my 30 million plus? Mo Qiannian waved the long sword in his hand. But my precious sword is a spiritual artifact. Aren't you afraid your top-grade precious weapon will break? Hearing this, the black-robed old man burst into wild, unrestrained laughter. In his eyes, Mo Qiannian had already become a fish on the chopping block awaiting his slaughter. Once I kill you, won't your spiritual artifact become mine? Mo Qiannian smiled faintly. Then I'd like to see how you plan to kill me. With that, Mo Qiannian took a step forward. Die! The old man roared, flicking his wrist as a blood-red gleam enveloped his curved saber, and he slashed fiercely. Within the blood-red curved saber, it seemed a blood dragon was prowling. In an instant the world between heaven and earth was filled with a violent, brutal aura. The Bloodfiend Saber Art, a ruthlessly cruel killing technique. Under this art all life was naught but prey for slaughter. Qiannian's gaze sharpened. He stomped his right foot heavily, causing the entire mountain peak to tremble violently as a terrifying force erupted. His pure physical strength of 20 million gene was immensely powerful. One stomp could shatter a mountain peak. Yet he clearly concealed his true power, unleashing only 10 million gene. Boom. Qiannian's and the old man's attacks collided with tremendous force, producing an earth-shattering explosion. A destructive energy surged outward, reducing the surrounding trees to dust. The entire mountain peak cracked with over a dozen fissures from the shockwave. The combat power of the core formation realm was on full display. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Qiannian retreated 3 steps, each step landing dozens of meters away, leaving 3 massive craters in the ground. Although the old man held the absolute advantage in this exchange, he had inflicted no real damage on Qiannian. Little bastard, 10 million gene of force. So you truly have achieved foundation establishment. The old man licked his saber blade again, a red gleam flashing in his eyes as the blade's crimson glow intensified. Slaying a peerless prodigy was truly exhilarating. Old man, killing me won't be so easy. Qiannian roared in anger, taking another step forward. The two figures collided fiercely once more. Boom. A deafening explosion thundered across the sky as a terrifying, overwhelming force swept outward in all directions. Both Qiannian and the black-robed old man were sent flying backward. Yet Qiannian retreated only 3 steps while the old man stumbled back 5. In this exchange, Qiannian had gained the upper hand. 23 million gene of force. This is no ordinary 8-fold platform. The old man was secretly shocked. He hadn't used his amplification, his base power being just over 22 million, yet he had been pushed back a step. 23 million. Either his amplification factor exceeds 2.5, or his base strength surpasses 97500 gene. Qiannian was not just at the threshold of the 8-fold platform. He was an exceptionally powerful existence, even among 8-fold platform cultivators. Unfortunately, meeting this old man means even a peerless 8-fold platform foundation establishment is doomed. The old man cackled, madness and greed flickering in his eyes. He coveted not only the treasures in Qiannian's storage pouch, but also the head of a peerless foundation establishment prodigy. A terrifying aura erupted from his body as he thrust his curved saber forward. Bloodfiend Slaughter Art died. Whoosh. This strike surpassed 30 million gene of force. The old man had activated his technique amplification of 1.5, bringing his power to over 33 million. Even a peerless 9-fold platform foundation establishment with a full 3x amplification would only reach nearly 30 million. This strike was impossible for any foundation establishment to withstand. A terrifying saber arc tore through the air, aimed straight for Qiannian's throat. This blow could slay a peerless 8-fold platform foundation establishment, and even a 9-fold platform cultivator would suffer severe injuries. Excitement gleamed in the old man's eyes. Yet he failed to notice that Qiannian, standing still and awaiting his attack, had a cold sneer curling at the corner of his lips. Sword formation rise. Qiannian uttered softly as a terrifying aura surged from his body. Behind him 3 sword beams materialized. Within each sword beam resided a devastating destructive intent. Every beam possessed over 10 million gene of force. 3 beams made 30 million, and combined with the longsword in Qiannian's hand, there were 4 sword beams in total. Kill! A soft chant echoed across the heavens. The sword beams, like ancient demons descending from primordial times, formed a sword formation. Sword light danced within the array, clashing against the old man's terrifying saber arc. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying power erupted, shaking the very void. Massive craters appeared around the mountain peak, leaving the surroundings in utter chaos. When 2 mighty experts clashed, one wielding a sword formation and the other unleashing his full power, the devastation wrought was simply unimaginable. How is this possible? A sword beam tinged with blood swept across the old man's neck. Splurt. Blood sprayed into the air. A head flew high into the sky. The 4-striped silver core expert, dead. He died with his eyes wide open in disbelief. His cultivation had reached the 4-striped silver core realm. Even a peerless 9-fold platform foundation establishment shouldn't have been able to slay him. The severed head lying on the ground still stared with bulging eyes filled with deep unwillingness and resentment. Qiannian spat out a mouthful of blood, using his sword to support his swaying body. His pristine white robe was already stained crimson. Whether it was his own blood or the old man's was impossible to tell. His aura was now extremely feeble, so weak he could barely stand, as if any ordinary mortal could slay him. Trembling, he staggered to the old man's corpse and retrieved the storage pouch from his waist. 1, 2, 3. Mo Qiannian counted silently in his mind. Sure enough, just as he rose to stow away the pouch, a sound sliced through the air. Whooshed! A sharp arrow shot forth, grazing his hand and pinning the storage pouch to the ground. A 4 insignia silver core elder's pouch was bound to hold considerable treasures. Mo Qiannian spat out another mouthful of blood. Though the arrow had missed him, its fierce arrow chi had wounded him. You cannot leave yet. A calm voice echoed as 3 figures emerged. Leading them was one of the 2 4 insignia silver core powerhouses he had sensed. With the other 4 insignia silver core elder dead, this man was now the strongest hidden presence here. Besides him, the other 2 were 2 insignia white core cultivators, 3 core formation cultivators in total. 3 core formation experts, an overwhelming force capable of razing Yin City to the ground. Behind them lurked at least a divine ability grand cultivator, and possibly even a transcendent. May I ask what business you esteemed seniors have with this junior? Mo Qiannian's face showed a hint of solemnity as he spoke weakly to the 3 powerhouses. Mo Qiannian, the chief disciple of Tianshui's sword sect, quite interesting. The Lord didn't believe you possessed the bearing of 8 Dao platforms, but seeing you today, indeed heroes are made young. The white-haired elder, the 4 insignia silver core leader among the 3 core formation cultivators, chuckled, though a highly dangerous glint lurked in his eyes. Mo Qiannian sensed a deeply concealed murderous intent from him. 1,000 years of experience in his past life made him acutely sensitive to such killing intent. This visitor was no friend. Mere luck. Mo Qiannian lowered his head, speaking softly. This junior still has matters to attend to, so I shall take my leave. Humph. A gray-robed man beside the 4 insignia silver core powerhouse let out a cold snort, his murderous intent undisguised. Another black-robed man said coldly, Brother, why waste words? Mo Qiannian, our master summons you. Mo Qiannian frowned and asked, who is your master? The black-robed man replied haughtily, Lord Wind King of the great Qin Empire. Wind King. Mo Qiannian's face paled. This was truly a great figure, a mighty transcendent being. The great Qin Empire was even more powerful than the great Chu Empire, boasting true king realm experts and renowned throughout the entire northern domain. And Wind King was among the very top in the great Qin Empire, famed alongside Cloud King as the twin kings of Wind and Cloud, shaking the entire empire. One could even say that if Wind King came to the great Chu Empire, none but the Chu Emperor himself could suppress him. Still 4 more hiding. Mo Qiannian silently commended the 4 core formation cultivators still in hiding. Even at this point, they had yet to reveal themselves. Without them all showing themselves, he couldn't be certain of instantly killing them all. If he couldn't kill them in one strike, his 9 Dao platform strength would be exposed. 9 Dao platforms were nothing like 8 Dao platforms. Though rare, the northern domain alone openly had 3 8 Dao platform prodigies. But 9 Dao platforms, even in the northern prefecture, was legendary. If news of his 9 Dao platform status leaked, it wouldn't just be a few core formation cultivators coming. Even transcendence would be shaken. Cough, cough. And if I refuse? Mo Qiannian gripped his spirit sword, facing the 3 core formation cultivators. Ha ha, Mo Qiannian, do you think you still have the right to refuse? Don't think that killing a 4 insignia silver core cultivator makes you invincible. The one you slew was already wounded by a transcendent, his strength not at its peak. Coupled with his carelessness, your victory was but a fluke. The white-haired 4 insignia silver core cultivator sneered coldly, his aura already sealing the surroundings, rendering Mo Qiannian immobile. How much strength do you have left now? Any foundation establishment cultivator could easily crush you, right? If you don't come willingly, don't blame us for being impolite. The 3 core formation cultivators stared coldly at Mo Qiannian, wearing expressions of complete triumph. Mo Qiannian was undoubtedly talented, even a rare sword array master, but in the end he was merely a foundation establishment cultivator. Killing that 4 insignia silver core elder must have been luck plus exhaustion. Otherwise, how could a foundation establishment cultivator slay a 4 insignia silver core powerhouse? Mo Qiannian asked in a deep voice, May I ask what business Lord Wind King has with me? Naturally, your talent has piqued Lord Wind King's interest. If you are willing to pledge allegiance to him, you could stride unhindered across the entire northern domain. The white-haired man sneered coldly, gazing at Mo Qiannian as if he were a lamb awaiting slaughter. Pledge allegiance to Wind King. Mo Qiannian feigned a shocked expression on the surface. After all, a peerless powerhouse taking notice of him warranted such a reaction. But inwardly he sneered. If it were truly about allegiance, would these 3 core formation cultivators be so arrogant? Moreover, with his 8 Dao platform talent, the path to King Realm was promising. Would Wind King truly be willing to pay the price to let him grow stronger than himself? There was likely much trickery at play. Perhaps if he went today, there would be no trace of him tomorrow. What being valued by Lord Wind King, aren't you excited? Mo Qiannian remained silent, his eyes flickering with contemplation. After a moment, he sheathed his sword and slightly cupped his fists toward the three, saying cough cough. I know I cannot refuse. Then I'll trouble you three to lead the way. Ha! Good. A wise man submits to circumstance. The four insignia silver core powerhouse laughed heartily. We shall take you to the great Qian Empire now. As they spoke, the three summoned their flying treasures and turned their gazes toward Qiannian. Throughout this entire process, the three core formation cultivators kept their auras locked onto Qiannian. At the slightest abnormal movement, they would unleash a thunderous strike. Qiannian had no choice but to take out his spirit sword. Yet just as he was about to step onto it, the three core formation cultivators' expressions abruptly turned grim. Fellow Taoists, since you're already here, why not show yourself? The white-haired four insignia silver core cultivator swept his gaze around, speaking coldly. Old Monster High, long time no see. I trust you've been well. A calm voice rang out as a sinister young man dressed in a blood-red robe appeared. A wicked smile played on his lips as he strolled forward, his gaze fixed on Qiannian with curiosity. Blood demon, it's you. Seeing the sudden appearance of the sinister youth, the white-haired four insignia silver core elder's expression turned grim. Though this newcomer was only at the three insignia white core level, he hailed from the demon sect. The demon sect possessed bizarre arts that were difficult to guard against, which was why, despite the man being a rank lower, he felt immense dread. And us. Three more powerful figures emerged from the shadows. One at three insignia white core, and two at two insignia white core. Qianhe sect, Great Jing Empire, Great Xia Empire. As he looked at the three, the white-haired cultivator, called Old Monster High by Blood Demon, found his expression growing increasingly grim. He hadn't expected so many factions to come for Qiannian at once. Adding their three core formation cultivators, there were now 7 core formation cultivators present. It seemed taking Qiannian away would not be so easy after all. 7 core formation cultivators encircled Qiannian, their eyes gleaming with varied intentions. These 7 individuals hailed from 5 major powers: the Wind King, the Demon Sect, the Great Jing Empire, the Qianhe Sect, and the Great Xia Empire. Behind each of these figures stood an unfathomably powerful transcendent being. Now all their ambitions converged upon Qiannian. Moreover, the factions backing these cultivators harbored varying degrees of enmity towards the Great Chu Empire. Consequently, a full 5 of the 7 eyed him with murderous intent. The 2 without killing intent were the Blood Demon from the Demon Sect and a 3-thread white pill cultivator from the Qianhe Sect. The Demon Sect ranked among the 3 supreme sects of the Northern Domain, possessing even deeper foundations than the Tianshui Sword Sect. Despite the demon in its name, the sect was not an evil organization reveling in slaughter. Rather, its cultivation methods leaned towards the cold and sinister. The Qianhe Sect, however, was far less prestigious, merely a first-rate sect in the Northern Domain, even slightly inferior to the Tianshui Sword Sect. Yet even so, the sect's strength was not to be underestimated, rivaling that of the Great Chu Empire. In the Northern Domain, powerful sects far surpassed empires. Qiannian, my master, is an elder of the Demon Sect, a transcendent being. Having heard of your potential for 8 Dao platforms, I happened to pass by and witness your execution of core formation cultivators. Slaying a 4-thread silver pill expert at the foundation establishment stage, though luck played a part, your talent is in no way inferior to our Demon Lord's young master. My master has said that if you are willing to join the Demon Sect, he will ensure your safety. The Blood Demon's gaze upon Qiannian flickered with an eerie red light. Before Qiannian could respond, Old Monster High's expression turned exceedingly grim. Blood Demon, Qiannian belongs to the Wind King. You cannot take him. Haha, Old Monster High, do not try to intimidate me with the Wind King. In the Northern Domain, no one can make the Demon Sect back down. If you wish for a battle, then I shall oblige. The Blood Demon laughed heartily, his blood-red eyes burning with intense battle fervor. This only caused Old Monster High's expression to turn even colder, and he shifted his gaze to the other 3 core formation cultivators. Among the other 3, only the elder from the Qianhe Sect, a 3-thread white pill cultivator, posed a concern. The other 2, being at the 2-thread white pill level, were not worth worrying about. Old Monster High, you cannot take Qiannian away. We have our orders to bring him back as well, said the cultivator from the Great Xia Empire, though his tone lacked conviction, as he was the weakest among them. Forget it. I had hoped to forge a good connection, but seeing the current situation, there is no role left for this old man. I shall take my leave. The 3-thread white pill elder from the Qianhe Sect, after a moment of hesitation, bade farewell and departed. With Old Monster High and the Blood Demon present, his presence was indeed superfluous. Meanwhile, the 2-thread white pill cultivators from the Great Jing and Great Xia Empires drew closer together, forming a tentative alliance. Being the weakest at only the 2-thread white pill stage, they had little say unless they stood united. This created a 3-way standoff with the Blood Demon on one side. Senior Blood Demon, you are aware of my current predicament. The initiative does not lie with me, Qiannian said, his face pale, addressing the Blood Demon. Simultaneously, he sent a secret voice transmission. Senior blood demon, my master is nearby. Please do not get caught up in the ensuing reckoning. Since the blood demon carried no killing intent, Qiannian did not plan to eliminate him. Moreover, he was uncertain if the blood demon possessed other trump cards for a 3-thread white pill cultivator could make even a 4-thread silver pill expert like Old Monster High cautious. His current strength did not guarantee victory against 2 4-thread silver pill cultivators simultaneously. The blood demon's eyes narrowed slightly. Others might not know Qiannian's master, but hailing from the demon sect, he was well aware. It was the sword god of the Tianshui sword sect, the peerless sword god who had slain a king-level supreme being with a single strike. Old Monster High, I take my leave. Without a moment's hesitation, the blood demon nodded to Qiannian. A blood-colored wheel blade materialized beneath his feet, and he vanished as a streak of crimson light. Seeing the blood demon leave without apparent reason, Old Monster High frowned. In his memory, the blood demon was not one to retreat so easily. Nevertheless, the fewer complications now the better. The sooner he brought Qiannian back, the less chance for chaos to erupt later. After the blood demon's departure, the 2 cultivators from the Great Xia and Great Jing empires instinctively stepped back. Without the blood demon to restrain Old Monster High, they were far outmatched. Yet they remained bound by their master's commands. If Qiannian truly possessed the 8 Dao platforms, he had to die. Both the Great Xia and Great Jing empires were hostile to the Great Chu empire. Certain individuals could not bear to see a peerless prodigy emerge from their rival. You 2 still refused to retreat. Old Monster High stared coldly at the 2 core formation cultivators from the Great Xia and Great Jing empires. But at that moment, a sudden extreme sense of danger surged within his heart. A fierce sword aura erupted from behind, causing his hairs to stand on end. Old Monster High spun around, his pupils contracting sharply. The sword energy was too fast, its might too overwhelming, instilling a sense of impending death. Old Monster High attempted to dodge, but he was a step too slow. Boom. The sword energy tore through the void, carrying immense momentum, and struck him instantly. A terrifying explosion echoed. The defensive chi barrier around Old Monster High shattered, instantly failing to hold for even a second. He was sent flying backwards, spitting out a torrent of blood. This single sword strike not only destroyed his protective shield, but also pierced straight through his spiritual sea. No. Impossible. Recognizing the attacker, a look of utter disbelief crossed Old Monster High's face before his head lolled to the side lifeless. Killed with a single sword strike. The one who struck was none other than Qiannian. After the blood demon left, he had bided his time, seizing the moment when Old Monster High's attention was fixed on the other 2 cultivators to launch his decisive attack. The sudden turn of events caught the other 4 2-thread white pill cultivators completely off guard. The speed was so extreme that even Old Monster High, a 4-thread silver pill expert, had failed to evade. By the time they registered what had happened, Old Monster High was already dead. The 4 core formation cultivators were utterly horrified. Old Monster High, a 4-thread silver pill cultivator, had been instantly eliminated. What level of strength was the attacker hiding? As they turned, an even more shocking sight greeted them. Qiannian, who had appeared weakened, drenched in blood, and was regarded as a fish on the chopping block, now showed not a single trace of injury. His pristine white robes were spotless, and behind him 9 immaculate, gleaming Dao platforms delivered an overwhelming impact. They finally understood the meaning of impossible in Old Monster High's dying words. How could a peerless foundation establishment with 9 Dao platforms possibly appear here within Qiannian? Run! Without a second thought, they fled. They didn't know exactly how strong a 9-platform foundation establishment was, but if he could instantly kill a 4-thread silver pill expert like Old Monster High, how many moves could the 4 of them at the 2-thread white pill level possibly survive together? Too late to leave now, Qiannian said calmly. Those who sought his death must be prepared to die themselves. For spiritual swords shot forth, transforming into 4 beams of light that instantly caught up with the scattering white pill cultivators. Oh, don't kill me. I can do anything for you. Save me, I don't want to die. You little beast. If you kill me when Lord Wind King finds out, you'll die a horrible death. The 4 white pill cultivators screamed and fled, their eyes filled with terror. Despite their 2-thread white pill strength, they stood no chance against a peerless prodigy of 9 Dao platforms foundation establishment. Their pleas for mercy elicited no sympathy from Qiannian. With a wave of his hand, the spiritual swords shot through the air. 4 sword beams instantly pierced through their bodies. Counting the earlier Elder and Old Monster High, a total of 6 core formation cultivators had fallen to Qiannian in this single battle. Such was the true might of a peerless foundation establishment with 10 Dao platforms. It could almost be said that beneath the golden core stage, he was invincible. Without strength, one can only be bullied. Qiannian sighed softly. In this world of cultivation, you may choose not to kill others, but you cannot demand that others spare you. The human heart is unfathomable, especially in a world where the strong reign supreme. Had he only established his foundation with 8 platforms, he would have been the one to fall this time. Even 9 platforms would not have sufficed. But he was the unrecorded 10-platform prodigy, his combat prowess beyond anyone's imagination. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage pouches of the 6 deceased core formation cultivators. These core formation cultivators were all backed by powerful factions, not rogue cultivators, so their storage pouches were filled with abundant resources. The combined wealth of the 6 pouches could likely purchase the entire Yin city. This somewhat replenished his depleted resources. However, at this moment he no longer coveted such possessions. What he needed now were spirit swords. 4 spirit swords could not truly unleash the full power of the Tai sword formation. Even the first formation at its peak required no fewer than 10 spirit swords. With 10 spirit swords flying together, he could slay any core formation cultivator below the golden core stage. If his soul power reached the transcendent level, and he mastered the second formation, unleashing 100 swords, the might would be simply unimaginable. With a whoosh of flame flickered in Mo Qiannian's hand, incinerating the corpses of the 6 core formation experts before he turned and strode away. The next moment, Mo Qiannian halted abruptly, a sense of danger surging within him. Acting on pure instinct, he executed a blink step, appearing 10 meters away. Boom! A massive explosion erupted where he had just stood. Mo Qiannian couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, his face turning as pale as paper. This was not an act, he had genuinely been injured. A moment ago he had been but a single step away from the epicenter of the blast. Had he not reacted in time, that strike would have claimed his life. This was certainly not the work of a core formation cultivator. Even a 7 or 8-thread golden core expert could not have achieved such a feat. Because his soul realm had also reached the golden core level, an attack from a golden core expert could not have nearly bypassed his perception. This was the work of a divine ability grandmaster. Without a moment's hesitation, Mo Qiannian unleashed his utmost speed, darting towards the capital of the great Chu Empire. A divine ability grandmaster was not someone he could contend with in his current state. Even a supreme 9-thread golden core expert couldn't defeat the most ordinary divine ability master, because this was a realm signifying a complete metamorphosis of one's life essence. Not only did one's lifespan extend to 200 years, but one could also awaken a special constitution, gain innate divine abilities, and most importantly comprehend sure momentum. Sure is a unique state of being such as sword momentum, spear momentum, or blade momentum. Under the influence of sure, one's combat power is amplified, and it can also be used to suppress those whose sure is weaker than your own. With this simultaneous amplification and suppression, the gap between a supreme golden core expert and a divine ability grandmaster widened even further. Unless this supreme golden core prodigy also comprehended the power of sure, but if one had comprehended sure, they could no longer be called a golden core cultivator, they would be a half-step divine ability master. Interesting. A 9-platform foundation establishment, a soul at the golden core realm, a peerless sword array master. A prodigy of this caliber could sweep through the younger generation even within the Tai's sacred ground. A cold voice echoed out. After his strike missed, he didn't immediately attack again, but followed Mo Qiannian like a specter. It's a pity you had to encounter this old man. If you were born in my great Mo Empire, it would have been fine, but why must you be a citizen of the great Chu Empire? Finally, the divine ability grandmaster revealed himself. He was an old man with graying hair, his eyes gleaming with sharp light, as if containing the vastness of sun, moon, and stars. He moved as if taking a leisurely stroll, yet he effortlessly matched Mo Qiannian's speed. Mo Qiannian's current speed could cover 1,000 zhang in a single breath. Yet the old man walked step by step like an ordinary person, each step traversing 1,000 zhang. A divine ability grandmaster was truly formidable. In both strength and speed, Mo Qiannian was utterly outmatched. You are the Qiannian Marquis of the great Mo Empire. Mo Qiannian's pupils contracted as he recognized the old man. Those who were in theft as Marquis were no ordinary divine ability masters. This man's power had reached the pinnacle of the divine ability realm, likely a mere step away from the transcendent level. Indeed, this old man is the Qiannian Marquis. Before you die, do you have any last words? The Qiannian Marquis looked at Mo Qiannian with a hint of amusement in his eyes. Mo Qiannian shook his head and said, "You seem to think you have me cornered." The Qiannian Marquis chuckled. "Your strength is indeed not weak. You could have become a pinnacle expert of this world in the future. Unfortunately, meeting this old man means you are destined for death." As his words fell, the old man's figure flickered, instantly appearing before Mo Qiannian. He thrust out his right palm, which transformed into a colossal hand that blotted out the sky, crushing down towards Mo Qiannian. A high-grade, treasure-grade defensive armor materialized on Mo Qiannian's body, shielding him. He then threw a punch, colliding head-on with the old man's palm imprint. Boom! Mo Qiannian's body was sent flying backward. Several cracks appeared on his high-grade treasure-grade armor, and his aura withered, as if he could perish at any moment. Such was the power of a divine ability grandmaster, far beyond what core formation could compare to. Worthy of being a 9-platform peerless genius to survive one of my strikes. The Qiannian Marquis looked at Mo Qiannian and nodded. It's a pity. No matter how strong a genius is without time to grow, they are merely geniuses, not experts. And this world is ruled by the strong. With that, he raised his left hand, extended a finger, and lightly flicked it towards Mo Qiannian. Rumble. The void trembled as a colossal finger of primordial chaos materialized, radiating terrifying energy fluctuations, and crushed down upon Mo Qiannian. This was the power of divine ability. Mo Qiannian's expression shifted. He hastily summoned his spirit sword and executed a peerless sword technique, unleashing several sharp sword beams. Clang! The sword beams were mercilessly crushed. The spirit sword in Mo Qiannian's hand was sent flying. His armor, now bearing several more cracks, finally couldn't withstand the pressure and shattered. Mo Qiannian spat out another mouthful of blood, his body staggering backward 100 zhang, before he barely managed to steady himself, his face as pale as a corpse. Divine ability was truly terrifying. Too strong, utterly invincible. If he had achieved the unprecedented 10-thread golden core, he might have been able to escape, but now he was completely powerless to resist. A 9-platform peerless prodigy, yet destined to fall by my hand. The Qiannian Marquis approached Mo Qiannian, extended a finger, and pressed down once more. Another finger of primordial chaos materialized in the sky, descending towards Mo Qiannian's head. Master, your disciple has brought shame upon you. Mo Qiannian sighed softly. The disparity in realms made it truly impossible for him to resist. For a foundation establishment cultivator to withstand 2 strikes from a divine ability grandmaster and survive was already enough to astonish the world. You have done well enough. A faint voice came from the distant horizon. The moment the voice sounded, the entire world seemed to freeze in place. Both the Qiannian Marquis and the descending finger of primordial chaos were immobilized, as if struck by a body-fixing spell. Only Mo Qiannian was unaffected. He looked up, a glimmer of pleasant surprise shining in his eyes. A figure slowly walked over from the horizon. Yes, though he was clearly in midair, he walked as if on flat ground, each step covering thousands of zhang, treading the void as if it were solid ground. It was a middle-aged man with somewhat disheveled hair and a stubbly beard, unkempt in appearance. He wore a simple blue robe devoid of any ornaments, looking utterly ordinary. A gourd of wine hung from his waist. Moreover, he exuded no imposing pressure of an expert, nor any fluctuation of spiritual energy. If not for his manner of arrival, one might have mistaken him for a beggar on the roadside. Your disciple, Mo Qiannian, pays respects to master. Mo Qiannian knelt on one knee and bowed respectfully. This middle-aged man was none other than Mo Qiannian's master, the sword god of the Tianshui sword sect. In the minds of many, the sword god of the Tianshui sword sect, who shook the northern domain, should have been a venerable and supremely powerful figure. Who could have imagined he would look so utterly ordinary?